ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
It's all on the line. Here we go.
The moment of truth has arrived.
What a matchup this is. What a game.
The umpire holds the footy up.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else on earth.
On ABC Sport, this is the AFL.
Oh, there's a bit to get inside of the net.
The intensity and the pressure on the ball is unbelievable.
Take your moment. This is that moment of the game of footy.
This is just football at its best.
And that'll be it. From walking on thin ice to dancing on the mountaintop, the Brisbane Lions never stopped believing. And they are the champions.
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest. It don't get better than this.
He curls the river a magnificent goal.
Comes out, gathers, snaps, goal.
An extra bit of class.
He smashed that through. What a kick. Goes bang with everything he's got.
They are leaving nothing out there.
Listen to the roar.
The drop punt. He's gone. And the building is jumping. We know he's a big shot taker. He's a big shot maker. Leans back on the kick. Game on.
Like camera action, baby. Countdown to contact.
From the right forward on it. Oh, he's a sharpshooter, all right.
Step up in the big moment.
Close to the man on the mark. Drop punt. He's there. Gathers. Snaps. He'll bring the house down.
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest. It don't get better than this.
We'll put it on the boot. Kick up towards the logo.
You take a seat, cause it don't get better than
He
this.
defies the laws of gravity.
He runs onto it 50 from goal. He's in Dusty's pocket. He shoots. Oh, he's as bloody good as Dusty. Oh, yeah.
Rose snaps goal. The drop punt. It's good. And you can hear that mighty roar.
Ball's one way and the next and the snap. There's the finish.
60 out. Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
That's a massive hit. Big time spot. Big time goal kicker.
That's why we love football. Brilliant to watch.
From the centre wicket. Whacks it for six. Scores level.
Running past. Throws it on the left. Could that be the sealer?
Seconds ticking down. We're not done yet. What a finish.
Welcome to the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport. On radio, on digital, and on the ABC Listen app.
You take a seat, cause it don't get better than this.
Celebrating 100 years of the Hawthorn Football Club in VFL AFL history. Today's Round 8 clash against the Tigers honour the first clash between the Hawks and the Tigers back in 1925. The Hawks have been at their showcase best with their Baker's dozen. Hawthorn Premiership greats celebrating their 13 premierships, and this afternoon will culminate the activities with a mystery narrator and an on-field presentation. Great to have your company for Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. It's Hawthorn taking on Richmond on ABC Sport. The likes of Peter Hudson and Michael Tuck, Jason Dunstall, Gary Ayres, Robert Dipper-Domenico and the modern-day champions Jordan Lewis, Josh Gibson and Isaac Smith have all been in attendance at that time in the late 80s, early 90s, in which Hawthorn was the dominant force, with 8 grand finals in 9 years, winning 5 premierships. The Hawks sit in 7th position with 5 wins and 2 losses following their victory over the West Coast Eagles last week, while for the Tigers they've proved a tricky opponent, just ask the Blues and the Gold Coast Suns. Their 2 wins so far for the season. It's a beautiful 20 degrees in Melbourne this afternoon. Matt Clinch with you for ABC Sport. There is no late changes. James Trezise the sub for the Tigers and Bo McDonald for the Hawks. Ben Cameron to call the action alongside me. Welcome to you, Benny.
Hello, Clinchy. Great to be here. And, Hawthorn cutting the cake for this centenary celebration. And every Hawthorn player that has played a game for the club to be listed on the jumper they wear today. This is a remarkable club. I was thinking about it today. Established in 1925, or entered the AFL or VFL as it was in that year. Their first flag came in 1961. They've won 13 since. They've got the godfather of the club, John Kennedy Sr. They've got arguably the greatest player of all time in Lee Matthews, the third leading goal kicker of all time in Jason Dunstall, and arguably the greatest modern coach in Alistair Clarkson. And what I would like to say as well here, Clinchy, is that Mark Murphy and his family could very much be a part of the celebrations today. They already are, because his grandfather Leo played 132 games for the Hawthorn Football Club, so his name will be on the jumper. But if it wasn't for John Murphy, the Murphys could be far more a part of the celebrations today with more premierships in the family. Could they not, Mark Murphy? Welcome to you.
Sorry, thanks, Benny. you had me all in a fuss. I was just listening to you and I was glued to everything you were saying. But, look, the old man could have gone down the Hawthorn path, but grew up in Heidelberg and was zoned to Fitzroy back in the day and had lots of mates that were going down there, and he thought that he'd love to create some of his own legacy at Fitzroy and didn't go down the Hawthorn path. So could have been out there myself, but you never know. Dad might not have got a game at Hawthorn, who knows, but I'm pretty sure he probably would have.
He also could have won 5 flags, and then you could have won another 4, so only 9 that the family's left on the table.
We don't need to bring up all that. We're obviously very proud of my grandfather Leo, having played 132 games, as you said, a dual best and fairest winner and representing the state as well. So, yeah, certainly the family are very proud of my grandfather Leo, and it's a great celebration of the Hawthorn Football Club over 100 years.
You know I love the great man John Murphy, but it is bad news for the Blue Baggers with young Max, because 2 generations of Murphys have turned down father-son opportunities.
They have. But, I didn't leave one on the table, though, with Brisbane Lions during that period, so at least that's
it's a positive.
One feather in my cap, Benny. But, look, Maxi's enjoying his underage football at the moment, so no pressure on him. I'm
not putting the cart before the horse, am I, in underrates, that he might be a father-son pick?
I think he's got a long way to go, but he's just enjoying his football and soccer and playing school sport with his mates in the schoolyard at the moment.
Welcome to Sunday afternoon footy. Mark Murphy, the Carlton captain, the 300 gamer, sitting alongside him. We do have a navy blue field. The Carlton AFLW captain, Karen Peterson, is with you once more. Welcome, Kez. Great to see you.
G'day, Clinchy. G'day, guys. It's wonderful to be here. I'll be happy to take your little daughter, Murph, on the father-daughter rule down the track too. So bring her down to the academy training. We'll get her ready.
That's right. Yeah, well, she's only 3.5, but showed more of a proclivity for the round ball at this point in time. But
oh, wow.
Oh, well, she's only 3.5, so it's a bit easier to kick, isn't it, at this point in time. But they both love the Carlton Football Club. But, I'm sure we'll be supporting the Hawks here tonight, the whole family.
Yes, we won't mention the events of yesterday in Adelaide. So Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. It's the Hawks taking on the Tigers. They do this well, Hawthorn. They celebrate their victories. They try and get everyone involved as much as they can. So, as Ben may mention, everyone who's represented the club, them or their family, has been given a ticket to try and come along this afternoon. They had the 13 Premiership Cups and some of their former champions involved in the celebrations throughout the week. And now just comes the task of trying to back it up on field, in which Sam Mitchell will be no doubt keen to see some of his former teammates. And great news that Alistair Clarkson is coming along this afternoon. But the task of trying to get the 4 points and making it a winning afternoon.
Yeah, that's the important part of the afternoon, is obviously acknowledging what's gone before them, but then they're on a new journey themselves, this football team, and been doing some great things of late. So, yeah, they'd like to keep on their winning ways and keep the ball rolling.
Can I ask you both? I mean, you both have been Carlton captain and a club with great historical context. Like, what does it actually create within a club when the club celebrates its past as well as Hawthorn do, as Carlton do, as Essendon, Collingwood, etc., the big clubs have?
I think you just love hearing some of the old stories, to be honest with you, and the connections that are made through winning flags. I mean, we've been lucky as the Carlton Football Club to have won lots of VFL flags. Probably haven't done the jumper justice in the AFL era, but to hear some of the stories from past greats, and not only just club greats but AFL greats as well, and just hearing about their journey and what made them good teams, is something that you try and draw upon as current day players, and you certainly draw inspiration in that. It certainly offers perspective that your time in the AFL or the VFL back in the day, it goes pretty quick, and you're only there for a short period of time, and you've got to make it count.
So today's current day players have an interest in the past as much as previous generations, or when you do have that opportunity, Murph and Kez and some of the former greats are down at the club, do you have to give a bit of a educational background as to why this person was a champion of the club?
I suppose you've got to give some education to some of these young guys. A lot of them wouldn't have gone for their club that they represent, but I still feel it's important to acknowledge the players and people that have gone before you. And I think that's up for the club with their historians and people that are involved still, the football club, to every now and again discuss what previous teams have gone through and achieved over that period of time, and acknowledge those players who have left that mark on that football jumper during their period of time. So it's certainly something that's held in high regard at Carlton, with Tony DeBolfo, who still carries that on.
Yeah, you mentioned Beast, and I remember him coming down to the AFLW. Obviously, we've only got a fairly recent history and not a lot to celebrate just yet in the AFLW, but when the Beast came down and talked about what it meant to wear the jumper and some of the players that have gone before in obviously the AFL and the VFL program, and I think it was just, from our perspective, something that we really enjoyed was just being brought into something that has had such a long and successful history, and feeling brought into that and being part of it moving forward, and our own chapter. So echo everything that Murph said. It's certainly being part of a big club has its advantages when it comes to the history and buying into it.
One of the stories I love about Hawthorn is John Kennedy Sr., and if you're wondering how much he loves the club, like his grandson played in a grand final against the Hawks. Everyone said, he must be a little bit torn today. Nah. I want the Hawks to win. Like, there was no question in his mind that he wanted Hawthorn to beat Sydney in that grand final. And he arrived in 1950. They went 0-18 that year. He's a gangly ruckman. He drove standards. He captained them to their first finals win in 1957. He coached them to their first flag in 1961. 3 more through to his last year as coach in 76. Like, the term Godfather gets thrown around a lot, but he is legitimately that at the Hawthorn Football Club.
Yeah, and like anyone who's been involved in any sporting organisation, a football club or a soccer club or whatever it is almost like your second home. And for some people, it's your family, really. And that just shows the example that he thought about the Hawthorn Football Club. He'd rather go for them rather than go for his own flesh and blood playing against him in that grand final those years ago. But yeah, it's certainly a place where people feel that's their home, and they always feel really connected to it.
He does always say as well, like, when Hawthorn were winning so regularly, those 4 flags 08 through to 15, people were saying, Hawthorn are winning too often. He would say, look, don't worry about them. They don't realise how hard it was for us in the 50s, which, I spoke about the fact that his first year, 1950, 0-18. So it wasn't always the Hawthorn we know now and how successful they've been in recent times. And we can't forget, they nearly weren't here in 1996 with the famous merger game against Melbourne.
Yeah, Don Scott and the role in which he played in Hawthorn remaining a suburban club and not merging with Melbourne. A Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. As we look down on the MCG, the two sides are going through their warm-ups. So Hawthorn at the Punt Road end, the Tigers at the City end, and there is 13 little stands in the middle of the MCG in which the Premiership Cups will be brought out. There's going to be a mystery narrator, so we know that Shane Crawford will do the hosting, probably Hawthorn's most popular player before Lance Franklin. And we will have a performance from Kate Sobrano as well. And the Hawks are going to wear a special jersey, which Ben made reference, the 973 players that have represented the club since 1925, alongside the 32 senior coaches will all be listed on that jumper. Photo of it, Murph?
Yeah, I asked Kate Simpson, my old mate from Carlton, who's doing a great job down there at Hawthorn at the moment as assistant coach, to try and find Leo's name, and he sent it through to me a couple of hours ago, which is good.
That's beautiful. Is that pretty special, Murph?
Yeah, of course it is. I think, our family has been divided between going for Fitzroy over the years and Hawthorn and Carlton, obviously. Still a few family members who hold Hawthorn very dear and still go for them and didn't follow Carlton or follow Fitzroy.
Really?
I think there's a few, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So, but anyway, it's nice to see Leah Murphy's name there on the jumper on the front.
Mainly spent most of today working through the Murphy family tree and who they support and whatnot and what their prospects are. Been a big day, hasn't it?
All individuals,
Sorry,
aren't we?
At the SCG, it's the Swans who hold a 8-point lead over the Giants, so midway through the third quarter there. There is an ABC call available on the ABC Listen app, but we'll keep you across the second half from here at the MCG. If you want to get involved on the SMS, 0437 774 774. If you want to share with us your favourite Hawthorn memory, given it is a day of celebration for the Hawks, 0437 774 774. Brendan from Hobart has posed the question, is Buddy and Cyril turning up today? Probably don't think Cyril will be here, but Lance Franklin unsure at this stage.
Could he be the mystery MC? I don't know who it is, so I'm not breaking any confidences. I don't think Cyril will be here, sadly.
So Rodney Eade, Gary Ayres, some of the legends of the Hawthorn Footy Club are making their way towards the race. Lee Matthews will be in attendance as well, so great to see he's taken up the club's invitation to come down from Brisbane. We mentioned Alistair Clarkson and some of the previous generation of younger Hawks get the chance to bring their kids involved as well, so it is a great day of celebration. So before the formalities get underway, it's sort of curious as to where Hawthorn sit in this season. They had that great run last year. They're 5 wins and 2 losses, and yet Sam Mitchell has the coaching challenge of now with no Carl Amon and Jack Scrimshort, and looking to the next layer of players to try and add some depth. So Jaff, Bruce and McGuinness come back in for the Hawks. Pretty good win over the West Coast Eagles last week, but they have 2 formidable matches against firstly Richmond, and then they've got a couple of winnable games in the next few weeks to try and get their season up and running. Where do you see the Hawks so far this season, Murph?
I still see them as a top 4 outfit. I think we're soon to jump to conclusions with some teams about how they go from week to week, and they've had a few games where they weren't at their best, but I think their best is certainly right up there with the very best of the competition, Kez. So yeah, I think they're going along well. They'll expect to come out here and get the job done today, and then they're right back up there amongst the top 4 on the ladder.
Yeah, patchy form, hasn't it? I mean, they started the season looking really good. They certainly weren't playing at their best and carrying that momentum that they started to generate towards the back end of last year, and they've had a few wobbles over the last couple of weeks. They got the win last weekend. It was a bit of an easy kill against West Coast, and through their own admission, it certainly wasn't their finest performance. A little bit sloppy with some skill errors, despite what the margin would say. So I'd imagine, given the occasion today and the way that they would have been disappointed, I think, with the performance last week, clearly not with the result, but the performance themselves, they've got a bit to work on. And the other thing as well, you don't want to be playing your absolute peak football at this time of the year. You want to be building and accumulating the wins, which they've done a really good job of thus far, and I expect them to come out today and be on their game and ready to roll.
Shane Crawford's made his way to the middle of the MCG in a beautiful brown velvet jacket. Let's take in a bit of this.
It's a great success since. And finding our feet and our first great era came in the 50s, led by none other than the godfather of Hawthorn, John Kennedy Sr. He led a trio of premierships within 2 decades, during which several would-be legends got their start. Our first premiership captains in Graham Arthur and David Parkin, the great foot forward in Peter Hudson, the star centre-half back in Peter Knights, and the mighty lethal Lee Matthews and the enforcer Don Scott. And who could forget the spirit of Crimo that inspires the brown and gold to this very day.
Up towards Peter Knights at the back in front.
Up comes Hudson, concentrating, he kicks. He's got it through, it's 100.
Please welcome to the MCG, Gary Young, Gwen Crimmins, David Parkin, Peter Hudson, Lee Matthews, Peter Knights, Rodney Eade, and our 1961, 71, 76 and 78 Premiership Cups. Fresh from toasting our maiden era of success, who'd have thought that our next would be better than our first? It was the golden 80s, so good that it stretched into the 90s. A remarkable 8 grand finals in 9 seasons, where the Hawks were crowned premiers in 5 occasions. There was a man that just kept keeping on, Michael Tuck, and the other who just kept kicking goal after goal after goal. 1,254 to be precise, Jason Dunstall. A pair of Brownlow medalists in back-to-back seasons, Robert DiBiadomenico and the Rat. And there was that grand final, the MC turned battlefield amid sheer brutality and utter brilliance. The heroics of the Hawthorns' 89 triumph etched into footy folklore. Just 2 seasons later, we hoisted the cup at Waverley to cap off an astonishing chapter. Please welcome to the MCG, Michael Tuck, John Kennedy Jr., John Platten, Gary Ayres, Peter Swab, Robert DiBiadomenico, Dermot Brereton, and our 1983, 86, 88, 89 and 91 Premiership Cups. Through the ups and downs of our great club, the enduring spirit of Hawthorn family has always shone through. The strength of the brown and gold unbreakable amid a fleeting period of uncertainty and doubt. But from the darkness came a new dawn.
It's Crawford, 3 votes.
Looking dangerous, lovely again. Mitchell to put them in front.
The Viper training was clever. Rawlings to Hodge. Can he break the tackle? He can.
On 99 goals. Lance Franklin joins the 100 club.
And away we go, the grand final. Look at the Hawks pull off an upset.
To Bateman, hard running. Can kick a goal. 49 out. Low, straight, abusing. Now Drew can kick this, and he has. He's had the best 5 minutes of his footy life.
That's what I'm talking about!
Please welcome to the MCG, Ian Dicker, Chris Langford, Nick Holland, Daniel Harford, Ben Dixon, Richie Vandenberg, Jeff Kennett, Trent Crode and Chance Bateman. Also, the 2008 Premiership Cup. Following the ecstasy of 08, the Hawks were dealt a reality check the very next season before embarking upon a defining journey of heartbreak and near misses that would lead to one of the greatest dynasties the game has ever seen.
Sam Mitchell is the 2012 Brownlow medalist.
Leads back in the race, keeps it alive and kicks a goal. Knocked it to the wrong man, Bruce goes through and kicks a goal.
They've done it. The best team all year. Langford's going to kick a goal, and Hawthorn get 5 in the opening term.
Slammed to the turf by Bruce.
The best team of the modern era produces its masterpiece. They've never been better than this. Got a high tackle, back to Hodge. That's a goal, I think. Hodge has done it from nowhere. His big fly, Smith in the pocket, clever. Oh, benefit, clever, brilliant. The first team in the 18-team competition to go back to back to back.
Please welcome to the MCG, Brian Lake, Jared Roughhead, Josh Gibson, Ben McAvoy, Jordan Lewis, Bradley Hill, Alistair Clarkson, Luke Hodge, and our 2013, 14 and 15 Premiership Cups. Hawthorn always was and always will be the family club, welcoming every new member to the Hawthorn family with open arms. From our blind and wheelchair teams to our AFLW team, who last year broke the barrier to play finals for the very first time. Please welcome to the MCG, Emily Bates, Eliza West, Tilly Lucas-Rod, Jenna Richardson, Tam Smith, Jazz Fleming. Also, please welcome our current AFL players, Connor Nash, Mitch Lewis, Carl Amon, Jack Scrimshaw and Will Day and President Andy Gowers.
There he is, goes to the left, Mitchell's got
Game 400, the great Sean Burgoyne.
Luke Brewston, game number 300. It is good!
And to you, our loyal, proud and passionate brown and gold supporters, you are what makes Hawthorn truly unique and special. One for all and all for one. Go the mighty Fighting Hawks. That's what I'm talking about! Come on!
As only he can, Shane Crawford in the middle of the MCG, taking control of these Hawthorn celebrations. He steps off the podium and bounces into Alistair Clarkson, who it is good to see back in Hawthorn and amongst those premiership players. And the fireworks going off, and we will have a performance by Kate Sobrano, I think you can hear a bit in the background. So got her singing the Hawthorn song. They've done well there, Benny.
How can you not be romantic about football? I loved every single part of that, and Hawthorn have nailed it like the Western Bulldogs did a few weeks ago. I had the hairs on the back of my neck standing up, of which there's probably a few too many, but that was magnificent. I just thought Hawthorn did that beautifully, and great to see Kate Sobrano, who is a Hawks fan, here singing along the Hawks song too.
And it is a predominantly Hawthorn crowd here at the MCG. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. The four Tiger fans who have been moved from the punt road into the city end, they're sitting back watching the Hawthorn show at the moment. And across the generation, so many of their former greats involved in this afternoon. And our man, David Parkin, out there standing in front of the Premiership Cup in the suit and all, Parko. So looking every bit the part. But got to get one chance to honour and recognise your past. And Hawthorn once more have done a superb job this afternoon ahead of the clash between the Hawks and the Tigers, the first opponent in which Hawthorn played back in 1925. For Hawthorn fans, it's an afternoon no doubt they won't forget, but I guess for everyone else it's sort of interesting as to where you sit in your position and your views of Hawthorn. Those that love them, passionately love them. For everyone else, there's probably a period there with the 3 premierships. We got a little bit sick of seeing them win, didn't we, Murph?
Certainly did, and unfortunately I played against the Hawks during an era where they certainly had it over us, and sitting or standing in front of us, Alistair Clarkson, with a few of his former players, and Luke Hodge and Jared Ruffhead and Josh Gibson, Bradley Hill, Jordan Lewis, Brian Lake, all those blokes gave me nightmares, to be honest with you, Clinchy, and sitting next to Big Tomahawk here in the next box as well. He's having a look at that thing. Well, they got me on one occasion, but had some pretty good success against the Hawks as well for various times. But, well done to the Hawthorn Footy Club there.
And the modern-day AFLW players as well, Kez, as they try and create their next chapter of history, and they all gather in the centre circle of the MCG for a photo.
Yeah, it's awesome to see, isn't it? And Hawthorn have always called themselves the family club, and they're not just saying it, they're living it, and that was absolutely a tremendous example of that, recognising clearly the very successful history of the AFL, VFL club, the wheelchair team, and obviously the AFLW, which is only relatively new. But tell you what, if their form from last season's anything to go off, they're certainly going to be up and about this year, coming in, and the likes of Emily Bates leading them. Talk about nightmares, Murph. I've lost a step of speed the last couple of years. She sure as heck hasn't. So, look, what a tremendous celebration of that club, and I'm a little bit envious sitting up here, to be honest, and kind of in a way wish it was us out there that had some sort of celebration like that, because that was awesome.
As the smoke has taken over the MCG from the fireworks that took place on the MCG, and the cheer squads have made their way out for the banner. Lauren Borden has made her way down to the boundary. Lorna, Loz, you've been standing there in the front row. What's it been like to be a part of?
I agree with all of you up there. That was an incredible moment to be part of as they went through the decades and went through the premierships, and just seeing a lot of cheers for the 80s, given how successful they were. And I mean, it doesn't matter what age you are. I think, I'm 30 and you have your parents who tell you all those stories about those players in the 80s who were absolutely ruthless. And then the three-peat as well, I think, got some of the biggest cheers as they came out onto the field, and Alistair Clarkson, like you mentioned, out there as well. So now all the past players will gradually start to make their way out through the smoke and the smog that we've got from those fireworks. It kind of smells like sparklers down here, but a great time for them to celebrate their history. And it's nice when, I guess, it's not a premiership reunion. It's not just one game that they're celebrating, but the last 100 years of history. So a really nice moment down here for all the fans that have come here, got here early to watch it.
All right, Loz, good work. Wander your right and see if Daniel Harford's floating around. He might take the mic and wander amongst the Hawthorn greats. But yes, Lee Matthews is down there. Johnny Platten is there, Rodney Eade, all the greats of various generations mixing, David Parkin, Dermot Brereton, Hawthorn royalty on the middle of the MCG, and the 13 Premiership Cups in the middle of the home of football to celebrate all those historic occasions where the Hawks have finished the season on top. Sunday AFL footy on ABC Sport. Matt Clinch and Ben Cameron to call the action. Mark Murphy and Karen Peterson are your experts. Meanwhile, at the SCG, it's the Swans who hold a lead over the Giants, 7-10-52 to GWS 6-7-43. So, interesting clash taking place there. The Giants have lost their way a little bit, and the Swans, a slow start to the season under Dean Cox, trying to get their third victory of the season. So, we will keep you updated with that. There is an ABC call available via the ABC Listen app. Johnny Platten down on the boundary. All the greats of the 80s for the Hawks, and No, so many of the fans leaning over the fence trying to get an opportunity to give them a high five as they make their way through. So we might refer back a little bit to today, the here and the now. The Tigers, and Jacob Hopper celebrates his 150th game. We know Richmond have had 2 wins so far this season over the Blues back in round 1 and the Gold Coast Suns. Adam Uze would love nothing more than to spoil the party today.
Oh, I certainly would, and they have actually risen to the challenge on some of those big occasions on a big stage, so they'll go out there again, Benny, and probably throw the one wood at the Hawks. Their one wood is just aggression and pressure, and then just trying to score on turnover on the back of that. So they've certainly got some good players littered throughout their list. They are very young though, the Tigers, so they need to start really well, especially against an Hawthorn outfit. So I think when you see Hawthorn, when they're up and going, it's their use of ball and the way in which they hit their skills. So Richmond need to really cover off their outlets, be aggressive at the ball and man, and try and win the ball around the contest and try and defend off a short pitch. So defend the ball inside your forward 50 and try and lock it in there as best you can against Hawthorn, which is not an easy task.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with the contest, the pressure around the contest. And up until last weekend, Hawthorn were number 1 for centre bounce clearances and their score off that sort of chain. So Richmond are going to have to be on early and bring the heat around the contest. West Coast got a hold of them a little bit last week doing that. They obviously went to task, knowing that was one of Hawthorn's strengths in the first part of the season, and I have no doubt that they would have shown a little bit of the blueprint to Richmond today about how to go about that. But yeah, they're certainly going to be under the pump inside their D50 Richmond. Obviously Bolton not playing today doesn't help as well, so they've got their work cut out for them. But both teams play really high octane kind of footy. They like to put bums on seats and entertain for their fans. Both teams are absolutely primed, ready to roll for that. So I think it's going to be a hot contest early, and I'm looking forward to this one hopefully opening up come the second half.
And the role of Hawthorn captain James Sicily has been debated as to whether he sort of should play forward as a swingman, play back. I guess with a couple of injuries now, Jack Scrimshaw out of this Hawthorn lineup, Carl Amon as well. Sam Mitchell has said he'll prominently spend most of the time in defence, but his kicking, which has always been such a great strength, all of a sudden he's found himself a little out of form, and some of his turnovers have proved pretty costly for the Hawks.
It has, and it's amazing sometimes the very best just go through a bit of a patch where they lose a little bit of confidence. And I think just putting Sicily down back and just saying, look, go to work, defend first, and then we want your great ball used to come off the back of that. I think that's what the good players do. They understand they're not quite going too well at various times, will train their way out of it. No doubt he's working really hard on his skills and his defensive effort to try and get himself in the contest more so than not. But I certainly expect a good response from Sicily today.
I did hear Sam Mitchell speaking during the week, and he said, look, he's missing a lot of his kicks at the moment. He's not kicking well, but he's still kicking where we want him to on the ground and taking on the kicks that we want him to. That form will turn. Yeah, it will, and I agree. I heard Mitchell talk throughout the week, probably the same as what you did, Benny, and part of what Mitchell was saying was absolutely spot on in that you can live with skill execution errors. It's when it's non-compliant or you're going against the game plan where things start to get a little bit hairy, and that is not what's happening with Sicily, and it's not what's happening with Hawthorn. They're trying to execute the game style that they're going after. Sicily absolutely is leading the way with that, and what can't be underestimated as well, particularly when he is playing as that defender or that intercepting defender, is just his voice and his ability to marshal his troops and get everyone else in the right position around him, let alone what he's doing with the football. So it's really, yes, we highlight it because it's what we see clearly with our eyes, and Clinchy mentioned the turnovers and the costly turnovers that are occurring, but that's only one part of his game and one part of his leadership. There's the whole package that I'm sure he's doing really well, and his form will turn. He's too good of a player for that not to happen. It could be today, big occasion, a lot of eyes, big wide space for him in the back line. I wouldn't be surprised if it's today that form turns.
The other one, which I guess Sam Mitchell had to sort of give some answer and some reason as to why throwing Tom Barras forward against his former side, the West Coast Eagles, last week. He sort of answered that with just an opportunity to see whether Josh Battle could maybe play a different role, but it did feel like it was a bit sort of Sam Mitchell tongue-in-cheek of why not against his former side, just show that we can just toy a little bit with him.
Yeah, I think he likes to throw the magnets around every now and again, so yeah, I haven't seen Barras play forward too often, but sometimes you throw him down there and see what eventuates on the back of it. If he takes a few good clunks, you never know, it might be an avenue for him to go to at some point. But I like the way in which Sam Mitchell goes about it. He plays a bit of a cheeky game at times, which is good.
So just trying to have a look, Sam Mitchell has his players in a huddle. Just trying to work out if that's just at the bottom of the race or with all the players gathered and the legends around the outer of the circle. So he is addressing the current day players and the former day champions as well.
I don't think you let Alistair Clarkson go around that huddle, do you? As a rival coach, you might have said, Clarko, you just have to sit this one out. But that is a cool moment. Like, they are the inner layer of the players and then the outer layer of the champions right there listening to this address. I've said it before, how can you not be romantic about football? I love every part of this.
It's pretty cool. I can confirm Alistair Clarkson not in the huddle. I saw him walking off with the AFLW player contingency over here. So that's an exceptional moment. I'm sure that there's lots of cameras and there'll be plenty of vision of that piece, I'm sure. But that's an incredibly cool moment for those legends and for the current playing group to all be united at the bottom of the race. That's very cool.
It's got to be a delicate balance, doesn't it, for a coach, Murph, as you want to tap into that emotion, but you don't want to overdo the occasion.
No, you don't, but I think that's one thing that, former players who get invited back to football clubs really feel loved and support when they see the current day players or coaches and administrators really support the former players or whoever's gone before them and really acknowledge them and include them as much as you possibly can, and they're there on the journey with these current day players, and it's a pretty nice sight seeing a group of probably almost 100 people, probably all united, listening to Sam Mitchell talk at the bottom of the race.
Plus, this is the Hollywood Hawks. This is a young group who you think will like the occasion, pin their shoulders back and put on a show.
No doubt, and the occasion, like when you get to grand final week, there's a lot of noise and a huge atmosphere, and these sort of opportunities almost can get you ready for those big finals or grand finals when you have got such a big fuss prior to the game about your club and the lead up to it. So no doubt Sam Mitchell just getting his players used to what it probably is like playing big finals and essentially here at the G where it's won on grand final day.
The voice of Mark Murphy alongside Kieran Peterson, your experts on ABC Sport this afternoon. Matt Clinch and Ben Cameron to call the action. Lauren Borden is down on the boundary. You can hear in the background Hawthorn have made their way up to the top of the race, and James Sicily leads his Hawks through the banner with the former champions standing alongside, and a chance for the Hawks to continue on in their celebration this afternoon and claim a crucial 4 points against the Tigers. On the SMS, your thoughts, 0437 774 774. Fran's been in touch. No love lost from our family for Hawthorn and the Blues, but happy that Clarko is there. Tapping into the Hawks' history today is quite amazing, and plenty more. Wayne from Elizabeth saying, is John the Rat Plutton in attendance? He certainly is, but no Lance Franklin today, which I did think he might be there, but he wasn't out there amongst the Hawthorn greats.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame. I assume, given he wasn't a part of the on-field ceremony, that he isn't here, which is a little bit sad for Buddy. And the Hawks faithful more broadly, I think. John Plutton's hairstyle hasn't changed in the 35 years since he retired either.
Big Tucky he's got a long do, and I enjoyed watching Dipper walk out in the Aviators and just like...
Yeah, he's a cool dude, still Dipper, isn't he?
Yeah, him and Dermy following him in footstep too. They were big characters, weren't they?
They were.
Or still are.
What about the fact that as good as and as many games as Tucky played, over 400, he played 50 reserves games as well?
Incredible. Yeah. And just like a wiry player too, wasn't he? It's similar to Dustin Fletcher playing all that football. Even Kate Simpson, a bloke I played a lot of football with. Not a huge man, just wiry, but never got injured.
Can't tear a muscle if you don't have them, can you?
Well, apparently not. No, you can't.
Kentucky's still dirty over all these years that he could have played on for another season or two, but it wasn't to be. At the SCG, approaching the start of the final term, Sydney leading the Giants by 14 points. So the Sydney Swans 8-10-58 to the Giants 6-8-44. Sydney with 8 individual goal kickers, and the Giants with a bit of work to be done, trailing by 16 points at three-quarter time. As you can hear, the Tigers have made their way out onto the MCG, led by Toby Nankervis. It is, of course, a milestone day for Jacob Hopper, who, of course, started his career with the Giants, having joined the Tigers, and he reaches the 150 milestone in his 10th season in the AFL. A chance for us to head back down boundary side, a chance to head inside the Richmond camp, and Lauren Borden is one of their assistant coaches, Ben Rutten.
Thanks, Clinchy. It's a great day to be down here on the boundary on the MCG, and I'm joined by Richmond assistant Ben Rutten. Ben, a fantastic day to be here, but a really tough opposition in Hawthorn. So how do you prepare for them throughout this week?
Yeah, look, they've obviously been playing some great footy throughout this season so far, and we know it's a big occasion for them being their 100-year celebration round. So there's a bit of excitement around that for our group as well. I think we're a group that's growing together, and all these experiences where we can come in front of a big crowd, and it's great for us to just continue to build those experiences and that cohesion.
And Adam Uze mentioned that during the week too. He gets a lot of excitement from these younger players. So you look at someone like a Thompson Dow, who's having a great season when he takes these opportunities. Seth Campbell, Steely Green. Who are you excited to watch when you see the game today?
Oh, look, it's all those guys. And as I said, it's about us not only performing individually, but it's just building that cohesion. And I think we've seen Jonty Fall, the last couple of weeks get better and better. And last week was a great example where in the first half he got his hands to a few and dropped them. And then in the second half they started to stick. And, there's the sorts of things we really like to see. And that persistence that's required to be able to, play consistently at AFL footy.
You've been around footy a long time, so how long do you think it does take for that cohesion to kind of build? Because it's a long process to get that where teammates, expect other things from their teammates to know where they're going to kick the ball, for instance.
Yeah, well, it is. It does take time, but, we're trying to accelerate that as much as we can, and we can do that on days like today, but we can also do it during the week with our training and how we design our program. So that's a really important part for us, is that we just don't want to improve our cohesion and growth on game day. We want to use our training during the week and our time in meetings to be able to just continue to build that belief amongst the group.
And just the one in today with Noah Bolter coming back in, that'll obviously be something that has to be managed with the curfew. But does it affect anything at all when he's kind of yo-yoing into the side, then out of the side again?
Yeah, well, look, this is the first time it's happened. But there's always ins and outs throughout the team, and Noah's a really important player for us. And I think he's got the next 3 weeks in, so I think he's important for us. It'll be good for him to just continue to build some continuity in his game as well.
And it has been a 10-day break since the match against Melbourne. Has it been nice to kind of have that time to review the game and then be able to preview this one and not be rushed like you have the games before that?
Yeah, look, it is. I think it's, we had a couple of short turnarounds in the lead up to last week, so that does start to take a bit of a toll, both physically and mentally. So, we had a few days off at the end of last week's game against Melbourne, and which was a good opportunity to refresh and recoup a bit. But the guys have hit the ground running this week, and we're feeling really well prepared for this game.
And you did mention a little bit about the 100-year anniversary for Hawthorn. How much do you lean into that? And just mention it a little bit, because it is such a big occasion and there'll be a lot of noise and, things going on during the warm-up that might take away from the players' concentration.
Yeah, well, it is. These are the sorts of experiences we've got to prepare for, every game provides a different opportunity for us, whether we're travelling, night games, day games, short weeks, long weeks, and, there's maybe some more distractions around, but there's probably a few more for them. So, for us, it's about how well we can just keep our focus on what's important for us, control what we can control, and, execute our game the best we can.
Ben, thanks so much for your time pre-match. Good luck today.
No worries. Thank you.
Richmond assistant coach Ben Rutten there with Lauren Borden down on the boundary. So Noah Bolter gets these 3 games in a row where the Tigers play during the day. So the Hawks this afternoon, then the West Coast Eagles next Sunday, and North Melbourne, having missed last week the clash against Melbourne, given the fact that he has the nighttime curfew as part of his sentencing. But we know the way in which the Tigers are going to want to play. They'll pressure Hawthorn and try and force the turnover and get them on the counter of attack. The Tigers, led by Morris Rioli Jr., have become a very good, mosquito fleet across their half-forward line that led with Tom Lynch in their forward 50, that if they can get enough opportunities in a low-scoring affair, they certainly feel like they're a chance today.
Yeah, and I think that's where the centre square bounce is a really important part of today, because we were here almost 10 days ago watching Richmond play Melbourne, and Tom Lynch kicked 3 goals, 3 on that occasion, probably had 2 other shots. He had 8 shots on goal, so he's the focal point of their forward line, obviously. So if they can get the ball in quick, whether that be from stoppage or on turnover, is really critical. And that's where your small forwards then can go to work. So he's just got to provide a contest at very worst, bring the ball to ground. We know how good a player he is, but then it's the job for the smalls to get at his feet and lock it in there or get some shots on goal, Kez.
Yeah, you're spot on, Murph. At the moment, Richmond's sitting number 18 in the competition, so last for marks inside forward 50, which speaks exactly to the point that you've just made, that they're predictable in who they're going to. They don't need to take marks to be able to kick a score. They just need to make a contest, bring it to ground, and then let their smalls go to work. So sometimes that creates chaos and uncertainty for the defence, and that's what they're relying on at the moment, that chaos ball, pressure up the ground, get it in, and let their smalls go to work. So going to be absolutely key for Richmond today.
On the SMS 0437 774 774 if you want to get involved throughout the afternoon. A cheerio to Mark, who's normally listening in Geelong, tuning in on the ABC Listen app, just on a plane leaving from Doha. So going internationally all around the world. Great to have your company wherever you're listening. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport with Matt Clinch and Ben Cameron to call the action. Lauren Borden down on the boundary. Mark Murphy and Kez Peterson are your experts. The match at the SCG, it's the Sydney Swans who lead by 14 points. So the Swans 8-10-58 to the Giants 6-8-44. So Dean Cox potentially steering his side to their third win of the season.
Kicked the first 5 goals in that game, Sydney, so have only kicked 3 since. That came in about the first 15 minutes, so nearly stopped to a walk, the Swans.
Absolutely. 5 goals to 2 in the first quarter, and you're right, Ben, just 2 goals since half-time. It's the Giants who have got a few concerns at the moment, not playing their best footy. The players are going through their final preparations. We're only a couple of minutes away from the opening bounce here at the MCG. So Hawthorn, after their victory over the West Coast Eagles last week, the Tigers going down to the Demons in that Anzac Eve clash, and that does feel like a long time ago. So the extended break for the Richmond players to try and get themselves up for what is such a big occasion for Hawthorn.
I think the Richmond players hosted their annual golf tournament between one another, so they had that as a little break and a little freshen up, but
any whispers on who took that out, Benny?
I did see it, but I didn't care enough to really
neither do I. I don't know why I
memory.
asked the question.
So, I could find it for you, but it will help them with their pressure, won't it, being a little fresher?
Well, it can, but sometimes when you're a young side, when you have an extended layoff, it can take a bit of time to get back into the groove of it. So that's where the training phase over that period has to be really well organised, because you don't want guys to switch off too much, because there is a chance with young guys who go, well, we're not playing for another 9 or 10 days. Let's just take it easy for a bit here and then get back into work next week. Whereas when you are on the grind from a 6 to 7 day break, you're in the routine of it. So the change of routine can offer up some inconsistencies for you, and you've got to be really on your ball to make sure that you're prepared and ready to go.
Have you seen the number 1 draft pick, Sam Lawler, averaging 15 disposals a game so far this season? He's 7 goals as well, so you always get that extra layer of attention when you are the number 1 draft pick. I don't have to tell you that, Murph, but coming into a side which is rebuilding, the comparisons to Dusty Martin, the expectations for him to be a superstar. How have you seen his first 7 rounds?
Yeah, it's a huge focus on such a young player. When you are the number 1 pick, go to a big club like Richmond, and you obviously go to the poorest club, or the club who's at the bottom for a reason. So they're in a rebuilding phase. Everything I've seen him do so far has been really solid. He's a clean, class act. He's always really good with his hands. He's got that bit of power and athleticism that not many other players have got, and already looks a ready-made AFL player. So seeing him in the next 24 months is going to be really exciting, seeing him really explode. But yeah, I really enjoy watching him go about his work so far.
Sitting in the front row for us this afternoon is Lauren Borden. Loz, the 2 captains are addressing their team as they break into position. How's the crowd built?
Thanks, Clinch. It's built nicely. It was nice to see a lot of those Hawthorn fans getting in early. I think there's got to be nearly probably 60,000 coming in today, looking around the stadium at the moment. But a beautiful day for it as well. Imagine if Shane Crawford was in the middle and it was raining or it was a bit gloomy, but perfect sunshine, about 23 degrees. So really nice weather for a Sunday afternoon. You mentioned the 2 captains going in for the toss. Toby Nankervis won, and it'll be Richmond kicking towards the punt road end to start this match. And Bailey McDonald for Hawthorn, James Trezise for Richmond are the 2 subs. A couple of youngsters making their way to the benches now to sit down and wait for their turn to be called this match.
Thank you very much, Loz. So the countdown on the big screen as we're in the final minute before the opening bounce. The Hawks in their centenary celebration. They've had their former greats on the MCG, their current day players looking to live up to the billing against the Tigers, who would be desperate to try and claim a 3rd win and upset the brown and gold party this afternoon. Toby Nankervis patrolling the centre circle. He's ready to go. And James Sicily in his traditional position at centre half back with the long sleeves. So all is in readiness for round 8 of the AFL. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. It's the Hawks taking on the Tigers. And to get us underway, here's Ben Cameron on ABC Sport.
The Hawks, it's cake and candles for them. Richmond hoping to play the role of party pooper. Underway on a sunny Sunday at the MCG. Umpire James Strybos holds the ball aloft. Couple of stutter steps, and now he lays it down. A crooked bounce, a shocker. And that is a false start and a letdown. Umpires Brown, Fry, Birch and Strybos in charge of this contest. Second time lucky. Up it goes. Meek and Nankervis, both with hands on it. Coming through, Huswaite gets the opening handball out for the Hawks. McDonald out after it. He's wrapped up by Short. Taken to ground, and a ball up coming half forward for Hawthorn.
No surprise to see Barras go straight to fullback and line up next to Tom Lynch. That's going to be a great battle all afternoon.
Umpire puts it aloft. Meek slapping it out. Ralph Smith onto it there for the Tigers, trying to bust through, nowhere to go. Hawthorn in there. Brown and gold, brown shorts. Every player who has played for the club over the 100 years named on that jumper. Meek down to D'Ambrosio. Hooks a kick inside 50 for Hawthorn. Ginnivan can't mark. Holding free kick. It'll go to Guinea. Nathan Broad just clinging on. And Jack Ginnivan with the set shot. Boot the ball from 45 directly in front.
It didn't seem as though there was much in that. I looked at the contest and almost could have been a Broad free kick, and Nathan Broad almost thought it was his. He was going back to receive the free kick, but it's a bit of a touchy one to start the game. Good win for Ginnivan.
On a day they're celebrating the old days, here's the new age Hawk, and he can't get the perfect start. Tugs it hard left. Minor score to begin for Jack Ginnivan and the Hawks. One behind. Richmond yet to score. We've played 98 seconds in the opening term.
Noah Bolter brings the Tigers back into play. It was a spiralling kick which in the end found Jacob Hopper rather fortuitously as it landed in his lap. He kicks up towards Lynch. Can't take the mark. Barra spoils it down and Jarman Impey front and centre. Hand pass back to Hardwick for the Hawks. Away to battle. He chicks the kick. It's over the head of D'Ambrosio. Tangles with Ralph Smith against the boundary line. D'Ambrosio kept his feet. He wins the contest on half-back. Kicks up towards half-forward. Here's Noah Bolter again. Charging out, he takes the mark at right half-back for the Tigers.
Back in the side for a day game. Has it on the wing. Richmond in there. Yellow sash with the black jumper and white shorts and a 50 here. What was that for, Murph?
Couldn't tell you, to be honest
maybe.
with you.
I think it was Chol. I think he crept in. He started in the outside 5 protected area, but I reckon he creeped in.
It's not a big 50 either. The mark set 55 out. Noah Bolter looks inside and attacking 50. Decides to roost it right from the edge of the square. It goes into the pocket off the knuckles of Nankervis. Out of play it goes. Throw in right forward pocket here for the Tigers. Fittingly attacking the punt road end of the ground in the opening term. Beautiful Sunday at the MCG. 22 degrees Celsius. Just wispy clouds in the sky.
Bowers alongside Lynch, Sicily alongside Lawler, thrown back in, Nankervis taps it down, Ross trying to break clear, he's tackled and locked up by Huswaite, and the umpire will ball it up in the right forward pocket for the Tigers. Hawthorn by a point. Opening 3 minutes here at the MCG on a sunny Sunday afternoon. Meek wins down the tap. Huswaite goes to work. Hand pass to Meek. Links up with Jarman Impey across half-back. The running defender kicks out in front of Marbiel Chol. He left it for the Wizard Watson as he gathers centre wing. Cuts back inside on his right-hand side. Kicks looking for Moore. He and Short tangle in the air and Dylan Moore takes the mark. Good contested mark just inside 50 out to the left. He looks for options in the pocket. He can just chip it over the top, and Jack Ginnivan's all on his own. A second shot on goal coming up in the opening 4 minutes.
A bit of loose checking there from Richmond. The defenders just got a little bit sort of frazzled and all out of position, but it's been a good start for Ginnivan if he can go back and kick this. He was pretty good on return last week. 17 touches and got himself involved, but yeah, a little bit of loose checking there from the Richmond defenders.
He has the shaved head and the bright blue boots in the left forward pocket. Looking to try and get this Hawthorn show up and rolling. Jack Ginnivan comes in and drags it left. A minor score. 2 behinds to start the afternoon for him. That's the lead the Hawks have. 4 minutes in, Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
He's got the hooks at the moment. Jack Ginnivan, both of his set shots missing hard left. Loston with the kick in for Richmond. Up in the Banks direction, goes up to mark. 70 metres from his defensive goal in the shadows of the members' wing. Kicks for Campbell, marks on the wing. Handball back to Banks, running by. Feigns the handball to Hopper, milestone match for him. Goes back with the handball to Bolton, Bolter rather, who kicks out wide. Picked up there by Miller. Gives it back to Bolter, who tries to run away from Chol. Run down, caught holding the ball. And Mabior, sometimes a little casual. Not so there. Free kick on the wing for Hawthorn.
A big win in front of the Hawthorn faithful here on the members' side. He tries to chip it over the top to Newcombe. Had to wear the contact from Bolter late. And Jai Newcombe has it between wing and half forward on the members' side. Hawthorn 2 behind, so Richmond yet to score. As Newcombe blazes away inside 50. Lloyd Meek's gone forward. He palms it down against Nankervis. Spills off McDonald. Back to Meek. He's tackled and brought down. And the umpire will ball it up. So we have Connor McDonald, who's in the action, and Bailey McDonald, who is the sub for the Hawks this afternoon. As it's thrown up, Meek wins down the tap, and in the end tries to take it out of the ruck. He's tackled by Taranto. Eventually the ball does spill clear. Warple tries to extract it, but it's Banks for the Tigers. Hand pass to Hopper and out to Taranto. Off the outside of the boot, kicks up to Lynch. Great gather. Hand pass too slick in the end for Campbell. Hardwick for the Hawks takes it. Hand pass to Morrison. Tries to hand pass to Huswaite. He's bumped off it. A chance for Taranto. He overruns the footy. And now Lawler trying to spin his way out of traffic. The umpire will ball it up 60 metres out from the Hawthorn goal. They're 2 behind, so Richmond yet to score.
James Trezise, the sub for Richmond. Ball up half forward here for the Hawks. Warple bursts through them. Guinea snaps on goal, no good. And Bolter swats it through for a minor score. Got in front of Mabior Chol there at the top of the goal square and ensures it's only a minor score. So a couple of misses and no score there from Ginnivan to begin the game. 3 behinds for Hawthorn. Richmond yet to score.
Boston quickly in for the Tigers. Found Brown at half back. His kick is a little wide up the Shane Warnstein's side. And in the end, I think the boundary umpire said it just landed inside the field of play. Carl Amon's pretty convinced it was over the line, and field umpires come over and said throw it in.
Yeah, it's almost a case of these days the players think when the ball goes out they can just kick it back in, don't they? So unless a player's pretty close to it, they're pretty quick to grab the ball and play on.
Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Nankervis and Meek spills down to the front. Meek tries to gather. Tackled in the end and brought down. A great effort. Unrewarded as Steely Green was able to wrap his arms around the big ruckman and bring him down to the turf.
Umpire puts it up on the wing. Meek winning the tap. It rebounds back to Big Lloyd. Hooks a snap up to half forward. Bouncing ball for the Hawks. Miller gets there first. Richmond in possession. Loops a handball to Ralph Smith. Runs to the logo. Driving ball inside 50. Back there battle. Free kick though. And it'll go to Lynch.
Certainly there. Just tried to shepherd him off the contest. Caught him high anyway, but had the 2v1, the Hawks. But Barras just had a left arm flailing back and collected Tom Lynch across the head.
Tom Barras just trying to protect Josh Battle there, but impeding the run and jump of Tom Lynch. 45-degree angle. He'll put his laces through it from 50. Starts it right and can't quite bring it back enough. So an inaccurate start for both sides in this match. Hawthorn 3 behinds, Richmond 1 behind. 8.5 played. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Certainly going to have a big day. Tom Lynch fighting probably 2 defenders for most of the day. So the other Richmond small forward has to be in a good position to make the most of the drop of the ball.
James Sicily brings Hawthorn back into play. Noel Bolter put his hands on the back, trying to rise in the pack. Couldn't collect the mark. Spills out to Taranto. Kicks end over end. D'Ambrosio thought he was taken high. He gestured to his head, and eventually he will get the free kick. Hawthorn want to try and take the advantage. That won't be allowed. And it will come back to Massimo D'Ambrosio at left half back. Hawthorn 3 behinds to Richmond 1 behind. Opening 9 minutes here at the MCG. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. As D'Ambrosio is called to play on, he's getting some instructions as to potentially switching the ball. He decides to kick long down the wing. Chol caught behind, spoils it down, and Warple front and centre for the Hawks. Hand pass away. Newcombe looks up inside 50. Guns's on the lead, and what a pass as he leads up and takes the mark on his chest. Just slightly right of centre, 45 metres out from goal.
Geez, Hawthorn are doing that probably better than most at the moment in the competition, where the long ball goes down the line. They keep the ball in front, and then it's small forwards or the midfielders that make great position to be in front, and then they're off to the races through the middle of the ground. And when you've got a forward like Gunston leading at you, it's a beautiful sight.
The 33-year-old 3-time Premiership Hawk to try and get things going. It's out to the left from him as well. 4 behinds from the Hawks to start proceedings. To the Tigers 1 behind. 10 minutes gone. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Yeah, they have some great balance, the Hawthorn mids. They don't all just get sucked into the contest. They hold corridor side, so they know when they do win it at drop of ball, there's someone on the inside they can go to, and Newcombe was there on that occasion and laced out Gunston perfectly.
Jaden Short with the kick in, up to the wing. Chankworth Jath brings it down at ground level, then goes and gets it off to D'Ambrosio. D'Ambrosio now running around the boundary line. He kicks inside, attacking 50, and up goes Bruce. He's got it deep in the left forward pocket for the Hawks. 20 out, a tight angle about 5 in from the boundary line.
Causing a bit of havoc at the moment, these Hawthorn small forwards, and this bloke's been an absolute star for such a long period of time, and mark this one in.
Hooks around, and Luke Bruce finally finds the major opening for Hawthorn in their centenary celebration game. 1-4-10 plays one behind, 11 minutes into the opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Here's Mark Murphy and Karen Peterson.
They look sharp, don't they, Murph? Hawthorn, their forward line, they're all moving well. They're finding space, and they're all working together. It was Bruce on that occasion who found some space in the pocket, but just the way that they set up behind the ball off that kick in, they really have probably left a couple on the table. The inaccuracy really hurt them last week. They finished the game 18-16, but they had to work very hard to even that up at the back end of last week. I hope it doesn't end up the same today, because today's occasion deserves a really high-scoring, high-flow game, and when you've got the likes of Bruce marking in pockets of space like that, that's exactly what we should get.
Hawks are the first here at the MCG. Sydney lead the Giants by 15 points midway through the final term. It's from the restart. It's brought down by John Newcombe. He's locked up by Tim Taranto, and the umpire will do it once more in the outer of the centre circles. A lot of numbers around this stoppage as Nankervis takes front position, wins down the tap. Free kick for a hold, going the way of Richmond. Advantage taken in the end by Hopper. Kicks up inside 50. It's over the head of Lynch. Barris racing back, gets there first for the Hawks. Hand past a battle in the right back pocket. He kicks up to Newcombe, who takes the Mark Members side.
Newcombe gives it off to the run of Harry Morrison. He can loop it over the top, back to Newcombe. Infield to Weddle, game number 50. Hasn't missed since his debut. Not sure where to go here. He kicks around the wing. Not his best kick, doesn't find a target, but Gunston fights on at ground level. Then the Tigers arrive over the top of it. At the end is young Trainer. He gives it back to the umpire. Ball up. High half forward here for the Hawks. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Warple squeezes out a kick. Moore buffeted off the footy. Goes back and gets it. Feeds it out to Warple. He unleashes with a kick to full forward. Bruce goes up. Miller's there. Off Miller's left hand, it trickles through. Minor score. Hawthorn lead it by 10. 1-5 plays one behind. 13 played. Opening stanza.
As Broad brings the Tigers back into play to Jaden Short. The familiar combination as they work it out to Ralph Smith by a foot. Takes the mark at right half back. Comes inboard to Trainer. Hand pass to Vlausen, almost in a bind. Hand pass to Hopper. Tackled by Morrison. Gets it back to Trainer. Kicks up the Shane Warnstein side. Lawler marks the number 1 draft pick. Feeds the hand pass out to McIntosh in that black headband. He chips it over the top, and the Tigers have got forward. Ralph Smith takes the mark. Into the pocket. Good vision as he finds Mansell hard against the boundary. About 40 metres out from goal. A tight shot on goal.
Yeah, it was well worked by the Tigers then. They just had the outnumber. They used the extra there because Hawthorn are dropping numbers back and trying to get that extra +1 in front of Tom Lynch. So there's going to be a spare up the field. So they did really well there of isolating one another and just seeing the free and hitting it and just playing a simple, basic football brand and good ball use.
Second leading goal scorer for the Tigers last year behind Shea Bolton. They need him this season. Just the 2 goals as he shot on goals across the face. In the pack, Lynch. Barris spoils it down. Front and centre Ward for the Hawks. Hand pass to Morrison. Runs the gauntlet. His kick will be a turnover though. Straight in the middle of the ground, and Nick Flostone takes the mark.
Floston a little bereft initially. Eventually kicks laterally, and the mark taken by Brown on the wing. Shadows just beginning to lengthen at the MCG. Brown drives it deep. Sicily in good position. Pack forms off the hands there of Lynch. Falls at full forward for Richmond, and clear and kick from Jath beyond the defensive arc. Spills down though onto it quickly. Trainer for Richmond. Handball errant. Moore loses it for Hawthorn. Ball spits out. Thompson Dow. He'll retreat with the handball back to Short, and he'll get rid of it away to Brown. Now Brown gets onto his left. Snaps inside 50. Rioli. Morris Rioli surrounded by 3 Hawks. In best position, though, he marks deep in the left forward pocket.
I think he meant it, Murph. I think he meant that little kick into the bucket. Had to drop it inside the, as you said, Benny, inside 3 Hawthorn players. I would have liked to have seen Sicily come up and try and attempt to spoil that one.
Wearing his dad's famous number 17, overcooks the curling snap. Just killed it slightly too much to miss narrow. 1-5-11 plays 2 behinds. Quarter hour mark of this opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
The Hawks keep the first 5 behinds of the match before Luke Bruce was able to open scoring. Tigers with 2 behinds as Sicily brings Hawthorn back into play. Kicks for an outstretched Gutston, who can't take the mark. Now has to deal with Banks, who tackles him. Got the hand pass away at the last moment. Morris Rioli Jr. bumped an opponent off it. That was D'Ambrosio. Feeds the hand pass back up the members' wing to Jaden Short. Retreats back by hand to Broad. Nice side step around Ward onto his right-hand side. Kicks it like a bag of flour. The mark was dropped, though, by Sicily. Lawler gets a hand pass forward to Taranto. Feeds the hand pass away. Full across the body. It's too wide for Tom Lynch. And in the end, bounces just inside the field of play. A boundary thrown in the right forward pocket for the Tigers at the Punt Road end. Hawthorn leading by 9 points. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Certainly a bit of a wounded duck there, wasn't it, that James Sicily couldn't quite take in the mitts.
Umpire flings it in. Weddle works his way to the front, brings it down. Warple clip tight. Lynch picks it up, snaps the goal. Bring it back. Warple was just clipped by Lynch before he picked it up. Was it there, Murph and Kez?
Not too sure it was. I think he got him in his chest, to be honest with you, and he's just fooled the umpire there. Didn't seem to be anything in that at all.
Hawks leading it by 9 in their back pocket. Short kick from Warple away to Ginnivan. He's on the half-back flank. He sends it long up towards the wing. Swatted away there by Short. Bounces down, gathered quickly there by Brown. Hooks the Tigers inside 50 and Mansell marks 48 metres out on a 45-degree angle.
Been a good 3 or 4 minutes here from the Tigers. The Hawks are really battling to try and get over halfway. So these repeat entries have been really good for Richmond. They've been finding these marks as well, and they just need to try and get a bit of that reward for effort and convert one of these shots at goal.
Ryan Mansell has become a part of that quintessential Richmond pressure in 2025. Boot to ball from 53, struck it well, but across the face and out of bounds on the full. Got plenty of it, but offline, and there's been a lot of that to begin this game. Hawthorn by 9. 1-5 plays 2 behinds.
Short to Sicily, who had to jam it on the boot because it wasn't 15. Up towards Finn McInnes, but it's Dylan Moore who floats across the side. Takes the mark for the Hawks. His kick inboard, slipping over, was Connor McDonald. It spills out to Ralph Smith. The Tigers inside 50. He blazes long towards the goal mouth. Sicily juggles the mark. Would have been a free kick against Tom Lynch, who had his eyes not on the footy. And Sicily's able to chip it to the back pocket. And Tom Barras out of defence. He looks up towards the members' wing. Gunston and Broad, they tangle. Gunston can't complete the mark. It spills to the back. Banks is onto it for the Tigers. Quick hand pass away to Hopper in game 150. Fires it out to Ross. He wants to chip it back inboard. In the end, the mark is taken by Banks, who goes short. And here's Fall. Has it? In fact, it's Thompson Dow who marks it left half forward for the Tigers.
Dow just skips back off his mark. Now sets it up towards the hot spot, looking for Lynch to launch. Barras in front, strong grab. That's why they went and got him. Tommy B with the intercept mark at fullback for the Hawks.
They've got that 10 inside 50s, Richmond to Hawthorn 7, but they just can't capitalise. And when they do get the marks inside 50, they're very wide at the moment, so their shots are very wide. Hawthorn are owning the corridor and getting numbers back. Richmond got to try and hit up the free and then try and get it in deeper and lay out one of these players who is sucking back in front of the contest.
Harris went to Sicily in the back pocket. His kick a turnover, marked there by McIntosh. Wide out, high half forward here for Richmond. Camden McIntosh, dual premiership player. Sets it up into the pocket. Fall goes at it, 2 hands to it, doesn't come down with it. Sicily gathers the footy, handball away. McGuinness bursting through, handball picked off there by Ross. Ball spits out towards the attacking arc. Richmond in possession again. Gathered by Dow, gives it to McIntosh. Kick goes 5 metres, lands in the lap of Ginnivan.
Who tries to kick out towards Scholl, pushing the back by Noah Bolter. Right in the middle of the back in the arms of the umpire, in the eyes of the umpire, and Marbiel Scholl will take it at left half back. Hawthorn by 9 points, 1-5-11 to the Tigers, 2 behinds. Meanwhile, at the SCG, Sydney leading by 21 points over the Giants. Scholl's going to switch it back inside the defensive 50. Tom Barrass marks and feeds the hand pass away to Battle. 3 bounces as he runs 15 metres to right half back and can chip it over the top to Jaff. He has it centre wing on the members' side. He's got Bruce on his own. He finds him at right half forward, then looks up inside 50. Moore's the target. Great desperate defending by Brown. Gets a hand in there and spoils it out of play for the Tigers. A throw in 45 metres out from the Hawthorn goal. They lead by 9 points here at the MCG.
It's the first time we've seen Hawthorn be able to switch the ball and chip it through, probably for the last 10 or 11 minutes.
Throwing half forward for the Hawks. Meek trying to flick it to the back. Onto it quickly though, Ross for Richmond. Handball out into space. Gathered there by Banks. Off to Campbell. Richmond working it down the wing. Nankervis, handball back infield. Ross fumbles it. D'Ambrosio pinches it. Kicks a turnover. McIntosh marks for Richmond. Takes it at centre half back. Likes the look of a switch. Hangs the kick in the air though. Ralph Smith bracketed by a couple of Hawks. Brings it to ground. Lofton comes to assist. Handball away towards a teammate there in Trainer, who swings it out towards Rioli. He'll kick inside, attacking 50. Green can't take the mark. Hawthorn arrive back in numbers. Richmond still fighting for it through Dow. Hawthorn win it though. Newcomb after Ginnivan. A little unsure. Gets it off the Barrass. He'll send it up to the wing.
In front, Noah Bolter's able to juggle a one-handed mark. He controlled it with his right arm and was able to complete the mark. Centre wing on the outer side. Hawthorn leading by 9 points. As Bolter wants to kick it in the middle of the ground. It's in between McIntosh and Broad. Broad will be able to run onto it. He's got 15 metres of space. That closes down now by Bruce. He kicks into the pocket. Falls the target. Shoved out of it by Sicily. Play on's the call. Jaff gets a hand pass back. Tom Barrass with a hand pass away to Sicily. He tries to chisel a kick to Ginnivan. Won't get to him, and McIntosh takes the intercepting mark for the Tigers.
Taking a few intercept marks now, Camden McIntosh. Been busy today. Veers out to his right. Just lobs a kick towards the hot spot. Barrass! Towering mark. Got the sit as well on fall. And then had one of his own landed heavily on his side. And a little worse for wear is Tom Barrass.
I think if you're a Richmond forward at the moment, you've got Barrass playing on you. You've got to try and seal him out of the contest. Just able to jump and leap at the football too often at the moment.
Long kick up to the wing, and Brown takes it back for Richmond. Playing a largely front half game at the moment, the Tigers. 1-5-11 plays 2 behinds. Hawthorn lead into time on in the first. Vlosten. High kick inside 50 again. Barrass comes across, puts his fist through it this time. Bouncing ball. Campbell gathers in the pocket. Swivels, snaps to the goal line. Battles back there, playing the goalkeeper. Last line for the Hawks.
Hawthorn by 9 points as Battle kicks out towards the back pocket. Jaff gathers on the bounce up towards Marbiel Chol. Back with the flight went Noel Bolter. Clears everyone. Miller at the back of the pack. Hand pass to Bolter against the boundary line. Hand pass forward to Ralph Smith. Looks up, has Morris Rioli Jr. at right half forward. Impey tries to corral him. Hand pass over the top to Hopper. Hand pass to Steely Green in the right forward pocket. He puts it out on the full, but there was a Tigers player who was down in the process. And I think this might be a Richmond shot on goal. There's plenty of Richmond players coming off for encouragement.
That was actually a better avenue, the way in which Richmond then won the ball back, but they used the ball back by hands, and it was their midfielders getting deep inside their forward 50 to try and be an option. That's what they really need from their mids, the Tigers, to come into their forward 50, then come back out, be an option. Can't just afford to keep on banging it in there and hoping for the best.
So Josh Battle put a block on Jacob Hopper, and it's a downfield for a free kick. So Steely Green has got the footy in his hands in the right forward pocket. The ball went out of play, but the umpire deemed that Battle, I'm sure the block was illegal. I guess in the end it wasn't high, but footy in the hands of Steely Green as he looks for Richmond's first goal of the match. Out to the right, 40 metres out from goal. He leans back on it, and it drifts across the face for a minor score to the left-hand side. Hawthorn by 8 points, 24 minutes gone. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Well, for all their dominance, to only have 3 behinds on the board it's disappointing for Richmond, because they've really almost dominated possession for the last 5-6 minutes. Repeat inside 50's been very good.
16 inside 50s to 8 in this game, and I wonder whether at quarter time Adam Uze will just realign them with how they're going inside 50. A lot of bombing to those intercept markers of Hawthorn as the Hawks chip it around here. Now McDonald just waits a kick. Now wide to Huswaite. Had to wait for his go in this Hawks team. Off to the run of Weddle. Weddle kicks up to half forward. Joel marks out the back. Gives it off to McGuinness. He runs inside 50. And the third generation Hawk. Finn, the finisher from 15 out. Finally, some accuracy as well. 2-5-17. Plays 3 behinds. The Hawks by 14. Richmond wasteful. Hawthorn go down the other end and take their chance. 25 minutes into the first. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
It's a cruel game if you're a Richmond player and fan and member, because they've owned the last 12 minutes and they just haven't got reward for their effort. And then you look, conversely, Hawthorn go straight down. The amount of space inside their forward 50 compared to what we're seeing up the other end. So I think Uze needs to come out to his midfielders at quarter time and talk to his midfielders and these other small forwards about engaging the Hawthorn defenders and trying to lower their eyes and use the football, because otherwise Hawthorn's big, tall defenders are just going to get numbers back and be an issue for Richmond all day.
13 of the last inside 50s have gone the way of the Tigers, but it's the Hawks who managed to capitalise. Now Curvis tries to take another ruck, kicks up towards half forward, but Jaff takes intercepting mark for the Hawks. He kicks across the half back line to Harry Morrison, looks out towards McGuinness, who takes the mark. Centre wing on the Shane Warne stand side. He looks up in the next chain. Gunston's on a long lead, spoiled away, but Traynor pulled down the right arm in the eyes of the umpire, and a free kick going the way of the Hawks centre wing.
Gunston's kick up towards half forward off the hands of the pack. It comes down for Bolter there. He's dispossessed, picked up by McDonald. Gets it on the boot quickly towards full forward. D'Ambrosio goes up, can't take the mark. Loose ball in the goal square. Miller gets back. Rushes it through. And it is a minor score that won't count. The siren sounded before Miller got it through. I think we might just check this. So it won't count as far as I can see it. 2-5-17 plays 3 behinds at quarter time. So Bruce and McGuinness, the goal kickers for the Hawks, through to quarter time, as Richmond wasted plenty of their opportunities with 16 inside 50s to 10.
So the goals through McGuinness and Bruce for the Hawks. Meanwhile, at the SCG, it's Sydney who lead the Giants by 14 points, 12-5-87 to the Giants 10-13-73. And the final match of the weekend's footy, round 8, comes to a conclusion with the Q Clash. The Brisbane Lions taking on the Gold Coast Suns. Great to have your company on Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
The World Test Championship is coming.
He gets connection here, lifts it over the keeper, 1 bounce for 4.
Australia versus South Africa.
And he nicks it, he's got him again.
Catch every ball on the ABC Listen app. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
The Hawks, it's cake and candles for them. Richmond hoping to play the role of party pooper. Underway on a sunny Sunday at the MCG. D'Ambrosio now running around the boundary line. He kicks inside, attacking 50, and up goes Bruce. He's got it.
This bloke's been an absolute star for such a long period of time, and mark this one in.
Hooks around, and Luke Bruce finally finds the major opening for Hawthorn in their centenary celebration game. Now wide to Huswaite. Had to wait for his go in this Hawks team. Off to the run of Weddle. Weddle kicks up to half forward. Joel marks out the back. Gives it off to McGuinness. He runs inside 50. And the third generation Hawk. Finn, the finisher from 15 out. Finally, some accuracy as well.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
The Tigers' first quarter goalless in 2025. They managed just 3 behinds. The Hawks spurted 2-5-17. Matt Clinch and Ben Cameron calling the action. Lauren Borden down on the boundary. The thoughts of our experts, Mark Murphy and Karen Peterson.
Yeah, it was Richmond's, technically their worst quarter for the year in terms of their first quarters, but a lot to like. They just need to clean up a lot of their inside 50, the way in which they're going in. So there's times where you need to go in and get it in long, Kez, but there's times where you need to just take a little bit more composure and try and work the ball around and try and work on those little spaces and gaps that open up. So the smaller Richmond forwards need to go to work and try and lock down a tool that they're against, or they need to try and re-engage and then come back up with the football and be an option, because if you're just going to bang it in long against Hawthorn's tall defence, they're just going to mark the ball, and Tom Barras has had 3 marks already and had the 8 disposals. So they're going to continue that style of football in terms of going in. They're going to get cut up on the way out, which we just saw in that last couple of minutes where Hawthorn went a coast-to-coast goal and they had space everywhere compared to when Richmond had it. There wasn't any space, but the ground ball gets were an issue for Richmond probably halfway through that quarter, and they ended up being level 19 apiece. So they got to work around the contest. They got to work around those long down-the-line plays and start to get the ball back inside 50, but I think a lot to like from Richmond's point of view, but just need to clean up a bit of their execution.
Yep, totally agree. I thought Hawthorn started the quarter really well. They managed to find a lot of space inside their forward 50, and it was through the work rate of their mids getting across and locking the ball in their forward half. Richmond did a great job wrestling that back in probably about the 10-minute mark of that first term. They really wrestled that back, and for the most part of that middle 15 minutes where they were able to hold Hawthorn scoreless, it was played in Richmond's forward half, and yeah, absolutely spot on. It was just the method going inside forward 50. They ended up having 16 inside forward 50s, but only took 3 marks, and a couple of those marks were, as you mentioned, throughout the quarter, about 45 out in the pocket, so really challenging kicks at goal. They do need to find a better avenue, but there's so much to like about the way that Richmond were able to wrestle back that momentum. The thing that they'd probably be most pleased about is that the clearances at the moment around the ground are even. It's 19 apiece. So if they're able just to tidy up some of those inside 50s, the entries inside forward 50, I think that could be absolutely game on here. It's just the inaccuracy at the moment and their method going inside forward 50, but there's nothing to not like about the way that Hawthorn went about it either. There was certainly a patch where they got bogged down and couldn't move it past their sort of half-back line, mostly because of the way that Richmond was set up behind the ball. But once they did look to switch, and you can see it around the ground, they're all calling for teammates to switch the ball, and they can see the avenue back into their goal. It's when they're able to open them up through the middle of the ground and go inside forward 50 to the likes of Bruce and Gunston, who look really, really dangerous early. So, look, game on in this second term. I'm disappointed for Richmond that it's their worst quarter, because it didn't feel like that, and it certainly didn't look like that. So, game on in this second term.
Noel Bolter had 5 disposals and 2 marks, and already you can see the influence he has across the Tigers' half-back line. The Hawks inaccurate, both sides having their troubles in front of goal. 2-5-17 to the Tigers, 3 behinds. Tom Barras with 8 disposals. He leads the way for the Hawks, with James Sicily with 8 as well, while 7 for D'Ambrosio and Ginnivan, while Jacob Hopper was 7 as well. Something
worth mentioning for the Hawks fans too, Will Day out of the moon boot, coming back from that navicular injury surgery. So that is good news. I've had that injury. It took me a long time to get out of the moon boot, so I'm pleased to see him out of it.
What's the diagnosis when you can get out of the moon boot that everything's healed and the way in which it's looking? Is that
you can start to put weight through it, which I sort of had 2 or 3 goes getting out of the moon boot.
Right.
So it can be a real nightmare. No blood gets to the very small bone, so I'm
obviously it must be tracking well, which is good to hear.
Great news for the Hawks.
Hawthorn fans would love to see Will Day back sooner rather than later. Lauren Borden's on the boundary for us this afternoon.
I've just been watching Will Day too on the boundary. So he's only 23, a big role he has talking to the coaches upstairs. I saw him at quarter time as well, just chatting to Mabior Chol and almost as a line coach alongside David Hale. So he's injured, but he still has a very big role on the bench for a 23-year-old.
Thanks, Loz. Hawthorn by 14 points as we get the second quarter underway. Meek and Nankervis. Nankervis wins it down with 2 hands. He palms it to the front where Newcomb slides in. He's tackled immediately by McIntosh. And the umpire will ball it up, still inside the centre square. Tigers heading to the city end in this second quarter. Nankervis palms it down into the direction of Hopper. He tries to break away from Newcomb initially, and then Lloyd Meek lays the tackle. Holding the ball, says the umpire, seeming that he had a chance to try and get rid of it. Newcomb Spots a free player out on the Shane stand side. It's Dylan Moore. He takes the mark and drives it long inside 50. McGuinness is there, Gunston as well, but it's Noah Bolter who flies across the pack and spoils it out of play. A throw in the right forward pocket for the Hawks.
Matt Clinch, Ben Cameron, Mark Murphy, Kieran Peterson and Lauren Borden between the benches. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Meek palming it boundary side, straight down towards Watson, who's wrapped up immediately. Engulfed, a diminutive Hawk. A wall up, right forward pocket here for Hawthorn. They lead it by 14. Stealing it, Taranto. He'll get a towering clearing kick back up towards the wing. Barras, strong grab again. Tom Barras with the 4th mark of the afternoon.
Yeah, there was no exit there for Richmond. They generated a +2 with Sicily and CJ behind the ball, so long high kicks out for Richmond just aren't going to work for them.
And this is what the Hawks do well. They make the ground big when they've got possession. Complete the switch. D'Ambrosio now in the members' wing. Goes for a little run. Draws Ralph Smith. Ran a long way. Handball to Warple. Missed him. Warple picks it up. Goes back to D'Ambrosio. Gets around Ralph Smith. Handball to Sicily in the long sleeves. He'll go back to Jaff, and now they might go the double switch.
Jaff didn't quite get the kick in which he desired, but it clears Hopper, clears Bolter, ends up in the hands of McGuinness. His kick is partially smothered, and Miller on the last line gets the hand pass away to Vlosten. Trying to find an avenue out of defence. Goes short to the pocket for Banks. At the punt road end, Hawthorn leading by 14 points. Banks honours the lead of Taranto, as it's still 35 metres out from his defensive goal. Gives the hand pass around the back to Banks. He gestures in the direction of Traynor, who's free in the right back pocket. He kicks up towards Broad, but it has to get over Newcomb. Newcomb got his hands to it. Hopper races onto it. Can't get a clean disposal away. The footy tucked underneath him. And the umpire will ball it up as James Sicily lays the tackle over the top. Centre wing on the members' side.
Umpire lofts it in the air. Nankervis slaps it out to Mansell. Steps around a couple. Back feeds a handball to Ralph Smith. He gets a high snap up to half forward. Up they come. Barras punches it away. Down at ground level, they fight after it. Battle feeds out a handball back towards Hardwick, who gets it onto Sicily. Onto Warple. Warple short to McGuinness. Hawthorn possession down the wing. Nowhere to go initially, so we'll go out wide. D'Ambrosio takes it.
Trying to play very methodical at the moment, aren't they, the Hawks?
Still Hawthorn by 14 points. Sorry, Murph.
Picking the ball around, uncontested mark game.
D'Ambrosio sets it up inside 50. Pack forms off the hands of the pack. Watson slick hands after roving. Away to McGuinness. Gets rid of it to Newcomb. Kick to full forward. Moore attacks it. He's tackled to ground by Bolter. Ball stays in. Umpire wants it out full forward here for Hawthorn. 14-point lead early stages of the second. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Inside 50s 8-3, the way of the Hawks so far in this second quarter. From the stoppage, Gunston tries to break through a tackle of Hopper and Ralph Smith. And the umpire will ball it up. Hawthorn by 14 points.
Boston's trying to run with Nick Watson here, just keeps creating space.
Meek one down the tap for the Hawks, but it's Taranto who gets a hand pass to Hopper. A clearing kick towards halfback. Fall brought it down for the Tigers, but Sicily gets a hand pass away to Hardwick. Through traffic to Jaffe, laces out a pass to Ginnivan, who marks directly in front, 45 metres out from goal. At the first 2 shots on goal for the match with 2 behinds. A chance to try and strike truly here.
Yeah, it was great vision, great execution by CJ. That's something that Richmond need to try and do when they're looking inside 50s, to lower the eyes and try and pinpoint one through the corridor. Beautiful kick by CJ.
4 goals, 5 for the season for Jack Ginnivan as he comes in from 50. This time it's straight through the middle. Fingers outstretched as he looks to the heavens, and straight through the middle it goes. Hawthorn extend their lead to 20 points. They have the only 3 goals of the match so far. 3-5-23 to the Tigers, 3 behinds. 5 minutes gone, second quarter, Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport with Mark Murphy and Kieran Peterson.
Spot on, Murph. That's exactly what Richmond need to do at the other end. Hawthorn did a great job around the contest, just shaping it out, and you pointed out that they're being very methodical and trying to thread the needle through the middle of the ground. They were able to execute it there with their handball. They were able to feed the ball from the inside to the outside, couple of handballs around the back, allow the spread away from the contest, and then pinpoint Ginnivan, who was running up straight up the middle of the MCG. found some space, and a great finish for Ginnivan after a bit of a wobble at the start of the game.
Bounce back in the middle. Meek reaching over Nankervis, lays it out in front of Ward, still follows up. Ward picks it up. Back feeds a handball. Warple from the middle of the ground, waits a kick. McGuinness going back, lots of it. Doesn't complete the mark. Bursting onto it, Tom Brown there for Richmond. Kicks around the wing, trying to get it to Campbell. Ball stays in. McGuinness wins it again, sweeps a handball to Huswaite. Hawthorn ball on the wing, Warple. Handball back to Impey, back to Sicily. Sicily switches, Dicey allows in Steely Green and he marks.
He has it in the middle of the MCG, feeds off the hand pass of the runner, Banks from half-back, drives it inside 50, Tom Lynch is on a long lead, lands in front of he and Barris. Barris taps it over the boundary line for a throw-in the left forward pocket for the Tigers.
It was actually a good run and ball use from Banks. It was the only place inside 50 where Richmond will go to get another repeat stoppage, so put it to the space of Tom Lynch. Hawthorn had two defenders, Black is there +2, so it was a smart ball use.
Mark Murphy with you on ABC Sport. Richmond's first inside 50 of the quarter as Meek wins it down to the front. Connor McDonald is tackled. And Tim Taranto locks him up in the left forward pocket for the Tigers. It's only about 15 metres out from their goal. Nankervis and Meek. Nank tries to tap it down through the fingertips of Taranto. Ward gathers for the Hawks. Hand pass away to Connor McDonald. Kicks long up towards Gunston and Chol at half-back. And almost the mark taken by Miller. He knocks it out towards Bolter. Tackled by Gunston. Umpire circles holding the ball. Free kick going the way of Jack Gunston at right half-back. He turns and comes in ball with a chip kick to Weddle.
Weddle swings it out wide, gives it some airtime, and Ralph Smith comes in, swats it away from Morrison. Now Morrison turns tackler, ball jars free. Umpire with the quick whistle, which is a feature that we've seen this year. They blow it quickly to avoid them
slinging.
Slinging the tackled player to ground. All up on the logo. Meek flicks it away, taken there by Ross. His handball away to Dow. Richmond possession. Ralph Smith driven down by Huswaite.
Just see the Richmond forward up in the contest. So Weddle's the +1, just sitting back in front of Tom Lynch at the moment.
Hawks by 20. Nankervis out of the ruck. Little fumble, gets it off to Taranto. Handball to Dow. Dow kicks Richmond out to the wing. Campbell in space. Off for a trot, looks inside 50. Sets it up for Jonty Fall. Hands to it, spoiled away. Barris picks it up off the deck. Handball is not great, getting it to Sicily. Has to get a kick away under pressure of Rioli. Comes out to Campbell. He gets rid of it to Hopper. Off a step, kicks to full forward. Barris drops the mark. Richmond allowed in. Rioli out after it. Getting involved quickly is Lynch. He thinks about getting it on the boot. He's caught. It flicks out to Rioli. Umpire lets them play. No, holding the ball. I thought surely on Tom Lynch.
Yeah.
The umpire took a while to finally award the free kick. Hawthorn by 20 and a free kick in their back pocket. 8 played in their second term.
Good signs though for Richmond. Rioli was at the feet of Lynch then, and had it not been for that holding the ball call, it could have ended up through with a goal. So again, good signs, the small forwards getting involved.
Connor McDonald out of defence for the Hawks, kicked up to the pack, and Marbiol Chol was able to work his way through traffic to take the mark at right half-back. Hawthorn by 20 points. The Tigers still looking for their first goal of the match. He kicks out towards Huswaite. He gathers centre wing on the Shane Hornstand side. He got on the half volley. The umpire's calling play on, and no one realised. Huswaite up towards the 50. No one there in the end. Gunston's outnumbered, and it's gathered by Nankervis. Hand pass to Miller under pressure. Watson lays the tackle. Just got the hand pass away at the last moment. Out to Hopper. He links up with Broad. Kicks out towards left half back. It'll bounce in front of Morris Rioli Jr. Trying to take Sicily to work. One way then the other. The two come to a stop. Rioli took the bounce. Sicily lays the tackle. And James Sicily keen to let him know about it. Taranto didn't like that. He might have given away 50. A rush of blood as he tried to come in to defend his young small forward. And James Sicily will be marched towards the pocket. And it's on here. Seth Campbell comes in. He's into Jack Ginnivan. Taranto's still involved. It's now about 7 or 8 players who are in this scuffle at half forward as James Sicily is going to be taken to the goal square. You watch the fight, Ben. I'll watch the goal. And Sicily, a chance to try and put through his 6th goal of the season and extend Hawthorn's lead from the top of the goal square. James Sicily puts through Hawthorn's 4th, and they're 4-5-29 to the Tigers 3 behind, so this is just growing.
I don't. Yeah, it's a lot of money that's getting spent out there by the players involved in a wrestle.
I think I know what you're going to say here. Go.
I don't like the 50-minute penalty because Morris Rioli is face down on the ground.
Yep.
Sicily shoves him square in the back.
Yeah, he pushed his head basically almost in the deck.
Yeah, it should have almost been reversed. And Taranto just comes in to protect his player. Do you guys agree?
100%. I thought the same thing. I thought if there was a chance to reverse it, it should have happened because Taranto's standing there. What do you expect him to do? Not remonstrate. I mean, Sicily's just pushed him straight into the ground. Taranto's just pushed him, and then the umpire's fallen for it. I just don't think that's fair enough.
The umpire was running in, having paid the holding the ball free kick, so clearly saw James Sicily shove Morris Rioli's head into the ground and his back twice firmly.
And then I reckon there's probably about 20 grand worth of fines coming for various Hawthorn Richmond players, because once you do wrestle in a melee and you go to ground, Kez, you get fined.
Yep, big time. Just really unnecessary, I think, from Sicily in the first place. He hasn't had a great start to the game. He's made some really obvious skill errors, similar to what he's done in the past couple of weeks. Didn't need to do that, didn't need to cause that. Absolutely wasn't worth a 50.
I did learn in school, though, it's always the retaliator that gets in trouble.
Did you get caught a few times, Benny? Or?
We know that. I did. Mabior Chol, free kick in the middle for the Hawks. And they are bossing this game at the moment. A bullet pass onto the chest of Bruce. 47 out, slight angle to the left.
It was good forward craft, and you expect that from this bloke, Luke Bruce. He just worked his opponent back towards goal, then just came back up with the leg, and it's actually a great bit of ball use from Mabior Chol. Just laced him out.
Luke Bruce, what a champion he's been for the Hawks. His drop punt is coming back, not quite enough. Misses outright. The players that have kicked over 500 goals for this great club: Dunstall, Matthews, Hudson, Moncrief, Franklin and Roughhead. And Bruce.
Some good names.
Trainer brings the Tigers back into play to Noah Bolter. He tries to get it up to Steely Green, who takes the mark, centre wing on the members' side. Hawthorn 4, 6:30 to Richmond 3 behinds. 13 minutes gone in the second quarter. Green veers out to the left, tries to kick up towards Lawler. He almost takes an impressive mark against Huswaite. Foul gathers, gets the hand pass back to Lawler. He keeps running, kicks in towards goal, and in the end it's out of bounds on the full. Maybe just caught in two minds, with Lynch having already led up, trying to get it to Campbell or fire on goal. In the end did neither, and out of bounds on the full. Free kick going in the way of the Hawks, and Mabior Chol will take it against the left behind post. In the back pocket for Hawthorn. Call to play on. Kicks a high ball up towards half-back. Big rise from Noah Bolter, who takes the mark. Between wing and half-forward for the Tigers as he loads up and sends it inside 50. Setting himself, fall, got underneath it in the end. And he might have given away the free kick. Jaff is going to take it just 15 metres out from his defensive goal.
Yeah, his eyes lit up, didn't they? Fall, just rush of blood, jump far too early into the back of CJ. Free kick absolutely there.
Hawthorn chipping it in the back pocket to our man Jarman Impey. It plays on, steps Morris Rioli, who runs him down. Rioli, second effort, holding the ball. Well done, Morris.
It's a good lesson there for him.
He kicks it on quickly. On towards Mansell, who fires on goal. Touched on the line.
Like Stephen Silvani.
Yeah, Tom Barras. He's a one-man wall in defence. Did have shades of Steve Silvani, didn't it? I think that one was actually clearly touched by Tom Barras on that occasion, though. Sauce will tell you his finger still aches on a cold night. Hawthorn by 26, quarter-hour mark of the second.
Lauren Borden on the boundary.
James Sicily just came to the bench. He was very happy with himself. I think after the ensuing goal and the melee, he had a big grin on his face as he came to the bench for a spell.
Morrison up to the wing. Newcomb landed awkwardly, trying to take the mark. It spills out towards the 50 for the Tigers. It's gathered by Ralph Smith. Huswaite lays the tackle with Dylan Moore, and the umpire will come in and ball it up. Right half forward for the Tigers, who still don't have a goal through 15 minutes of this second quarter. 4 behind so far to the Hawks 4, 6:30. From the stoppage, spills out the way of Ralph Smith. He's dragged underneath it by Newcomb. Spills out the way of Lawler. He tries to knock it out. Taranto, tackle by Huswaite, taken high. Free kick going the Tigers' way at right half forward.
Taken quickly, fed by Green, away to Hopper. Looks for Lynch in the pocket, right there with him, Barras. in his back pocket. And it might have gone out of play, yes. Weddle trying to keep it in, Lauren Borden.
Ben Miller's hurt his right shoulder here. He's been holding on to it. He's now going into the rooms with the doctors.
Hawthorn by 26. Richmond still looking for their first goal. Weddle wins the tap down. Morrison coming through. Shovels out a handball. Ralph Smith gathers. Handballs it out of play, and we'll do it again. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Round 8 from the MCG. Still to come tonight. The Pineapple Grapple, the
game of the round.
Sunshine Stoush, whatever you wish to call it.
Might be the best version of the Q Clash we've had so far. Weddle doing the ruck work, is able to win down the tap. Bruce is nudged off it by McIntosh. The Tigers at half forward. Ginnivan's locked up by Ralph Smith, and the umpire will ball it up. Sydney defeated the Giants by 14 points earlier today. Chad Warner winning his first Brett Kurt medal. The Giants did kick 3 goals on the bounce to get within striking distance, but the Swans claim their third win under Dean Cox. Free kick going the way of the Hawks. Jai Newcomb taken high at half back and will have the free kick. Hawthorn leading by 26 points. He plays on and dances around McIntosh. Kicks up towards Dylan Moore on the bounce. Feeds the hand pass around the back to Morrison. Hand pass to Ginnivan. He gathers against the boundary line to Bruce. They're working it forward by hand. He swings onto his right hand side. Kicks towards Marbiel Chol. And a good block in the end put on by Gunston. Allowed Chol to take an uncontested mark in the left forward pocket.
Well, they just made it up then, the Hawks, didn't they? They just ran and shared the football by hand and just made it up as they went. And then Marbiel Chol just lost Bolter. He just worked his way back towards goal. And Noel was just too busy looking back at the football and just lost his man. So can't afford to do that. Need to get body on him and still look where the ball is. Can't just let your man get out the back.
Chol with 13 goals of the season, 9-6 from set shots. Out to the left, looking to continue the Hawks' dominance. He comes in from 48. It swings to the right-hand side. It won't have the distance, and in the end, Banks drops the mark and through for a minor score. Hawthorn by 27 points at the 18-minute mark of the second term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Kick in, coming from Tom Brown. Bullet up towards the wing, but Weddle's there. Wins it back with the mark for the Hawks. Weddle forward of the wing, kicks back into the bullseye for Battle. On the bounce he gathers, feeds the handball to Wimpy. Just to pick it up from his bootlaces. He sends it out wide for Morrison. Short kick to half forward. Connor McDonald keen to accept it. 2 kicks out from goal. We'll just work it around the horn here, the Hawks. Kick from McDonald back to Impey. Plenty of offerings inside 50, none that Jarman Impey likes initially. He goes back infield, back to the middle, and Battle moves it on to Hardwick. Hawks by 27 and controlling the ball. Hardwick goes lateral, now Battle. He attacks, runs to the attacking edge of the square, sends it really long to the goal square. Chol juggles and marks. Against the old mob with the detour via the Gold Coast. Now he's a Hawk and he's got it in the goal square and he'll surely kick his first.
It's clearly a direction for Hawthorn to be able to chip it around the outer of the 50, work the angles and go long and deep.
Averages 2 goals against his former club Richmond, the most against any opponent. Pops it through and it is all brown and gold. Party time even on the centenary celebration. 5-7-37 plays 4 measly behinds. 33 points, 19 minutes into the second term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Yeah, very composed football there by the Hawks. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to draw the Richmond players out to try and take away some of those uncontested marks, but Hawthorn just sitting back and around from probably 70 to 90 out. So they've had the 21 uncontested marks to wait in this second quarter. So they've just controlled the football, and then Battle just saw ground in front of him and just took it. And Marbiel Chol was just too strong in the air.
Ordinarily, it's not the kick that you go looking for, that 2 to 3 metres out from the goal line. You want that 15 out so that you've got the opportunity to get your smalls involved as well.
Karen Peterson and Mark Murphy with you on ABC Sport. Back in the middle, Lawler gets the clearance, hand pass away to Hopper, kicks up towards half forward, couldn't mark taken by Hardwick. In front of McIntosh, is able to hang on. Looks across half-back for the Hawks. Kicks out towards Battle. He'll leave it for Morrison in the end, who takes the mark at right half-back. Hawthorn 5-7-37 to Richmond 4 behinds. They switch it back inside defensive 50, the Hawks, through the hands of Jaff, and then out to half-back. It's D'Ambrosio. Looks up the members' wing. Kicks looking for Hardwick. McIntosh floats in front. Can't take the mark. Knocks it down to Banks. Newcomb over the top of him. And locks the ball up on the members' wing.
5 individual goal kickers for Hawthorn. Sicily, Cho, McGuinness, Bruce and Ginnivan. Yet to have one, Richmond. Ball up on the wing. Meek knocking it down. Bounces back towards him. McIntosh piles in. Up it goes for a little bit of a tumble. Try again. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Nankervis down for Hopper, who gives it off by hand to McIntosh. Tumble punt up to half forward. Bouncing ball won by Weddle. Weddle kicks the Hawks back around the wing. In the Nankervis and Meek direction. Nankervis drops it. Bruce picks it up and pinches it. Hawthorn away. Handball errant. Gets to Huswaite though. Time to stop and wait a kick out in front of Bruce again. Wide out half forward for Hawthorn. Tries to take on his man. Sits down his opponent there in Banks. Floats it inside 50. Back there for Richmond though. Mark taking it full back by Brown. Hawthorn by 33, 21 minutes into the second.
Out to Noah Bolter, who kicks it up towards Jack Ross on the bounce. He gathers. Hand pass away to Thompson Dowell at left half back for the Tigers. Has Seth Campbell in space. He juggles the mark, sliding to his knees in front of Jaff. Centre wing on the Shane Warnstand side. Hawthorn by 33 points. As he looks to come inboard to Tim Taranto. Taranto looks up towards Lynch. He competes against 2. Through the hands of Battle. Spills out. Lawler lays the tackle. Trying to lock it inside the forward 50. And the umpire will ball it up 45 metres out from the Tigers' goal. Lauren Borton on the boundary.
Good news for Richmond. Ben Miller is back out sitting on the bench and he's just got that right shoulder taped up.
No one emerging with it just yet. Umpire to pop it up again. 40 out from the attacking goal for Richmond. Hawks 33 points to the good. Richmond searching for their first major. Meek tapping it down. Huswaite gives it off to Morrison. Now Jath, plenty of time. Eventually gets on the left, snaps beyond the defensive arc. Nice pick up McGuinness. Handball to Battle. Hawks away and running. Morrison loops it over the top for Battle. Still going. Handball infield. Off to McDonald. Back to McGuinness. He stops, props, holds up and halts the momentum. Now he kicks to half forward through the hands of Chol. Out the back. Picked up there by Watson. Plenty of time to assess his options and deliver a pinpoint pass onto the chest of D'Ambrosio. The winger sliding down. He marks 15 out, 45-degree angle.
Yeah, it was a good run by the winger, as you said. Just the offside winger, D'Ambrosio, just pushing really hard inside 50. But just the vision of Nick Watson, who just laced him out about 50 metres away. That was from one pocket to the other. I think Sam Mitchell would have loved that bit of unselfish play from the small forward.
D'Ambrosio, the left footer, trots in and slews off the side of his boot. Misses left. Be disappointed with that finish. Hawks by 34, 24 minutes into the second. Mark Murphy and Karen Peterson, your experts on Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
The Hawks with 3 goals, 3 in this second quarter. The Tigers 1 behind. As Volstone brings the Tigers back into the pocket. Chips it to Jaden Short. He can work it over the top to Trainer. So the Tigers have it at right half back. As he looks for options along the Shane Warne stand side. Nothing presents. It's long down the members' wing. Nankervis is in the pack. Fall as well. Sweating onto it. It's gathered up by Mansell. Tackle by Weddle. Just got to kick away. And it's Warple at half back who gathers to the Hawks. Hand pass to Battle. Hand pass through traffic to Newcomb. Fires a hand pass and they're out here, the Hawks. It's taken by D'Ambrosio. Switches it across half back. Finds Morrison at the back edge of the centre square. He plays on. Campbell offers chase. Got him in the end. He gets a hand pass away at the last moment. Out towards Ginnivan. Bumped off it by Short. McIntosh's hand pass to Ralph Smith. Hand pass forward to Taranto. It's the moment. Gets it forward to Ross. Inside 50. Draws an opponent. Hand pass to Campbell. Outside of the boot. At last, Richmond have a goal at the 25-minute mark of the second term. They chained it from the Shane stand wing inside the attacking 50, and Seth Campbell was able to finish off the job. They're 1-4-10 to Hawthorn 5-8-38. 5 unanswered goals for the Hawks, and the Tigers finally have their first.
Well called, Clinchy. You're absolutely spot on. That was the first time, I think, all game where Richmond have outnumbered Hawthorn in their forward 50. They just caught Hawthorn on the hop on the turnover, and then it was actually well worked through handball and being able to draw. There was, I think it was about a 4-on-2, drawing the defender and finding the free, and most importantly finishing, because it's what they haven't been able to do basically for the whole first half. So well done, Richmond. That was absolutely their best opportunity to score, and they worked their way through it very well.
Yeah, it was good pressure by the Tigers, but probably just a little bit too cute, I reckon, by the Hawks too, just biting for a little bit more than they could chew.
The longest it's taken Richmond in a game to kick their first goal in over 20 years. So a long wait here today. They're out of the middle again. Taranto to McIntosh to Ross. 55 out. Chips a kick into the pocket. Fall. Leads Barris to the footy and marks. 20 metres out. Slight angle to the right.
Well, just clearance there from centre square bounce, and it was just the use by hand, so it was very clean by the Tigers. They had the outnumber and the overlap, and they offered to take it rather than just to bang the ball in long, which they were doing in that first quarter especially. So good use of hands, and then great kick inside 50 to the space.
Pick 14, one of 6 first-round picks for Richmond and last year's draft. Jumping Jonty slots it through. When it rains, it pours. Having waited all game for an opening goal, Richmond have kicked 2 within a minute. 5-8-38 plays 2-4-16. The margin back to 22 Hawthorn's way. 27 minutes into the second. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
It just speaks to the importance of centre bounce clearances. When we set up, we understand it's a 6-6-6 across the ground, and it's even numbers forward of the ball, so it gives the forwards the best opportunity without having someone like a Battle or a Sicily coming and sitting in front of them like Lynch has had all day. If Richmond are able to win it out of the middle of the ground and go forward quickly, gives their forwards the best opportunity without Hawthorn setting up around them.
I even like just the craft of Jonty Ford, not just being traded up and just being sucked up to the contest. He held his depth and held the space in front of him. It was an easier kick for Lalo to put the ball just to the advantage side of him and let him just run and jump at it.
All of a sudden, the Tigers have something to build on. 2 consecutive goals. Nankervis in the middle of the ground. He got the clearance, but his hand pass was chopped off by Ward. Hand pass to Newcombe for the Hawks. Away to the run of Empey. He drives it inside 50. And in front, Tom Brown takes the mark. In front of Watson, he kicks out towards Tom Lynch. Got one around the shoulders from Jaff, and then he gets to his feet and bounces into him. Jaff's over the boundary line and has the arms outstretched. The umpire says, get on with it, you two. Tom Lynch at right half back has the ball for the Tigers. Hawthorn by 22 points. It's a spirited opening quarter as Tom Lynch kicks up towards half forward. Weddle in the pack, can't take the mark. Barris fires a hand pass out. D'Ambrosio just jams a high ball towards half forward. Gunston's outnumbered. Ginnivan back with the flight, almost held onto it. Spills out the way of Gunston. Tackled by Millard. Just dropped the ball. Hopper picks it up for the Tigers. Hand pass to Trainer. Feeds the hand pass away to Steely Green. Kicks up towards Lynch. Caught behind against Sicily. Works his way to the front. Sicily lays the tackle. Lynch argues he didn't get back behind his mark. It's a turnover though as Weddle gathers for the Hawks.
Might have had a case as well there, but Hawthorn emerged with it anyway. Barris kicks to Jarman Empey at centre half back for those in brown and gold. Pokes it to Ward. Ward darts it into the middle of the ground. Newcombe, handball to the run of Weddle. Back to Newcombe. He can look inside 50. Sets it up to full forward. Down there's Watson and Gunston. It falls for Gunston and he whacks it through. Goal 499 for Jack Gunston. Watson nearly got in the way, but all's well that ends well. And Hawthorn with a steadying goal. 28 points their lead, 6-8-48. Plays 2-4-16 on the stroke of halftime.
Yeah, it was good ball use and good play by Newcombe and Weddle just to wax the football between each other and just take the yardage in front of them. But I think you're right, Benny. I reckon Tom Lynch had a case to argue when he took the mark down here on centre wing. He just went to turn around and kick the ball where Sicily wasn't really in the contest, should have been standing on his mark. But The umpire didn't call play on, but unfortunately gets away with that one. But just on the counter-attack, that's where the Hawks are very dangerous. Always look to corridor, and they get you out the back.
4 goals to 2. The way of the Hawks in this second quarter as they answer back after 2 goals at the other end. Lloyd Meek follows up his ruck work, gets a clearance, hand pass to Ward, away to Morrison, back to Ward. He gets the right half forward, kicks to the Watson lead as he takes the mark in front of Nick Flostone. Came crashing into him.
Yeah, he certainly made him earn that one, didn't he, Clinchy? Nick Floston. It was just a ball you just can't defend that when it's coming out of the centre square bounce, just bouncing off the half-back line, and Wizard Watson just popping up into some space, but Floston certainly made him earn it.
He's had the 3 disposals for the first half, Nick Watson. Now gets a shot on goal after the half-time siren, looking to try and extend Hawthorn's lead. It currently stands at 28 points, slightly right of centre, kicking from around 45 metres out. Watson comes in and finishes the celebrations. Pump of the fist as his teammates come to celebrate with him. After half-time, it's a 5-2. Second term the way of the Hawks. They kicked the opening 5 goals of the match before the Tigers finally kicked their first goal at the 25-minute mark of the second term. And it's the Hawks who lead by 34 points at the main break. 7-8-50 to the Tigers, 2-4-16. For the Hawks, individual goal kickers to Sicily, Chol, Gunston, McGuinness, Bruce and Watson, alongside Ginneman as well. While for the Tigers, their goals have come through Campbell and Fall. Half-time here at the MCG, Hawthorn leading by 34 points. Earlier today it was Sydney who prevailed over the Giants by 14 points, their 3rd win of the season. And Chad Warner was the Brett Kirk medalist for best on ground. The thoughts of our experts, Mark Murphy and Karen Peterson, with the Hawks leading by 34 points.
Yeah, it was a quarter mainly owned by the Hawks, and Richmond had their small period where they actually cashed in and kicked a couple of goals, which they so direly needed. But it was the Hawks where they just were too strong around the contest. They were composed with the way in which they built up the football and just refused to go long down the line or go long inside their forward 50. They just had numbers around and used the uncontested mark game that we so know them so used to playing. So they just picked apart Richmond in that second quarter. Richmond had, as I said, had a few moments where they got their opportunities, which they're able to kick a couple of goals, but it's going to have to get back to the contest for Richmond and try and get back into this game and lower the eyes a little bit. Don't just bang the ball in long and hope for the best, because unfortunately for them, they just haven't had that great access going inside 50 so far, and Hawthorn conversely just look very more polished going inside 50.
Yeah, I think Adam Uze and his coaching staff have got a decision to make at half-time at the moment. The way that Hawthorn are able to generate +1, +2 behind the ball is causing big problems for Richmond going forward. So they've got to work out where that's coming from. Is it because one of Richmond's high half forwards is pushing into the contest to try and outnumber the Hawthorn Hawks at the contest? At times it's been Nathan Broad who's been the drop one or the +1 off the back of the contest, but it's just not working for them at the moment. I think they need to throw caution to the wind and even up the numbers in front of the ball to give their forwards, and particularly their small forwards, the best opportunity, because at the moment every time that they're going inside, unless it's coming from a centre bounce clearance where it's an even number game in front of the ball, they're getting outpointed. Battle and Sicily are going to work, and that's the reason that they're both sitting, well, Battle's leading the possessions at 14 and Sicily's had 13. So I wouldn't like to see them continue on this way, because the way that they're playing at the moment, Richmond aren't going to get back into the game. It's just going to continue on the way it's going. I'd love to see them throw a little bit of caution to the wind and go and even up those numbers. Yes, the risk is then around the contest that you do get bullied a bit, but at least you're putting yourself in a position where if you do manage to win the contest and the stoppage, you go forward, you give your forwards the best opportunity. So really interesting. Quite an entertaining game, though, even though the scoring for Richmond in particular hasn't necessarily been there. I thought the way that Hawthorn are moving the ball, particularly in that second quarter through the middle of the ground, they're getting their run and carry. Their skills by hand tonight this afternoon have been particularly good, and they look great going forward. So I think we're in for an entertaining second half.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the question that Adam Uze would be asking is like, well, is our small forward who's coming up to the stoppage, being that extra around the stoppage, are we getting any bang for buck out of it? And then you look conversely as the numbers that you just brought up to, well, they're tall defenders who are getting drop-off. That's the way in which they love starting up their offence, don't they, the Hawks? So it's obviously not working for them at the moment. the easy one to say is, well, let's just go 6v6 and let's just fight in the contest, back our mids. So go to your midfielders who are your most experienced. Got Nenkev as the skipper in the middle. Give us first use up there, and then we need our mids to go to work, and at very worst, make sure it's a dirty ball coming out of the stoppage. But let's just try and even up the numbers because the defenders are just cashing in too easily for the Hawks at the moment.
Yeah, the other group that you go to is your midfielders, and you say, right, once we win it out of the stoppage, you have to push forward to even those numbers up. You need to outwork your Hawthorn defenders or your Hawthorn opponents pushing forward to be able to even up the numbers. And it might mean that you've got an extra possession or two to allow them time to catch up because, again, it's at the moment it's the ball coming out. It's the high ball that, Sicily and Battles are just going to eat up every time it comes in. And the midfielders are getting caught in no man's land. They're not at the contest and they're not forward of the ball ready to help. So, yeah, it could be a really interesting coaching move that we see in this second half, but we'll keep an eye on it.
Inside 50s, 25 apiece, as Kes made mention, but it's the Hawks who led by 14 points at quarter time. They lead by 34 at the main break. The thoughts of Mark Murphy and Karen Peterson on the second half still to come, but let's bring you the latest from the ABC newsroom.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. The counting of votes in the federal election has continued throughout the day as the extent of Labor's historic win becomes clearer. Catherine Birmingham has the details.
Anthony Albanese had coffee and scooped gelato in his Sydney electorate of Grayndler this morning, in the aftermath of an election that resulted in swings towards Labor across the country. So far, Labor looks like it'll secure 86 seats, compared to the Coalition's 39. The Independents' 10 seats, while 15 are still in doubt. Nationally, Labor has so far won 55.1% of the two-party preferred vote, and the party has picked up 15 seats. Of those, 7 are in Queensland, where Labor has struggled in recent elections. More results, including the new makeup of the Senate, will be firmed up throughout this week.
Former federal Labor leader Bill Shorten has described the Coalition campaign as terrible. Mr Shorten, who quit federal politics before the election, says he's staggered by the mistakes made by the Coalition.
They were woefully undercooked in what would have to be the worst federal opposition campaign in Australian electoral history. They were so underprepared, people could tell that.
Labor's Ailey France has thanked the community for its support after claiming the Queensland seat of Dixon and ousting opposition leader Peter Dutton. In her third time campaigning for the electorate, she has become the first person to unseat an opposition leader in a federal election. The disability advocate has campaigned on reducing the cost of healthcare and strengthening the NDIS and disability support. Ms France says she's been humbled by the support shown by locals, even outside of campaigning.
I've had a difficult couple of years, but it's been my community that has come and mowed my lawns and delivered meals and, offered support. So I feel really grateful that I can give something back to them.
Independent MP Kate Chaney says she's relieved that voters saw through what she's called a negative campaign from the Liberal Party. The Liberals failed to recover lost ground in Western Australia, including the previously blue ribbon Western Suburbs seat of Curtin. Ms Chaney, who first picked up the seat in 2022, has been re-elected for a second term, with her Liberal opponent Tom White conceding earlier today. She's told ABC Radio Perth it's been an intense few weeks.
The level of negativity and personal attack that came out of the Liberals was pretty intense. So, and we really, really stuck with the positive message. And I'm so relieved to see that people see through the negative campaigning.
Coalition Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price and Labor MP Marion Scrimgeour have aired serious allegations about interference at remote polling booths. Senator Price suggested Australian Electoral Commission staff may have told some voters how to order their preferences, while Ms Scrimgeour's alleged interstate Liberal Party volunteers intimidated Aboriginal women in unspecified communities. However, the AEC says neither politician has raised the concerns with them directly, and their remote voting teams are reporting services went well. In a statement, spokesman Evan Eakin-Smith says the AEC needs specific details to investigate the claims. A Maverick Nationals MP says there was a blessing in disguise in the federal election results. Barnaby Joyce was returned with an increased majority in his seat of New England in New South Wales. However, he says the Nationals will lose a Senate spot and failed to win back the New South Wales seat of Calare. Mr Joyce says Liberal leader Peter Dutton will at least be able to depart with dignity after losing his own seat of Dixon.
Probably a bit of a blessing in disguise, not to have to go back and go through the ignominy of standing in front of a baying crowd after an election like that.
Police are concerned for the welfare of a Melbourne man who's disappeared without his phone, car and diabetes medication. The 54-year-old named Christopher was last seen by family members at his home in Melbourne's southwest on Thursday night. He's described as having a large build and balding with a beard. His sister Teresa says he's a lonely but friendly man and they usually speak daily.
He answers his phone, he calls back straight away. This is very unusual for him. And since our concern, it's completely out of character and we're beside ourselves. We just want him home.
Anyone with information about his whereabouts is urged to contact 000 or Crime Stoppers. And in AFL, the Sydney Swans have beaten GWS Giants 87-73. ABC News.
Hello, Patrick Stack here. Do you like sport and good conversation? Then we've got a great podcast for you. One cracking story, in depth, every day, in under 15 minutes. It's called ABC Sport Daily, and you can find it on the ABC Listen app.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Ball brought it down for the Tigers, but Sicily gets a hand pass away to Hardwick. Through traffic to Jaffe, laces out a pass to Ginnivan, who marks directly in front, 45 metres out from goal. 4 goals, 5 for the season for Jack Ginnivan as he comes in from 50. This time it's straight through the middle. Kicks out towards the left half-back. It'll bounce in front of Morris Rioli Jr. Trying to take Sicily to work. One way then the other. The two come to a stop. Rioli took the bounce. Sicily lays the tackle. And James Sicily keen to let him know about it. And Taranto didn't like that. He might have given away 50 as he tried to come in to defend his young small forward. From the top of the goal square, James Sicily puts through Hawthorn's fourth.
Yep. Sicily shoves him square in the back.
He pushed his head basically almost in the deck.
Yeah, it should have almost been reversed.
There was a chance to reverse it. It should have happened because Taranto's standing there. What do you expect him to do?
Gets it forward to Ross. Inside 50. Draws an opponent. Hand pass to Campbell. Outside of the boot. At last, Richmond have a goal at the 25-minute mark of the second term.
The longest it's taken Richmond in a game to kick their first goal in over 20 years. A long wait here today. They're out of the middle again. Taranto to McIntosh to Ross. 55 out. Chips a kick into the pocket. Fall. Leads Barris to the footy and marks. Jumping Jonty. Slots it through. When it rains, it pours. Back to Newcomb. He can look inside 50. Sets it up to full forward. Down there's Watson and Gunston. It falls for Gunston and he whacks it through. Goal 499 for Jack Gunston.
Back to Ward. He gets the right half forward. Kicks to the Watson lead as he takes the mark in front of Nick Wastone. Kicking from around 45 metres out. Watson comes in and finishes the celebrations.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Half-time of the MCG, Hawthorn by 34 points over the Tigers in their centenary celebrations, 7-8-50 to Richmond 2-4-16. The Hawks led by 14 points at quarter time and managed to boot 5 goals to 2 in that second term. The Tigers took to the 25-minute mark to kick their opening goal of the match. 1 turned into 2, but Nick Watson finished after the half-time siren, and the Hawks hold a 34-point advantage. Matt Lynch and Ben Cameron calling the action. Lauren Borden down on the boundary. Karen Peterson and Mark Murphy, your experts for Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Earlier today it was a 14-point win for the Sydney Swans over the Giants, 12-15-87 to GWS 10-13-73. Both sides booted 4 goals in the final term after Sydney booted the first 5 goals of the match. The Giants had a little period where they kicked 3 unanswered goals and it looked like they might come with a charge, but it was the Swans who prevailed by 14 points to record Dean Cox's third win as senior coach. After the match, the ABC Sport team with Declan Byrne caught up with Sam Weeks from the Swans.
I'm down here with Sam Weeks. How good is a home win, first of the season?
Yeah, it's awesome. I think we really needed that after a tough week last week, and we bounced back really strong, and I think we can be really proud of that performance.
Talk to us about what worked so well out there against the Giants, who have had an all right season up and down like yourselves, but yeah, what went right for the Swans today?
Yeah, I think we just had a massive focus on getting back to the basics and defending really hard. I think that's what's made us a really hard team to play against over, a number of years, and we went away from that, and to be able to get back to that today was really pleasing.
Talk to me about your role this year, a total change-up. How are you finding this sort of lockdown defensive role where you have someone and you have to keep him to as little touches as possible?
Yeah, I think I've been really enjoying it. The coaches kind of floated it to me in the pre-season, and there was a spot down there, and they said, how'd you feel about going back? And yeah, I've absolutely loved it.
What about Joel Hamling today and Aaron Francis up front? So every time I looked at them, they were pushing and shoving Buckley and Taylor. Was that a role for them to be the agitators and try and put two of those elite defenders in the comp off their game?
Yeah, it was. I think those are two boys who always compete really hard. We know exactly what we're going to get from them. They had a bit of a role today. We know how good those intercepting markers can be for the Giants, and I think they were unbelievable on them today.
What happened during the week? It felt like this game was a must-win for your season with some big conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw it happen last week. It was we weren't happy at all. So to be able to reset during the week, get back to what we know wins us games of footy was really awesome.
Sam Weeks, thanks for your time.
Declan Burns there with the response from the Sydney Swans as they recorded their third win of the season to prevail over the Giants by 14 points. Matt Clinch and Ben Cameron calling the action. Lauren Borden down on the boundary. Mark Murphy and Karen Peterson, your experts.
I'm thinking, given this is the centenary celebration of the Hawks, we can have a chat in here and put it open to the SMS line 0437 774 774, wherever you may be listening today. Who's your favourite Hawk of all time? Is there one that jumps off the page for you, Kez or Murph?
It sort of goes back to when I was a kid. I loved watching Shane Crawford run around. Like, he was just an unbelievable gut runner. And I used to just love watching his blonde locks running up and down the ground. But they were going through a hard period when he was playing, and he luckily got to finish off and win a flag. I thought that was one of the real highlights and couldn't have been happier watching him experience that in 08.
This might be one out of left field a bit, but I'm going to go with Roughhead. Playing alongside Franklin and the whole piece of it, but good Victorian country boy, grew up playing a bit of basketball. Yep. So, I loved watching him go around.
What about you, Clinchy?
I'm probably today's generation, Lance Franklin. That was probably the player that when Hawthorn were playing and he was in flow and in the prime of his career, that was the player that drew you to the TV alongside Cyril. But, in my generation, I was probably a bit too young for the likes of Dipper and Dermy and the Hawks of the golden 80s.
I really liked Mark Williams for a period of time with the shotgun.
What a surprise.
He was always gun barrel straight when he kicked on goal too, no pun intended. He was very good. But I think Crawford would be my favourite, or Cyril. I think absolutely. So lots of people would have favourites. Cool Jules McKenzie, our tech today, is a Hawks fan. So I asked him this question earlier this week and he said Cyril.
Cyril, okay.
Cyril. So 0437 774 774, your favourite Hawk.
There's lots of wizard hats in the crowd. Lauren Borden's in the front row. Have you got a favourite Hawk over the journey?
It is hard to choose. I grew up an Essendon supporter, so it kind of goes against everything I've ever, thought of to think of a favourite Hawk. But I used to watch their 1984, 1985 grand finals growing up, and I just remember watching people like Lee Matthews and Gary Ayres. And when you're young, you just associate them with being coaches of Adelaide or with Brisbane, and then you go, oh, geez, these guys had, an illustrious career of themselves. So they're ones that probably stick out for me.
It's interesting, Loz mentions that 1985 grand final. I think Hawthorn and Essendon, if this is the grand final I'm thinking of, I think there were 13 players across both teams that went on to become senior coaches that played on that day, and about 10 of them out of the Hawks. So Lee Matthews, Knights, Judge, Ayres, Schwab. I'm missing a few, obviously, but it just goes on and on. Eade was in there. There were so many Hawthorn players in that team from that generation that went on to become senior coaches.
It's a good shout. Certainly watching Paddy Dangerfield last night, I would have loved to have seen a bit more of Lee Matthews' career as he channeled a bit of lethal playing out of the goal square, and he set up a couple of goals and kicked one himself in that final term. The Cats prevailing after Jack Crisp's shot after the siren. Kez, Murph, I don't know if you watched last night, and what did you think as he had the shot on goal? Did you think he was going to kick it?
They're a hard one. I thought he was going to kick it though, but it's when you think about it, end of a game, 50 out, a lot's got to go right for you. It's a big kick, but I was more impressed by the centre square bounce before it, which Nick Dacos just drew out about 25 metres, so it's a 2v2 essentially in the centre square bounce rather than be a 3v3 in there. So open up the space, try and get it forward. I was pretty impressed by just the tactical play of the Pies to give themselves a chance of winning the game.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Final 2 or 3 minutes, wasn't it? If you're going to try and advertise our great game, that's a pretty good place to start. Had everything except for the fairy tale finish, and yeah, tough ask for Crisp at the end of the game, but it almost deserved it, didn't it?
Players are in position and we're ready to get the second half underway. You've hit a nice nerve here, Ben. There's a few love to hate Hawks players as well, which will bring you on 0437 774 774. Hawthorn by 34 points over the Tigers as we get the second half underway. Here's Ben Cameron.
Meek and also Nankervis. Umpire lays it down. Bounce favours Meek. Nankervis wins it though. Out of the middle goes Lawler. Fluffs his handball. Impey pinches it. Handball to D'Ambrosio. Hawks back the other way. Kick around the southern wing. Mark taken by a short. A Richmond ball again. Shadows now engulfing the MCG. Afternoon game on this Sunday. Into the twilight and then the Q clash to follow. Short kick to Taranto. Taranto looks longer. Up towards half forward, trying to find a marker, but Sicily in the long sleeves, maybe paying homage to Michael Tuck with those long sleeves. I know he wears them every week, but he has it on the back flank. Hawthorn by 34 points, opening minute of the second half.
He looks to the lead of Chol, who can't complete the mark with Noah Bolter there. Noel Bolter had a piece of that, but the umpire has paid the mark, chopping of the arms perhaps to Marbiel Chol, who has it centre wing on the Shane Warne stand side. Call to play on. Ralph Smith comes charging at him, turns and comes inboard to Huswaite. He gets his opportunity with a few Hawks out. He feeds the hand pass inboard to Jarman MP. Honours the lead of Gunston. He marks at the edge of the centre square at half forward for the Hawks. Short to Ginnivan, just inside 50. A chance for Jack Ginnivan to add to his one goal so far this afternoon. The opening two behinds of the match.
Yeah, I was about to say, similar to the first quarters, the little bob-up sprinkler. Jack Ginnivan inside 50. It's what they do really smart, the Hawks, small forwards. They just keep on popping into spaces and being relevant. So, and the other midfielders just acknowledged the lead and hit it to him.
10 disposals for his 1 goal, 2 for Jack Ginnivan. He comes in from 50, sets sail. It's a pretty good effort, and it carries the goal line. Noah Bolter trying to get there late to get a hand onto it, couldn't do so. And the Hawks with the opening goal of the second half extend their lead. It's a 40-point ball game. 8:56 to the Tigers, 2-4-16. Just 2 minutes gone in the third term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
It's been a great return for Ginnivan in the last fortnight. He's playing his role perfectly as that high half forward and the pressure, but just again the methodical ball movement of Hawthorn. They take an intercept mark off another long down the line kick from Richmond. Sicily takes the intercept mark, and after a couple of possessions they manage to find their way into the middle of the ground, which just completely opens up the Richmond defence, and that's why Ginnivan's able to find the space that he does around 40-45 out. But it's the likes of Impey getting their hands on the ball. He's a great ball user in the middle of the ground. It's just completely different to the way that Richmond are moving the ball.
Restart in the middle, a crooked bounce. We'll do it again. Always got their sellies saved up, the Hawks, don't they?
Certainly do.
Not sure what that one was exactly there from Jack Ginnivan. Just the index finger to the forehead. Richmond emerge with it. Nankervis to Banks to short. Sweeping handball away to Ross, who gets it on to Nankervis. And now Campbell on the wing. Dabs it short. Coming up to Mark Ross. Right on the arc of 50. 55 out from goal. Veers out to the right. Just chips the kick towards a warmish shorter spot. Barros puts his fist through it. Mansell roves and goals. Front and square, exactly where he should have been. And he pops through Richmond's third. Back to 34 points. 8-8-56. Plays 3-4-22. Hawthorn lead 4 minutes into the second half. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Yeah, well done to Mansell. Getting to the spot about 10-15 metres out, but it was the Barras spoil that just mistimed it really. Usually see that go about 20 or 30 metres towards the boundary, but almost the wrong side of the fist and just bob straight on top of the square. Exactly where you don't want to spoil the ball. A little soft drop, but just taking advantage of the mistimed ball by Barras.
Yeah, he did, but you'd expect a Hawthorn opponent to be right there with him. You know that when the long ball comes in, you've got to find body on your opponent if you're a Hawthorn defender, and on that occasion they relied too heavily on the fist and it didn't work.
A goal apiece so far in this third quarter. Back to a 34-point lead Hawthorn's way. Meek wins down the tap. Huswaite is tackled by Taranto and the umpire will ball it up. Mitch Turner back in the studio says Darren Pritchard for him. I thought Darren Jarman was going to get a run. Terry Wallace on the SMS from Michael. Chris Langford was also on the duffel coat. Keep them coming. 0437 774 774. D'Ambrosio for the Hawks. Back to centre half back to Sicily. Feeds a hand pass to Newcomb. Kicks a wobbly ball up towards half forward. Miller left it behind. Gunston gathers for the Hawks. Hand pass to Big Lloyd Meek. Links up with Warple through the middle of the ground. Hand pass to Impey. Little fumble. It cuts back onto his left. Dinks the kick inside 50. And in the end, the mark is taken by Huswaite out to the left. He's just inside 50.
Impey again just in the middle of the ground. He rarely makes a bad decision when he's in there. Just found a little 15-20 metre kick to the advantage of his forward. Nothing overcomplicated about it, and results in another Hawthorn shot on goal.
In his 8th game, has kicked 2 goals so far across his career. His 2nd game of 2025. Henry Huswaite comes in, fires on goal and misses to the left-hand side. And a minor score. Hawthorn by 35 points. 5 minutes gone, third term, Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Loston to take the kick in. I used to work with Ken Judge, who used to tell a story about Chris Langford, that they were playing up in Sydney one day and couldn't find him before the team ran out, and he was in the creche rubbing Vicks all over the chests of the young kids, just leaving them in there for the game, and grew up to be Will Langford, a premiership hero for Hawthorn, as a kick from Miller goes up to the wing and Jonty Fall takes a nice mark.
So his child.
His very own child.
Yes.
Just taking care of the kids right before he ran out to play a game on a Friday night up there in Sydney.
Glad you cleared that up for us, Clinchy.
Yep.
Hawthorn by 34 points. 8-9-57 plays 3-4-22 as Bolter marks, then kicks back to Vloston. Richmond with it on the wing. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Kicked 3 in a grand final, didn't he, Will Langford?
He did. Vloston sends it up to half forward and battle marks. Half-back flank for the Hawks. Kicked that beautiful goal from the left forward pocket at the City end of the ground as well in the grand final against Sydney, as Richmond break it up there. Fall doing some good defensive work, slaps it out, throw in half-forward flank here for the Tigers.
Yeah, it was good by Richmond. Just covered off the outlets really well. Just Hawthorn trying to find another uncontested mark, but just covering off the outlets well. Get the ball back in dispute.
There's our man Ian Burrows from the ABC, who throws it back in. Beautiful boundary throw in. Lloyd Meek dumped in a tackle by Nankervis. Squeezed the kick forward. Hopper over the footy. Newcomb over the top of him, and the umpire will ball it up. Plenty of suggestions coming through for Peter Hudson as their favourite Hawk, or the Hawk you love to hate, on 0437 774 774. KT from Elsternwick says Paul Puopolo, little South Australian who came across, part of the Hawks premiership, as the umpire will ball it up once more.
Could take a hanger, couldn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Poppy.
Certainly could. The legendary Michael Tuck, one of the nicest men you could ever meet, and a true gentleman, also coming through from Mirror on the SMS, 0437 774 774. Gary Ayres, tough competitor as well, from Brett in Canberra.
Trying to burst through Hopper on the wing, handball looking for Lawler, and out of play it goes. We'll do it again. For throwing on the wing. Do wonder whether that number 22, 2 + 2 = number 4, whether that will become number 4 for Sam Lawler in years to come. Meek slapping it down, trying to burst through Warple, leaves it behind. Dow takes it, tackled by Warple, holding the ball. Free kick going the way of the Hawk. There's a free agent at the end of the year, gives it to Impey, who's off and running. Kicks from the logo, deep inside 50 for the Hawks, wants a marker, spills to Gunston, gets it on the boot. His kick goes wide of the target, getting back Ralph Smith. Mullet flowing, gathers back pocket for Richmond. and kicks to no Tiger out there. Steely Green does really well to create a contest and spoil it down.
Went back with a flight, knocked it away from Battle, didn't give away the free kick, although the Hawks through Hardwick, gets it back. This kick, though, sets a challenge for James Sicily. He knocks it away from Impey. Jaff's kick momentarily looked to turnover. And now Carl Lamont gathers at centre-half back. Kicks out to McGuinness on the members' side. Hawthorn have a loose. It's Lloyd Mee. He dropped the mark. Nankervis senses the moment. Comes charging in. Meek gets the hand pass away to McGuinness. Beautifully pulls his kick. Inboard to Moore. He drops the mark. Spins into a tackle. And Camden McIntosh locks him up 45 metres out from goal. All of a sudden, both sides had the fumbles for a few moments. Hawthorn by 35 points. 10 minutes gone, third term, Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
All up, just inside 50 for Hawthorn. Nankervis takes it out of the ruck. Meek quick to tackle him to ground. Do it again. Oh, the ball didn't go right back to the umpire there. Umpire Brown. Can be a free kick, but I think he elected to just ball it up again. He has. So Huswaite eventually emerges with it. Gives it off to Finn McGuinness. Flower back to full forward for the Hawks. Bouncing ball for Watson. Gathers. Tackled. Out of play goes. Rolling him out. Sliding him out. Jaden Short. Throw in left forward pocket for the Hawks, who lead it by 35. 10 minutes into the third term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Did well short. That's exactly the sort of ball that Nick Watson likes when it comes in low to the ground. Scoop and finish. Well done.
Nick Watson and Jaden Short in a good tangle as they exchange words. Meek taps it down to Watson, who has taken high. And right on cue, he gets the free kick in the left forward pocket on the move and creating the play. And in the end, Toby Nankervis trying to come across with the right arm, whapped him right in the chops.
Yeah, hit that contested pace, didn't he, Nick Watson? And unfortunately, big Toby Nankervis. It's fair discrepancy in height. And he just reached across with the right arm and collected him too high. But it's hard when you've got a small forward who's so nippy like that on the fly, and those 450 stoppages with the amount of space that was there.
Just the 4 disposals so far this afternoon. Has 1 goal from directly in front, 15 metres out. Watson for his second. He finishes the job. And the Hawks have 2 goals to 1 in this third term through 11 minutes. 9-9-63 to the Tigers, 3-4-22. Watson with his second. Mark Murphy and Karen Peterson, your experts on ABC Sport.
It's just a great craft, wasn't it? He put it bodywork into his opponent well before the ball hit the ground, so that created, he probably had a metre and a half. I think it was Short that was trailing him. Because he did have that amount of space, it made Nankervis a bit nervous. He had to have a lunge at him, and just, height discrepancy collected him. No idea what that goal celebration was from Watson. I don't know, Murphy, if you can interpret that, but...
No, I was never one for a different Sally every time we kicked one, Benny. These Hawks boys, they tend to obviously think about what they're going to deliver, don't they?
Yeah, you were pretty plain, just sort of the arms up, weren't you, Murphy?
It's more of a finger point or one of those ones.
Yep. Shock.
He did go with the Ja Morant the other week. Did Nick Watson, which is the grenade celebration as it is at the moment. We'll do it again. Back in the middle. Umpire throwing it aloft, flicking it down Mubby or Chol in the ruck. Huswaite gives it off towards Shankworth Jath. Kick up to half forward. Ball hits the deck. Coming through quickly is Huswaite, or McDonald rather, and taken to ground in the tackle. All up centre half forward here for the Hawks. Hawthorn lead by 41 points, 13 minutes into the third term.
Shot on our monitor here of Lemos sitting alongside Mick Malloy, our summer grandstand host for our national listeners, as the kick comes into the middle of the ground. And Mansell takes the mark for the Tigers. Hand pass away to Taranto. Links up with Banks on the Shane Warne stand side. Kicks to Seth Campbell, who comes leading out and takes the mark on his chest. He's at right half forward. Kicked the Tigers' first goal in the second quarter. Needs someone to run into space, and it was a lace-out kick from Campbell, which finds Mansell. Wants to chip it to Lynch. Barely 15, but hard against the boundary in the right forward pocket for the Tigers' spearhead.
Now you almost feel it's a worser option where he's going to kick this ball from for Tom Lynch. He is hard up against the pocket. Only the very best kicking from there, Benny, but I would have enjoyed him to go back and kick just a genuine drop punt from 40.
First touch of this third quarter goes across the face of goal with his banana, and in the end out of bounds on the full. So 1 behind and 5 disposals for Tom Lynch as he tries to A bit of continuity in his footy. He's missed so much over the last couple of seasons. Hawthorn by 41 points. Lauren Borden on the boundary.
It doesn't look like there'll be too much time until James Trezise comes on as the sub for Richmond. He's done a little bit of a warm-up along the boundary line and should be coming on shortly.
McGuinness with a long kick. Watson launches at it, doesn't get a hand on it. Out the back, Vlosten picks it up for the Tigers. Snaps back to McGuinness. Marks half-back flank here for the Hawks. Gives it off to Morrison, who kicks laterally. And mark taken by Barris. Kick dodgy. It gets just to Ward. It wasn't dodgy in the end, but thought for a moment it might have been. Ward off to Battle, who goes laterally back to where it all started. And the mark taken by Sicily. He pokes it out wide for Battle. Hawks playing that control game. Battle kicks on the 45 onto the chest of Ward. Ward, the left footer, rolls and goes now into the corridor. McDonald accepts, pokes out in front of Bruce. He'll take it on the bounce. He'll twist. He'll give off the handball. D'Ambrosio knocked away from him. Back to Bruce. Now Newcomb off a step. His kick out wide and missing to the left-hand side. Hawthorn lead by 42. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. We played quarter hour in the third term. Trezise about to come on, as Loz said.
Lauren Borden on the boundary.
And it's Morris Rioli who's literally just stepped to the back of the bench, so he'll be subbed off for Trezise.
Thanks, Loz. Nick Borstone kicks the Tigers out of defence, and Lawler rises to take the mark in front of Jack Ginnivan at left half-back. Hawthorn 9-10-64 to the Tigers 3-4-22. His kick is a turnover. McGuinness takes the intercepting mark. Hand pass to Watson. He runs the boundary line. Sidesteps around Brown. Hand pass to Ginnivan. Looking back to Watson. Was there a push in the back? No whistle. Spills out back the way of the Hawks. Connor McDonald. His hand pass inside 50. Chopped up by Taranto. Hand pass away to Vlosten. Kicks the Tigers up to half-back. Ralph Smith with a big kick into the middle of the ground. He finds Mansell.
Mansell wants to look out wide. His kick is a good one for Banks. Out on the southern wing, just holds it up for the moment. Now he comes infield. Away to Trainer. Grandson of the great Doug Wade. Kicks back to centre half back, and Vlosten, who wanted to come out to Tom Brown, who was running off the ground. Now he kicks it to the man who's come on for him, Short. Short accepts it. Members side of the ground, a great kick inside 50. And right onto the chest there of Steely Green.
That worked out well, but geez, not a great time to be rotating off the ground.
Had his back turned.
Oh, he had a teammate running towards you looking to kick you the ball. Stay on, get a touch and then come off.
What I've liked the last few inside 50 targets, they've lowered their eyes, so they're hitting the 30 to 50 out option pretty well. So small forwards are going to work. They're starting to hit them.
Boot to ball from 49. Steely Green brings it back right to left and right through the middle. The lead cut to 36 points for the Hawks. 9-10-64 plays 4-4-28. 17 played in the third. Mark Murphy and Karen Peterson.
And the longer these games go on, the more open the forward line's going to become, because people start to get a little bit tired, so those little pockets of space start to open. So the more you can lower your eyes when you are having the ball between probably 50 to 80, not just to bang the ball in long and hope for the best, to try and just see someone with a bit of space to their side and just pop the ball into that bit of territory that they can just move into, the better off you're going to become. And Richmond have actually started to do that quite nicely in this quarter.
You much of a fan of the band Steely Dan, Kez or Murph?
No, I've never heard of Steely.
I'm sorry, you've lost me.
Got a couple of good hits. That's who Steely Green was named after.
What do you got for us?
Do It Again is one of their biggest hits.
Gonna have to come back to you on that one. Nankervis trying to take it to the ruck. He's tackled by Lloyd Meek, and the umpire will ball it up.
He was also struck by lightning.
I did know that one.
Steely was?
Yeah,
right.
Lloyd Meek wins down the tap for the Hawks, but it's Jack Ross who gets the hand pass away to Thompson Dow. Kicks a high ball out to the Shane Warnstand side. Campbell in the end tried to come up with his back to the footy. It's gathered in the end by Hardwick. Feeds it back to Impey. Loose footy. Thompson Dow trying to go to work. Players over the top of him. And the umpire will ball it up. Ben also asked on the SMS 0437 774 774 your favourite Hawk, or perhaps the Hawk you've loved to hate over the journey. Lana from St Kilda says it has to be Shane Crawford, captain, Brownlow medalist, everything he's done after footy for, of course, cancer, and the money in which he's raised, an amazing human being. That's a great shout. The Rat John Platten from Simon on the West Coast Don Scott comes through as well. And Anthony from Wild Dog Valley says, my favourite Hawk is Mitch Thorpe because it allowed us Geelong to select Joel Selwood. Oh, so that's a bit of a left of centre suggestion, but I don't mind it, Ben.
Gee whiz.
Bit rough. And the throw in Nankervis has to pick it up off the deck, gets rid of it. The quick kick for Richmond inside attacking 50. Comes off hands down for the Hawks again. McGuinness, wearing the name of his grandfather and dad on his jumper, gives it off to Weddle, who goes to battle onto Moore. Now running away with it is Impey, crosses the 50, runs a mighty long way. Handball away to McDonald, who turns it over. Banks for Richmond, off to Short. He gets rid of the handball. Now Short again, flicking it on, and there's a free kick. What's been picked out here?
It's against Short.
It'll go to the Hawks, and Newcombe will get it. No, so John Newcombe to get the free kick. Did you see what that was for?
John Newcombe just came in to lay the block and to get a hit. Yeah. And I think Short just rode up a bit high and collected him above the shoulders.
Hawthorn by 36 points. Played 20 minutes in this third term.
As it's taken by Josh Battle, he looks out towards the Shane Warnstand side. Hardwick has space, he can chip it further afield, and Finn McGuinness takes the mark. Left half forward with the floodlights coming on at the MCG. Turns and goes back to Hardwick by foot. Comes inboard to Battle. They have everyone in front of them. Josh Battle, as he looks for options inside 50, kicks over the head of Gunston, up in the back. Good juggling mark in the end. Controlled by Luke Traynor, who's able to hang on to the mark. And the 19-year-old Richmond defender has it in the right back pocket. Chip it over the top to Jacob Hopper. Game 150 for the former Giant. And Tim Taranto having crossed over to Punt Road. As he looks at potentially switching it back inside the defensive 50. Now to Nick Blostone, who fires a hand pass over the top to Noah Bolter. He bounds out of defence and kicks up towards Jaden Short. He can take the mark at left half back for Richmond.
Has Broad on infield, takes that option now with a short kick. Broad, nothing he likes very quickly. I'd say he hasn't left Richmond, because if it wasn't for the Tigers taking him, he'd still be on the tools back in WA as he kicks back to Short. Very wide out. Hawks by 36. Short veers out to his right. Thumping kick up to half forward. Barras comes in, drops the mark. Down to the fall of the ball. There is Green. He takes it. And he's wrapped up pretty quickly as well. Nowhere to go. A ball up coming left half forward here for Richmond, who are doing a little more attacking in this third term.
2 goals apiece so far. Lloyd Meat wins down the tap against Nankervis. Hardwick lays the tackle on Hopper. It spills out to Impey of Hawthorn. Hand pass to Morrison. Away to Jaff. CJ looking to switch play into the back pocket for Hardwick. He takes the mark at left half back. Now Ginneman's running into space. He'll go shorter than that. And Finn McGuinness takes the mark. They just chip it over the top to Weddle. This chip mark game working well for the Hawks as Weddle gets the hand pass away to Kinnaman. Dodges around a couple of Tigers. Kicks up towards half forward. Moore can't take the mark. Morrison crumbs it. Hand pass back to Weddle at left half forward. Kicks into the pocket. Gunston's all on his own and he juggles the mark. Jack Gunston with 499 career goals. Is this the moment for goal 500?
It was great work rate, especially from Josh Weddle, who was the one who was involved in that whole run down the outside wing. Didn't necessarily get it on a couple of occasions, but just opened up space for a teammate and ended up getting one in the end.
The 33-year-old opens up the angle, curls it around the body, a finger in the air with goal 500. And they come from everywhere to celebrate for him. In the centenary celebration, it's only fitting that Jack Gunston becomes the 8th Hawk to boot 500 goals or more. And don't the brown and gold army love that. Hawthorn by 42 points as they give him the we're not worthy celebration. 10-10-70 to the Tigers, 4-4-28. Jack Gunston, 500 career goals in the AFL.
It's a nice moment, isn't it? Been a great servant of the footy club. Kick his 500th goal, and all the home crowd here celebrating their 100 years as a club, all getting behind him and celebrating what a great contribution he's made.
What about the nonchalant little swat away? Get away from me, don't start that carry on. And once Marbiel Chol started, they all started to bow to him.
Yep, they did. They got right in on it. Easy to forget. Begun his career at the Adelaide Crows and had a year at Brisbane as well, but home is certainly at the family club. Son of the great Ray Gunston as well, as the clearing kick comes from Taranto. Inside attacking 50, mopped up there by Jath for the Hawks. Gives it off towards Battle. It goes short to Newcomb, off to Impey, and Impey a kick up towards the wing. Through the hands there of Mavior Chol. Out the back goes Moore, trying to soccer it on. Moore picks it up. A little bereft. He breaks the tackle. Handball to Warple. Hawthorn in possession on the wing. Impey's handball out wide for Chol. Chol runs into a dead end and the throwing to come. And I say the great Ray Gunston, of course, former administrator at the AFL as well as around the place in AFL land, and that's what Gil McLaughlin used to always say on Brownlow Medal night. Certainly a very popular man, Ray Gunston. Hawks by 42, 24 minutes into the third term.
Jack Gunston, the 65th player in VFL AFL history to kick 500 goals, the 5th in current day footy, alongside Taylor Walker, Luke Bruce, Jack Darling and Jeremy Cameron. A shot on the big screen of Peter Hudson, the Hawthorn royalty, of course. Jason Dunstall in attendance, all the Hawthorn greats this afternoon. Free kick going the way of the Tigers, and Toby Nankervis is going to take it at half-back. Kicks to Vlostone, had to sit underneath the high ball. Crashed down in the end by the Hawthorn defence. Spinning out of traffic was Hopper. Gets it back to Vloston. Draws an opponent. Half pass to Taranto. Kicks up inside 50. 4-1-1 with Battle. 4 lunging forward. Can't take the mark, and Battle gathers for the Hawks. Hand pass away to Hardwick. Gives the hand pass away to Jaff. Bounding out of defence. Campbell offered a good chase. He feeds the hand pass wider to D'Ambrosio. The running half-back up towards the wing. Gunston caught behind against Miller. Miller dropped the mark for the Tigers though. Impey with a look-away hand pass. D'Ambrosio at half-back. Hand pass to Gunston. Corralled against the boundary. Found a way past Miller. Hand pass inboard. Wanted Impey. He thought it was for Jaff. In the end, he becomes the tackler on Lawler. And the hand pass eventually is chopped off by Hardwick. And the Hawks across half-back through D'Ambrosio once more.
D'Ambrosio with the kick around the southern wing. Up goes Vloston. Doesn't really get off the ground. Got a hand to it though. Now Bruce to ground level. Threw out a rugby pass. Surely, called for a throw. Just come from a rugby league background, Luke Bruce.
Genuine offload, wasn't it? Just between is it the ruck they call it in rugby union? Just fling it out the back.
I think his cousin, I think Trent Barrett, was the old Manly coach. It's Camden McIntosh. Kicks around the southern wing for Richmond. Up to a contest. Sicily gets there first. Doesn't quite hold the mark. Holding free kick will go to Sicily though. Sicily pokes it short. Away to D'Ambrosio. Up for a run. Tiptoeing the boundary. Kicks inside attacking 50. Getting back short. Drops the mark. Gunston again. Fires the handball to Meek. The big man time to steady. Not enough time. He rushes it and misses right.
Starting to find a lot of time and space, Hawthorn. Not able to capitalise on that occasion, but certainly need to tidy up their defence at the moment, Richmond.
Hawks by 43 points, 27 minutes into the third term. Had it confirmed. It was his cousin Trent Barrett, the old Manly coach.
Here you go. Good family lineage there as Trainer has it. He's out of bounds as he plays on. I thought that's a throw in. He kicks up towards half-back. It'll be a turnover. Anyway, Newcomb takes the intercepting mark for the Hawks. Hand pass away to Huswaite. Inboard he comes to Moore. Looks into the pocket. Watson's on the lead in front. Trainer. He did enough to get a free kick as he planted himself in front, knowing that the contact would come. Watson with his right arm made contact with the head. Trainer chips it back across the defensive goal mouth and finds Broad. Broad wider still to Short. Has it in the right back pocket. Hawthorn by 43 points. 10-11-71 to the Tigers 4-4-28. Hand pass away to Vloston at half-back. Works it up to McIntosh. On the Shane Warne stand side. Inboard to Lawler. Had to wait underneath it a long time. Weddle came in, crashed the ball and brought it down for the Hawks. Got it to Newcomb. Hand pass to Moore. Works it to Hardwick. Back inside the defensive 50. And now a chance for the Hawks to clear.
Chankwath Jath swings it out wide for Harry Morrison. He takes the mark. Offloads it with the handball quickly to Impey. Pokes it further afield to McGuinness. Forward of the wing, comes infield to Moore. Moore sweeps the handball. Warple runs on, pulls the kick and spots up the chest there of Trezise. The Richmond sub marking at fullback, who gives off the handball to the runner Broad. Crosses the defensive arc. Nice forward handball to Taranto. Clever kick off the outside of the boot. Out wide for Brown. Richmond up to the centre line. Brown goes direct to half forward. Jaff spoils it down. Battle supports him. Richmond back in possession.
Jaff feeds a hand pass over the top to Weddle. And to try and get around Mansell, who's doing some good chasing here. Charges into Battle. He just gets the hand pass away at the last moment. Back to Weddle, bounding across half back. Gets the hand pass to Morrison and back to Weddle. Pulls that left kick. Kicks for Impey, who takes the mark just in front of Banks. Still at right half forward for the Hawks. Gives it back to Weddle. The running machine. Hand pass inboard to Husway. Feeds it inboard to Newcomb. The Tigers are looking tired. Hand pass over the top to Warple. Now the run of Jaff. Looks up inside 50. Watson's on a long lead. It bounces in front of him in the left forward pocket. He does a dance. Gets around. Boston opens up the angle. The Wizard at his absolute best. Sold Nick Watson thinking he was going to swing inboard. He went back boundary side and puts through his third goal of the match. Nick Watson extends the Hawks lead to 49 points. 11-11-77 to the Tigers 4-4-28. 4 goals to 2 in this third term. Kieran Peterson and Mark Murphy with you on ABC Sport.
Well, it's been a tiring probably 4 or 5 minutes, hasn't it? It's actually been exhausting watching the ball go up and down, and the work rate of some of these Hawks players is phenomenal. And Weddle's been standing out, and Impey, just their run-off half-back and the amount of space that they create for their teammates to then work into. But I thought they missed the obvious lead up in Gunston, but Nick Watson he's got a pretty handy step, doesn't he? And he's just kicked his third and just let his Richmond opponent know all about it. They've got a bit of gusto down there, don't they, the other Hawks?
Yeah, they certainly do. And Ben Miller was the one. He sort of, after the goal was kicked, he stuck his elbow and shoulder in the way, and probably fair enough that Nick Watson went back and remonstrated with him.
He's about twice as tall as Nick Watson, though. It was a brave move from little Nick.
Doesn't bother him.
Did not worry him, and he's getting into the Richmond fans in their cheer squad behind the goal as well. He's still pointing to the scoreboard. And they're coming from everywhere to get to the fence. He's clapping them. Little Wizard. And he's letting the Richmond fans know all about it. And he won't be bothered. 11-11-77 Hawthorn. They lead Richmond 4-4-28. The Hawks by 49 points, a game-high lead at the final change. The goal kickers, Watson with 3. I think he was holding up 3 fingers at some point as well, saying I booted 3. Ginnivan with a couple singles to Bruce, McGuinness, a couple to Gunston as well, my mistake, Chol, and then Sicily with singles. While for Richmond, it is just 4 individual goal kickers. Campbell, 4, Mansell and Green are their goal kickers.
So the Hawks booted 3 of the last 4 goals of the match to lead by 49 points, while earlier today it was the Sydney Swans who prevailed by 14 points over the Giants. 12-15-87 to the Giants, 10-13-73. The Swans booted the first 5 goals of the match and eventually prevailed by 14 points despite the Giants booting 3 goals on the trot. 3 votes for Chad Warner in the ABC Footballer of the Year. He was also awarded the Brett Kirk Medalist for the best on ground in the Sydney Derby. And Dean Cox moves his record to 3 wins in season 2025. Plenty of suggestions coming through for your favourite Hawk or the Hawk in which you love to hate. We'll bring you some of them in a moment on 0437 774 774. It's the Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
God-tier comedy is on ABC iView. Good God. Unbelievable. More checklists, optics, breeders, big boys, double park, and so many more. Always free, always hilarious on ABC iView. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Jarman Impey honours the lead of Gunston. He marks at the edge of the centre square at half forward for the Hawks. Short to Ginnivan, just inside 50.
It's what they do really smart, the Hawks, small forwards. They just keep on popping into spaces and being relevant.
Jack Ginnivan, he comes in from 50, sets sail. It's a pretty good effort, and it carries the goal line. Noah Bolter trying to get there late to get a hand onto it, couldn't do so.
55 out from goal, veers out to the right, just chips a kick towards a warmish shorter spot. Barros puts his fist through it. Mansell roves and goals. Front and square, exactly where he should have been, and he pops through Richmond's third.
Meek taps it down to Watson, who was taken high, and right on cue he gets the free kick in the left forward pocket on the move. Toby Nankervis trying to come across with the right arm, whacked him right in the chops. From directly in front, 15 metres out, Watson for his second. He finishes the job.
And it's Morris Rioli who's literally just stepped to the back of the bench, so he'll be subbed off for Trezise.
Short accepts it. Members side of the ground, a great kick inside 50 and right onto the chest there of Steely Green. Boot to ball from 49. Steely Green brings it back right to left and right through the middle.
Moore can't take the mark. Morrison crumbs it. Hand pass back to Weddle at left half forward. Kicks into the pocket. Gunston's all on his own and he juggles the mark. Jack Gunston with 499 career goals. Is this the moment for goal 500? The 33-year-old opens up the angle, curls it around the body, a finger in the air with goal 500. And they come from everywhere to celebrate for him. In the centenary celebration, it's only fitting that Jack Gunston becomes the 8th Hawk to boot 500 goals or more. And don't the Brown and Gold Army love that?
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
A little bit of everything in that third quarter. Jack Gunston booted his 500th goal. Nick Watson was applauding to the Richmond cheer squad who were at the city end as his Hawks moved off 49-point advantage courtesy of his third goal of the match. The Hawks cruising to potentially their 6th win of the season, 11-11-77 to the Tigers 4-4-28. Matt Clinch and Ben Cameron calling the action. Lauren Borden's down on the boundary. The thoughts of our experts on ABC Sport, Kez Peterson and Mark Murphy.
Yeah, it was a tough quarter for Richmond. They tried to keep the 6 forwards ahead of the football then, Kez, and try and get a different look when they went inside 50. The problem was they just couldn't get their hands on the football enough to try and generate any forms of score. But having the 2 goals from 6 inside 50s is a good percentage rate of scoring, but when you're only getting the 6 inside 50s for the quarter, you're going to find it pretty hard. And the way in which Hawthorn moved the ball, a lot of their backs were getting involved in the chain of possession play. So Jarman Impey had the 14 touches and Josh Battle had the 10, CJ 9, Weddle and Hardwick both had the 8 touches. So they just controlled the football in the back half of the ground here and then just tried to pick the game apart and just opened up the play, whether that by hand or by foot. The uncontested mark game is something that the Hawks love to try and exploit. And then just lowering the eyes inside 50 was far noticeable that they were trying that avenue of going inside. And then we saw some of the highlight reel of Nick Watson getting to work, which was exciting to see. But the Tigers just need to try and get their hands on the football in this last quarter and really generate some inside 50s from the centre square bounce.
Yep, I agree. I'd love to see Richmond just be real brave with their ball movement. They might risk giving up a couple of extra goals and go down by a bit more than what the margin is at the moment. But if they start to play a little bit like the way that Hawthorn is, particularly off their half-back line and the players that you just mentioned, they really were the drivers. I'd love to see Vlosten and the likes do the same for Richmond. Take it, through the middle of the ground, get a bit of run and carry, generate some inside 50s from that perspective, rather than at the moment it's very, very slow ball movement. They're very stagnant across their half-back line, and they're opting for the long kick down the line, which is just playing straight into Hawthorn's hands. So certainly for Hawthorn, they're going to look to finish this game strong. They didn't do that last week against the Eagles. They gave up a couple of goals late. I'd be really interested to see how they finish this one off.
Final term about to get underway. Hawthorn leading Richmond by 49 points. Nankervis wins down the tap. Newcomb's hand pass missed. Ward. It's socket forward by Nankervis. Unable to gather was Lawler. He scraps for the ball. Over the top comes Harry Morrison, and the umpire will ball it up. Lauren Borden on the boundary.
The Hawks made their sub at 3/4 time as well, so Dylan Moore's just moved to the back of the bench. He had a smile on his face, so not too fussed about that as Bailey McDonald comes on for just his 4th game of AFL.
So Dylan Moore and Morris Rioli Jr., the 2 players, have been subbed out for their respective sides. As we'll have a secondary stoppage in the middle of the ground. Hawthorn by 49 points. Lloyd Meek wins down the tap but lost his footing. Hopper trying to emerge with a footy but bumped off it. Spills the way of Ward, kicks around his body. Finds Jack Ginnivan just attacking side of the centre circles.
Ginnivan wants to go to the other edge of the centre square looking for D'Ambrosio. Broad comes across. D'Ambrosio slaps it on. Half forward here for the Hawks. Weddle gathers. Slips over under pressure now. Richmond steal it. Ralph Smith, his handball knocked down though. Watson knocks it away, then turns tackler and forces a ball up. Left half forward here for the Hawks. They lead it by 49 points. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Meek down beautifully for Warple. Off to Ginnivan. Hooks a snap inside 50. Trezise takes the mark for Richmond defensively. Into the game in that third quarter. And he'll get a 50 as well. I think Jack Gunston perhaps they're running around the back, or Finn McGuinness perhaps infringing.
I think it was just the man on the mark, just moved to half a metre, which is just it's a big penalty for not much.
Trezise looks to drive it inside 50. Mansell shoves out his opponent and takes the mark. Bailey McDonald in front. And Ryan Mansell used his body well in the end.
Yeah, it was good craft. Well, a small forward just hit him at the right time, just protected the ball drop really well and initiated contact, which is what you want to see from some of your small forwards. Don't wait to be hit. You actually go and engage, then come back at the footy.
9 disposals, 1 goal, 1 for Ryan Mansell, who's had just about the worst job in footy, having to try and apply pressure as he's run ragged throughout the afternoon. Can he strike a second goal here? Out to the left, he comes in from just inside 50 and drags it right for a minor score to start the final term. Hawthorn by 48 points, 2 minutes gone, final term, Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
I reckon he's become a handy type though, Ryan Mansell. Kez and Murph.
Got good pace. I like him. I reckon he's got some tricks, which is really important for you when you're a small forward.
Sicily short to Jath in the pocket, gives it back to Sicily. He flicks it back to Jath. Beyond the defensive arc, the Hawks. Handball to the run there, bursting through. Might be the sub into the action perhaps there in Bailey McDonald, who moves it on. Keep an eye out for that as the Hawks in the middle of the ground. Ward moves it on to Jath in the middle. He kicks it inside 50 and there is Watson. 40 metres out on a slight angle. He'll go back and have a look at his fourth.
Still at sea there, the Richmond defenders. Unfortunately, is Hawthorn, like we've seen for most of the afternoon, switching the ball through the middle of the ground. Just allowed Nick Watson out of their sight across the fat side of the ground, and he's just found himself in space.
Nick Watson is getting stuck into the Richmond fans at the city end. Kicking to the Hawks cheer squad at the punt road end. He tugs it. Stays on 3 goals. Hawthorn by 49 points, an equal game high. 4 minutes into this fourth term, Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Floodlights have taken over here at the MCG as Nick Vlostone comes in, short to Noah Bolter. One of 3 games in a row he'll get to play with his court-imposed curfew. Kicks up towards half-back. Broad had it spoiled away from him by Morrison. Spins out in front of Ward. Can't gather. In the end, it's Broad who redeems it for the Tigers. Hand pass to Hopper. That's a terrible kick as he works it out to the wing, but it might work. Fall gathers. Hand pass to Ralph Smith. Takes a bounce. Trying to draw Warple. He gets a hand on Warple. Knocks it out to Ward. He's tackled by Hopper. And Warple regathers for the Hawks. Hand pass to Sicily. His hand pass didn't get to D'Ambrosio. Fall gets the hand pass to Richmond. Away to Banks. And now to Ranto. It curls a kick out to Traynor at half-back.
Traynor goes for a little run, then kicks long in the Lawler direction, up against a couple of Hawks. Does well to flick it out the back. Ross onto it, off to Lawler.
Nice.
Great short kick. And Tom Lynch, a little tick lead up of the kicker, and he marks 20 out, virtually directly in front.
Just does some good things, Lawler. Just the ability to get the hand into that contest. Just force a ball drop, and then not just sit around and wait. Get hard forward, be the next option of the handball, and then just to lace him out here. Just tell Tom Lynch where you want it. It's just a great bit of play from the first-year player.
Tom Lynch into a canter. His kick is left. Fades back late, hits the post in the end. Never looked good from the moment it left the boot. Hawthorn by 48, Lauren Borden.
Well, both senior coaches have made the same decision to come down to the bench as well for this last quarter. So Adam Uze sitting on the front seat of his and Sam Mitchell just chatting to Dylan Moore, who's been subbed off. But both of those coaches have come down to the bench for the last quarter.
Thanks, Loz. Probably a bit more enjoyable for Sam Mitchell this afternoon, as it's worked out a defence in the end. Jarman Empey with a long kick to half-back. Intercepted by the Tigers as Bolter works it to Thompson Dow. He can work it back to short. Kick inboard. Awkward bounce of Banks. Opens the door for Weddle. And away go the Hawks. Takes a bounce from the edge of the centre square. Goes for home. What a finish. With the number 23 of Lance Franklin on his back. Arms outstretched as he nails a long-range bomb. And the Tigers are made to pay the full toll for a turnover in the middle of the ground. Josh Weddle in full flight. And Hawthorn lead by 54 points. 12-12-84 to the Tigers. 4-6-30 We've played 6 minutes in the final term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
You don't want to be too critical of Richmond, but their senior players, I think that was short. Then correct me if I'm wrong. That's a cardinal sin going into the middle of the ground. Just a bit of a lazy, casual kick, and Hawthorn well and truly made him pay the price. It was a great finish in the end. Josh Weddle just kept it low enough that it was going to skid. He was well within his rights to have a crack at that. It's an unfortunate error, but it makes the Tom Lynch relatively easy kick down the other end that hit the post look all the more worse. Another 12-point turnaround.
How far was it, Benny? 60?
I reckon about 60. And you do have as many champions as the Hawks have had. You tend to have some famous numbers, don't you? 23 certainly one of those. Dermy and also Buddy as Warple sends them inside 50 to Bruce. Bruce pokes it on further. D'Ambrosio runs on. And he's got it 5 metres in from the boundary line. 30 metres out. Very tight angle for the left footer in the left forward pocket.
Yeah, it is. Not the pocket for the left footer, but just great composure by just the Hawthorn players just to acknowledge the space and just seeing a teammate run into it, pop it over the top. Just playing some really good team football at the moment, the Hawks. I know they're against an opposition which is young, but they're exploiting them not only by their smarts but their work rate as well.
He's going to go with the drop punt. Massimo D'Ambrosio swings it back beautifully. Massimo. It means big and strong in Italian. And this lead is just that. 10 goals neat. The way of the Hawks. 13-12-90. Plays 4-6-30. 8 minutes into the fourth. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Yeah, we're certainly pulling them apart at the moment, Kez, and not only just by their smarts, as I said, but you just look across their ball winners today. They've just got great power and their running ability. They're just on top of the ground at the moment. I know you can do that when you're this far up and you look like you're rock stars, but they actually just continue to work themselves into the ground. And Richmond just can't go with them at the moment.
And they're making it look easy too, which is a bizarre thing to say when we're talking how good their work rate has been. But at the moment, they're coming out of the middle of the ground. It's just nice, and that the options are just opening up in front of them, and they're making the right decisions as well.
Becomes the 9th individual goal kicker for the Hawks this afternoon. Marbiel Cho into the ruck, wins down the tap for the Hawks, and they might get a chance to try and build on this. Huswaite kicks out towards Ginnivan. He marks it left half forward, looks up, Gunston on the lead, he marks. Noel Poulter has a bit of a look behind him, wondering where the support was, but Jack Gunston leading up, takes the mark on his chest.
Yeah, how many times have we seen that today where centre clearance, hit the forward coming up at the leg, and then just another little pop kick, so almost like that little bridge kick where you're a bit too far out to pop it to the top of the goal square, but you just look for that next forward coming at the leg. It's an easy 15-20 metre kick.
Jack Gunston starting his approach outside 50. He comes in, the veteran, and looks to continue the reign of goals. No, touched on the way through. And a minor score. Hawthorn lead by 61 points. Having led by 50, we might have a score review here. The goal umpire gestured straight away. He thought it was touched.
It was touched off the boot, I think, is the call here.
Noel Poulter.
Review underway.
Right finger on the right second finger on the right hand. Seems to have brushed the footy on the way through. Well, I must be honest, the one with Mark Blitzav's last night, when we slowed that down, I couldn't see any hand on that one.
Ray Chamberlain told us yesterday at Ballarat that...
Looking at this angle, we can see the ball is touched by the right hand of the Richmond defender.
He told us that whenever the field umpire calls it touched off the boot, they will check it for a score review.
Right.
I think I've got that right. Speaking of the famous numbers at the Hawks, Chief Dunstall, of course, number 19. It's been a famous goal-kicking number. As Richmond through Trezise, chips beyond the defensive arc and Bolter marks. Hawthorn by 61. New game-high lead. They've kicked the last 4 goals in the game. Mark taken on the wing for Richmond by Miller. Might have been swung forward here, Miller. The veers around. Sets it up inside attacking 50, and Weddle unopposed. Marks in game number 50. Back pocket there for the Hawks.
Yeah, that's the one where you just need to try and find another uncontested mark and get the ball a little bit further towards goal. Otherwise, you're releasing and it's going 30 to 40 metres out, and it's just easy pickings for Hawthorn.
Josh Weddle's mum actually makes the famous cookies for any player in a milestone game as Shankov Jath nearly turns it over, but the Hawks win it again down the members' wing.
Ward trying to draw. Thompson Dow feeds the hand pass to Ginnivan. Dow offers chase. Back to D'Ambrosio. Running the boundary line on the members' side. Hand pass inward to Jaff. Hand pass miss Ward. Charging out. Lawler one direction, Ward the other. In the end, Hawthorn regain possession. Weddle feeds the hand pass out. Jaff at half forward. Kicks inside 50. McGuinness and Bruce. Bruce crashes the pack. Can't hang on to the mark. Spills out the way of Banks. Bruce lays the tackle. The umpire will ball it up in the left forward pocket.
Yeah, so they're very famous around the Hawthorn club. Very nice cookies, well presented as well, and you get a batch for a milestone game as Weddle does the ruck work here, slaps it down to Chol, full forward for the Hawks, coming through quickly. Miller with nowhere to go.
What type of cookies?
Yeah, chopped chip, the Anzac.
Yeah, I don't know.
Macadamia.
Don't know. It'll last for a batch as Weddle tries to take it out of the ruck, trying to get it on the boot, can't quite. And held in again with Thompson Dow. So living up to the family club billing, no doubt about that. Hawks by 61. Weddle wins the tap, but Ralph Smith, last line for Richmond. Gets rid of it to Trainer and then Taranto. Clearing kick for the Tigers through the hands of Fall. Spills out to Battle. D'Ambrosio, centering kick, trying to get it to Morrison. Chuckles the mark, not paid. Gets it out to Ward. Ward with time to steady. Fires on goal. Punched away, kept in play there by Chol. Hawks in the pocket again. Weddle trying to keep it alive. Richmond are there, and they should work it out now.
Where Broad gets the hand pass away. Links up with Trezise. Back to Broad at left half back. Hand pass over the top to Campbell. Trying to get around Newcombe. He tackles him over the boundary line. He doesn't buy the swinging of the hips as he tackles him and sees the ball out of play. Hawthorn by 61 points. 8 inside 50 to 3 the way of the Hawks in this final term. Might be a tough quarter for Adam Uze and his Chargers. McIntosh and Weddle doing the ruck work for the respective sides. Weddle wins it down to Huswade. He can't break away. Footy comes clear. Taranto with a hand pass to Trezise. Tries to get it back to Taranto. Couldn't take it cleanly. Newcombe came charging in. He made a contact below the knees in the eyes of the umpire. And it's going to be a Hawthorn free kick against Taranto. I can't believe it, given he was going for the footy and lunging for it. In the end, got the knees of Newcombe in the eyes of the umpire. Kicks inside 50, it clears. Connor McDonald, a chance of the Tigers across half-back. Jack Ross gathers, kicks out towards the wing. Foot races on as Tom Brown takes the mark. Sent away on the members' side. Can turn and come inboard to Steely Green. He marks at the edge of the centre square. As Lynch is the deepest target, Ralph Smith in the pocket. He really went for Lynch and he never led. Battle takes the mark in the left back pocket. A little bit of miscommunication there from the Richmond forwards.
Battle not entirely sure where he wants to go at the moment, then switches it, looking for Sicily. He marks in that back pocket, the opposite back pocket, then goes short to Impey. Impey pokes it on to Bailey McDonald, the sub. And he's off for a little run, those fresh legs pumping. Handball away towards Newcombe. He'll loop it further afield to Huswade, who got it on quickly with the pressure coming. On to Jath. Back to McDonald, who's run on. This is Bailey. Short for Gunston. Can the Hawks complete it? Weddle's on. Doesn't like that option. Swings it out. D'Ambrosio. He goes up and gets it. 40 out. Slight angle to the left. Ginnivan's on in the pocket. He ignores that. And Ambrosio will go back and kick for goal.
Yeah, they're spoilt for choice, the Hawthorn forwards at the moment. Every one of them is finding space, and they're almost surprised by how many options that they've got. In a way, you could probably accuse them of overusing the ball, but Murph pointed to it before and said the unselfish nature in the way that they're playing at the moment would be absolutely delighting the coaching staff.
Ambrosio canters in. Boot the ball from 45. The D'Ambrosio double. The last 2 goals in the game. Hawks by 67. 14-13, 97 plays 4-6-30. 16 minutes into this third term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Mark Murphy and Karen Peterson.
just going to get their hands on the football here. This centre square bounce important for Richmond. I mean, Hawthorn are just doing what they want at the moment, playing a bit of game of chess, aren't they? They're just picking them apart, just seeing what the easy option is, whether that's going wide or going short or using the handball receive and chain of possession play. They've got all different modes of playing at the moment, the Hawks, and there have been a few occasions where Ambrosio's just run this out of wing route, and the Hawks players have had that vision to look for him. So it's not a bad tactical play when you can have your winger just running inside 50 all by himself, and just the awareness of his teammates to see him has been first class.
Mark Murphy with you on ABC Sport. Back in the middle of the ground. Tim Taranto gets the clearance away for the Tigers. Gets the hand pass out. Here's a chance at Trainer who goes short to Nankervis. Mark centre of the Shane Warne stand wing. Hawthorn by 67 points. A chance to move to 6 wins and 2 losses. Ahead of a clash next week against the Demons. As the mark is taken by Thompson Dow, he can chip it over the top to Taranto.
It's good. It's where we need to find another uncontested mark, get a little bit closer towards goal.
Ball to play on Tim Taranto. Veers out to the right. Drives it long inside 50. Mansell crashed the pack. He probably go with a free kick. He was holding on to a couple of Hawks defenders in. Jaff trying to carefully push him in the end to embarrass, and they're the ones you've got to be a bit careful of.
Yeah, but he's already been suspended for that, hasn't he, this year? But wasn't a hell of a lot in it.
Been speaking about the numbers at Hawthorn and their lineage. Dipier Domenico. Croft in the number 9 that Chankwath Jath is now wearing as he moves it onto Hardwick and onto Ginnivan. Back flank, Ginnivan lays it up for D'Ambrosio. Cluttered into by Trainer. Bounces back up D'Ambrosio. Free kick on the logo. Hawks by 67. Goes out wide to Connor McDonald. Beautiful evening. Fairy floss skies over the MCG. Lights in effect. D'Ambrosio back inside D50 and Hardwick mops up, sends it out wide to Chankwath Jath. He accepts it and pokes it onto Battle. Hawthorn trying this southern wing out. Battle will loop it back to Jath, who shows a clean pair of heels. Handball back for Battle. Taps it on towards Bailey McDonald. He goes to Ginnivan. Ginnivan retreats. And they are like cats playing with their food at the moment, the Hawks. Huswaite moves it on. Warple driving ball to full forward. Down there is Watson. Vlosten in front of him. Off his knuckles. He punches it out. Throwing left forward pocket. Here for Hawthorn. Running up a score. They lead by 67. Nearly time on in the 4th.
Mentioned the Hawks have got the Demons next Saturday at the MCG. Then 2 interesting games to follow. The Gold Coast Suns in Darwin and the Brisbane Lions. So if you want to learn a little more about the Hawks in the 2 weeks after. It's from the throw-in. Lloyd Meek couldn't get a decisive tap. It's gathered by Newcomb. Hand pass missed D'Ambrosio. It's a couple of goals in this final term. Feeds the hand pass back to Sicily. The Hawthorn captain gathers. Hand pass back to Hardwick. He's going to kick it all the way back into the middle of the ground and finds Josh Battle. He pulls his kick and finds Huswaite. No one within 10 metres of him, so he plays on. Charging at him all of a sudden is Mansell. He gets the hand pass away to Battle. Mansell gave away the free kick. Charged into him after he got the kick away. And Jack Gunston juggled the mark. If he hadn't, it would have been a downfield free kick.
Yeah, it's only half a second, probably too late there, Mansell. It's a hard one for his role, isn't it? Because he almost essentially plays like the Jack Russell, Kez, where he just chases the ball around and just tries to nip at their heels, but got so close to getting to him and just fell through with the contact, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Jack Russell's continuing on as Jack Gunston out to the right, fires on goal. It's a good-looking kick as Gunston puts through his 3rd. Turning back the clock. The 33-year-old Hawk, having brought up his 500th career goal this afternoon. He continues the Hawthorn charge in this final term. 4 unanswered goals as the Hawks lead by 73 points. Having won last week by 50 points over the West Coast Eagles. A couple of weeks of percentage boosts. 15-13, 103 to the Tigers, 4-6-30. We played 20 minutes in the final term on ABC Sport with Kieran Peterson and Mark Murphy.
It's been good, Gunston, hasn't he, all season? If I got my maths right, I think he's kicked 20 for the year. It's just been a remarkable return for a player who's in the twilight of his career, I'd say. And
essentially last year too, Sam Mitchell was saying to him, well, don't be afraid of playing a bit of VFL games and we'll call upon you when needed.
Yeah. Mitchell talking during the week as well, just about his coaching and what he's doing with the rest of the forwards during the week is probably more valuable than what he's showing here, which is quite remarkable.
Particularly with the soft cap the way it is, if you can pay a player to have an almost part-time coaching role, it's invaluable for a club at the moment. Scrimmage in the middle and the Hawks win it again. Warple to Ward. Clever little kick out towards Chol. Attacking edge of the square here for the Hawks. Chol looks inside 50 and Broad in front of the pack. Marks defensively for Richmond.
I think too, when you have more veterans playing at a high level, you're not going to pay them as much as what you pay players in their prime, are you? So the more you've got some very senior players, you look at Collingwood with Pendlebury and Sidebottom, you're not paying them a lot but still getting a huge output from those guys. It's really crucial to your team.
Richmond chipping it around and Short moving it on towards Miller. He'll float a kick around the southern wing and Battle leads his opponent to the footy. Aaron Lynch to get it back for Hawthorn with a mark. Goes back to Dimmer Hardwick on the back flank. Speaking of Hardwicks, Damien involved in the Q clash to follow this match.
We'll take you there at the completion of this game. The Tigers take back possession through Thompson Dow. Hand pass to McIntosh. Works it up to Tom Brown. He marks it right half forward. Drives it in the Tom Lynch direction. Nudged underneath it by Battle. Top of the defensive goal square. The Hawks defender hand passes to Ward. Back to Battle. They've just overwhelmed the Tigers whenever they've got it inside their forward 50. Hand pass to D'Ambrosio. Up towards Weddle. Can't take the mark. Was dragged down by Banks and will get the free kick at left half back. Banks just hobbling on his hamstring at the moment as he kicks it out. There's Ginnivan, Connor McDonald. There's two Hawks alongside each other. Ginnivan takes the mark. Hand pass to Connor McDonald. Centres the ball to Gunston. It's like a training drill at the moment. And the Hawks are relishing this on the MCG as Jack Gunston can poke it over the top. Marbiel Chol's all on his own. Into the open goal. Up to the third tier. He puts through his second. And Hawthorn with the last 5 goals of the match lead by 79 points. 16-13, 109. The Tigers 4-6-30 in front of 62,321 fans.
Yeah, it's been an absolute clinic in this last quarter. Richmond just can't get their hands on the football, and when they do, they get slowed up and have to release and put the ball back into a contest, whereas when Hawthorn get their opportunities, it just seems like there's another 2 or 3 blokes in Hawthorn jumpers, and that just puts it down to the work rate. And also just the smarts of knowing where they're looking next to for the next possession and just the way in which they're using the football. And I think Jack Gunston just absolutely love playing this side. Being a lead up forward, they just continually lower the eyes and just reward those guys who keep coming at the leg.
Keeping up the averages, Marbiel Chol averaging 2 goals a game against his first club in the AFL. A crooked bounce will do it again. Five goals to zip in the fourth term. Nankervis tapping it down towards Hopper, who does well to dive on the footy and win it off to Nankervis. Lawler out of the middle. Good kick for Lynch. Twice he's done that in this term. And he can certainly see the signs with that young man.
I can certainly see the extra bit of class that he's got. He knows where he needs to be. He knows where the ball is likely to go for a forward in their space, in their direction. He's got great touch and awareness of people around him as well. He's a class act already, Laylaw.
Hasn't been without his chances today, Tom Lynch. Goalless last time against the Hawks. Still goalless today with 3 behinds. Hawks by 78. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Yeah, it's been a really dirty day for Tom Lynch, unfortunately. He's had 6 touches going at 17%. One to forget.
Tess Peterson with you on ABC Sports. Sicily brings the Hawks back into play. Works it to Ginnivan at right half back. Hand pass back to the Hawthorn captain. Dodging and weaving in the long sleeves. Kicks over the head of Huswaite. Seth Campbell races after it. He'll get there first. Feeds the hand pass away. Beautiful link up with Thompson Dow, who can chip it to the top of the goal square. And into the open goal. It's slammed through by Tom Brown. The Tigers have their first goal of the final term. After the Hawks have put on 5 at the other end. Hawthorn 16-13, 109 to the Tigers 5-7, 37. 26 minutes gone in the final term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Yeah, we can't turn the ball over there. Doesn't matter how good your team is when you go for that 45 kick over about 30 or 40 metres inside the corridor and you miss it. I think any team's going to score against you. So, unfortunately for James Sicily, still got the jitters with the ball in hand a little bit today. He's still made some poor decisions and missed some easy kicks that he'd usually kick.
It's bordering on the yips, isn't it?
Well,
you'd call it that. Yeah, if he was playing forward half and was in front of goal, you'd absolutely call it that. Despite how well his team is playing and how well the rest of the team is using the ball, he's got his hands on it enough today, but just some crucial errors, Murph, like you said.
Bounce back in the middle. Nankervis with the tap onto it. Ward for the Hawks. Handball to Watson. In at this CBD. Gets it out though to D'Ambrosio. Chiseling left foot kick. Loston controls it like a soccer player. It's a little side foot down towards Bolter. Gives it back to Vloston. Kicks Richmond up to the wing and Taranto. Swings a handball out wide for Traynor. Traynor goes further afield. Getting in there Campbell. He marks. He's bundled over there by Battle as well. And then Campbell looks inside 50. The kick is good. And Lawler bobs up to mark. 30 out, as good as directly in front. He's got busy the longer this game's gone on.
Yeah, he has, and it was just a good little spot-up kick. Again, took the mark and just jumped to his feet and just allowed Sammy just to run into the space there, and everyone else was running back towards goal. He just popped back up with the leg, and that's just smart forward craft again.
Already a lump of a lad. You can see it all happening before your eyes. Had a goal today. You can't. Clears it out to the right. Just the wrong side of that goalpost. Hawks by 71. 16-13, 109 plays 5-8-38. 28 and a half minutes into this final term.
Tigers' lowest score this season was 47 in the Barossa for gather round. It doesn't look like they're going to get there this afternoon as the Hawks across half back. D'Ambrosio, what a game he's had as he kicks up towards James Sicily. He might have gone forward in this final term. And Brown spoils it over the boundary line for a throw-in. Hawthorn 16-13, 109. The Tigers 5-8-38. A crowd of 62,000 in at the MCG for a Sunday afternoon. Beautiful conditions, a bit over 20 degrees. Nankervis from behind wins down the tap against Weddle. Lawler, hand pass away to Hopper. Turns back to Thompson Dow. Hand pass to Josias, back to Dow. Feeds the hand pass away. Jaden Short chips it in the middle of the ground. And McIntosh links up with Traynor. Feeds the hand pass out to the Shane stand side. Links up with Broad. Hand pass over the top. Here's a chance of Traynor to the top for the 50. And Jacob Hopper in game 150 takes the mark. To be right on his distance. He can chip it over the top. It's taken by Trezise, not 15. Stop, start, plays on, goals. Puts through his first of the afternoon, the sub. And then got the opportunity in the final term to get involved, and he's on the scoreboard here. Hawthorn 16-13, 109. The Hawks 6-8, 44. So closing in on that lower score of the season with not long to go in the final term as we tick past half an hour.
Both teams, I think, waiting and hoping that that final siren goes very, very quickly. Sting well and truly out of the game, but all players got heads down, just probably thinking about what they're having for dinner, Murph, I reckon, by now. Hoping they can get through the next little bit without any injury. Be a shame for Hawthorn to give up a goal at the end there, though. It was what they talked about at the back end of the game against West Coast, was to not let their values and standards drop and give away some easy goals at the end, so they won't be thrilled with that, but overall, lots and lots to like about Hawthorn's form and the way they've played today.
Richmond coming up. They've got West Coast at the MCG next week, then North Melbourne. A couple of winnable games for Richmond in the weeks ahead. Here is Hopper out of the middle, kicks inside 50. Mansell drops the mark out the back. Onto it, Bailey McDonald. And the Hawks celebrate their centenary in style. A 65-point win over Richmond.
We love our club and we play to win. Riding the bumps is the thing that talks. One for all and all for one, the way we play it more. We are the mighty Hawks.
100 years of the Hawks, 13 premierships, all of those in the last 63 years. And he can chalk up one more win for them. It moves them to 6-2 in the season in 2025. They led by 14 at quarter time, 34 at the half, 49 points at three-quarter time, and in the end they win by 65.
We're a happy team at Hawthorn. We're the mighty fighting Hawks. We love our club and we play to win. Riding the bumps with a grin at Hawthorn. Come what may, you'll find us striving. Teamwork is the thing that talks. One for all and all for one, the way we play at Hawthorn. We are the mighty fighting Hawks.
So the goal kickers, Jack Gunston, he booted 3. He went past 500 at AFL level as well. Nick Watson with 3 as well, then 2 to Ginnivan, 2 to D'Ambrosio, the singles, Sicily, McGuinness, Bruce and Weddle. While for Richmond, it was only the 6 individual goal kickers, Green, Campbell, Trezastis, Brown, Fall and Mansell. 16-13-109, Hawthorn defeat Richmond 6-8-44.
And with that victory, the Hawks move to second on the AFL ladder for now, below Collingwood. The Brisbane Lions and the Gold Coast Suns can jump above them with victory tonight. The Hawks by 65 points, Richmond's biggest loss against Hawthorn since 2016. And Adam Muse just avoids his lowest score as coach of the Tigers. The thoughts of Mark Murphy and Karen Peterson, your experts, with Hawthorn's 65-point win at the MCG.
Yeah, it was a tough day for Richmond. They sort of had their backs against the wall for most of the day. The Hawks just a really professional outfit, and yet again they were really strong around the ball. Had probably about 25-30 more contested possessions for the game. Won the clearances by 7. The uncontested mark game was pretty strong too, which is a game that they'd love to play in terms of just kicking the ball around, spreading the ground really wide and trying to open up space for one another. So it was a game in which Hawthorn had the game on their terms for the majority of the day. Richmond, to their credit, they had a crack. They're just not at the level yet to really be a consistent side week in, week out with the amount of youth that they've got. They've still got some good senior players littered throughout their team, but they're just still finding their way, and they'll have games like today where they're just not quite up to it. The polish of Hawthorn, I think, shone through in the end, Kez, but another professional performance for the Hawks.
Yep, they were a lot better than what they were last week. I felt last week they just did what they had to do to get across the line, and that was about it. They wouldn't have reviewed too many highlights, I wouldn't think, but I reckon today there's a lot that they can take out of this and go forward. We've mentioned a couple of times that they've got Melbourne next week, and then they've got Gold Coast, Brisbane, Collingwood and Western Bulldogs after that. So a really important 4 or 5 weeks for Hawthorn, and the way that they were able to move the ball today, I think the most impressive thing for me was just their tempo control. When they pressed the button to go through the middle of the ground, they just exposed Richmond with their speed, their cleanliness with the ball, whether it was by foot or by hand, it didn't matter. The way they were able to launch from their back line, and majority of their ball winners, we've said a couple of times, Battle led with 33. That's another career high possession game for him. He broke that last week and he's gone again today with 33. 90% kicking efficiency, and a lot of those possessions certainly were uncontested chipping around the ball, so you can overinflate those numbers, but what was the most impressive was just the way that he's fitted into the system, and along with Sicily, who I'm sure we'll talk about with his yips that he's got going at the moment, but just the whole unit and the way that they're working together, coming across as a third tall in every marking opportunity that Richmond presented them down the line was incredibly impressive. And then it's their small forwards going to work, and the likes of Gunston, who's bobbing up and kicking 3 and 4 a week. It's really impressive, and they're going to need to be that. They're going to need every one of those weapons moving forward in the next sort of 5 weeks. And I still believe that they're nowhere near their best football yet. They're building nicely, and they've certainly been able to turn the form around that they wobbled a little bit in the last 2 weeks ago when they had a bit of a wobble. they weren't playing poorly. They just needed to get across the line and get those wins, and they certainly found that form today. But I think
sometimes you just need to get realigned, don't you?
Absolutely.
Teams will go to work on the Hawks probably more so this year than what they did last year, and they probably caught a few teams off guard last year. But they're certainly one of the teams where across the league people are looking at and trying to work out how they're best going to expose them and beat them.
That was going to be the question on Hawthorn this year. Was last year they played without that pressure of expectation. They come in this year and they do have the expectation on them because of the form that they had. So you're absolutely right. Teams have gone to work on the way that they're playing, and in a way they're trying to emulate the way they're playing with their run and carry through the middle of the ground, and they're spreading the load. It's really impressive, and I thought your assessment on Richmond was spot on. They're missing a lot of weapons across the ground. They've got some great young youth with some composure that we saw today. But, when you got the likes of Lynch in front of goal and who's had a really challenging day, and he wasn't without his opportunity, just wasn't able to convert today. They're certainly missing that depth, which they're gonna have that growing pain over the next couple of years, and they'll be up and down with their form. But all in all, it was a Hawthorn day to celebrate, and that they did.
They certainly did. The Hawks won their first 4 games, then 2 losses to Port Adelaide and Geelong. Back on the winners list with the last 2 wins. Too good for the Tigers of the MCG by 65 points. 16-13, 109 to the Tigers 6-8-44 in front of 62,321 fans. The Hawks are gathering towards the top of their race. Lauren Borden will be in the Hawthorn rooms. Ben Cameron posed the question about your favourite Hawk or the Hawk you'd love to hate over the journey. There are plenty of suggestions coming through. Dermy was certainly one that came through regularly. Even the fact that one West Coast Eagles fan loved the battle between he and John Worsfold back in the day. As a Geelong supporter, I loved Gary Ablett Sr. That's a little tongue-in-cheek.
Don't mind it. Was it 2 games? I think it was 2 games.
2 games.
It wasn't many.
I think Cameron Ling was on the list of the Hawks at one stage, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was. I think he kicked a bag for the Hawks reserves one day. So when I think of Gary Ablett Sr., I think of Lingy as well. Hawks come Geelong champions.
Brownie from Darwin loved the epic battles between Dunstall at one end and Ablett at the other. He's listening in 200 miles out from sea. So great to have you listening to us as well, Brownie. Richmond supporter here. My favourite, that was the same with the Dunstall and the Lockett. I was all on board the Jason Dunstall trying to get to the record of 18 goals. I hated listening to him until he got to 15. I accepted the inevitable and just admired the brilliance of the man. I think he managed with 17 and missed the record by 1. I was disappointed. So the question for Lauren Borden is, which of the Hawthorn legends will be sort of idling around the team song and happy to get involved in the celebrations? I'm imagining there'd be a few.
I dare say Dip would be front and centre in that, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't mind a bit of the limelight.
Croft? I'd imagine Croft will be there as the master of ceremonies.
Some good figures, aren't there, in the Hawthorn?
They've crammed a lot in, haven't they?
Yeah. They have.
Like, it's 13 premierships, all of those in the last 63 years. Like we said, the amount of champions they have, like Lethal and Dipper and Dermy and Dunstall and Matthews, and it goes on and on.
Tuck and
yeah.
Johnny Ratton.
Just, I don't know, there's something in that. They've been a very, very successful club.
Hawthorn winners by 65 points over the Tigers at the MCG. Still to come, the Q clash from the Gabba, the Brisbane Lions taking on the Gold Coast Suns. Suns have only ever beaten their Lions on 7 occasions. They may not get a better chance than what they've got tonight. There's no Kai Lohmann for the Brisbane Lions. So a chance for the Gold Coast Suns to get a big victory, 2nd versus 3rd, still to come on your radio. The Hawks are making their way down to their change rooms. Lauren Borden is waiting for them.
It's packed down here, Clinchy, and I've never seen a smaller space for where the team will sing the song. So it's this tiny triangle they've got. There's almost 2 tiers of supporters as the players make their way in. Well, Chad Wingard's walking in. He's got a cheer as well as he's come through. And the other players will come in led by James Sicily. But some of those champions like Shane Crawford, Brian Lake, they're kind of in the back of this triangle and cordoned off, I guess, from the players. So it is the players that will sing the song in a very tiny area, but it's absolutely packed. I've never seen rooms, I guess, this packed full of supporters. Kate Sobrano's in here, Olympic gold medalist Ariane Titmus. We know she's a massive Hawthorn supporter. She's in the rooms as well. So a few of the past legends have made their way into the rooms. Not all of them, though. It is going to be a very tightly packed song. A few photographers have to make their way out. Sam Mitchell in the song as well. But just the playing group today and Sam Mitchell to sing. A second big win in a row for the Hawks. It's always good when, you know, the build-up pre-game and so much was made about this day, the 13 premierships, and maybe this is the group that might bring the 14th. Who knows? But there it is, the song for the Hawks, and we'll get some reaction as well.
All right, Lauren, you're out and we'll come straight back to you. The game started, or the day started, with the Hawthorn legends being honoured, and the centenary anniversary came to a crescendo with Sam Mitchell addressing the team at the bottom of the race. He got all the legends to parade the peripheral around the playing group, and the siren sounding mean the kids get onto the ground at the MCG for a kick-to-kick ban. And
I was looking at a kid who I think is maybe slightly overwhelmed at the fact of just being on the MCG. He sort of did a tumble just to feel the grass, and then looked like he was doing snow angels out there in the MCG, just enjoying the surface.
I do miss how they block off the corridor. I used to love how they used to see who could run to the centre circle the quickest. So blokes would try and ping a hamstring, probably trying to get there as quick as they could.
No warm-up.
No warm-up, just straight, probably off 10 beers to try and run it there and try and be first into the centre circle. But good to see all the kids out there having a kick at the footy.
Plenty of brown and gold. Hawthorn winners by 65 points. Back to their rooms with Lauren Borden.
Thanks, Clinchy. We're packed inside. There's not a lot of room inside these Hawthorn rooms. Chunkuth Jack is with me. He's celebrating a little bit with Jack Ginneman, who's also doing a radio interview. But Chunkuth, you've got to tell me about the win today. It's been a big week for the club, but it must be so satisfying that after getting this huge win, you've been able to do it for the past players as well.
It was, it was credit to the boys, obviously, to consistently... I can't hear myself, sorry. Consistently just do that for the whole game. I felt like the first quarter we didn't really open as much as we wanted to, but we just had to stay patient and just keep showing up, and eventually it opened up, and it's credit to the work rate as well, as I said earlier, but to be able to do it in front of the past players was insane. It was unbelievable. There's a lot of some talent here that came in before the game, and I was just starstruck. So I would love to know the combined premierships they've won all together. That'd be awesome, because I know there's some hell of a players here that's played for the Hawthorn Football Club, and to be able to win in front of them is just insane.
I'll swap headsets with you as well as I ask you the next question so you can hear. I'll give you those ones. But you mentioned the history there. Dippy Anamenico wore your number before you. Did you have a chance to meet him, or what are your recollections, or maybe the stories that you've been told about him along the way?
He's just a hard nut. He's a player that's very flamboyant and obviously loves to express himself in the field, show how tough he is. His energy, obviously, off the field as well. He comes into the club a fair bit. He's done a talk in front of the boys before, and the way he talks and obviously carries himself is just insane. So obviously to wear his number is obviously, it's a privilege. He's won a lot of premierships, Brownlows, and obviously, man, I'm just happy to be here at the Hawks and be able to do in front of them consistently would be the next step, and hopefully flag this year and, to celebrate the 100 years for the Hawthorn Football Club.
I could see Robert Dippy Anamenico among those players for the huddle just outside the race that you had pre-match. Can you take us into that and what Sam Mitchell was saying, how special it was to have it not just your group today, but everyone else from the club being part of that huddle?
I had some goosebumps before the game. Sam was talking about, the past players have, they've been tough and attacking for so long. It's only right that we do it today, and obviously do it for how many years that we can continue to do this. And it gave me a lot of goosebumps, because obviously you go on arms and arms with guys like, Dipper, Chris Langford, all these guys have played, Hodgie, all these guys have played before us, and it's absolutely unbelievable.
I'll send you upstairs now to our ABC sport experts, Mark Murphy and Karen Peterson.
CJ Murphy, congratulations on your game today, mate. I thought you were terrific, along with a few of your other half-back flankers, you must really enjoy coming up to this level of football and playing with guys like Josh Battle and D'Ambrosio, Sis down there as well, and Weddle. I think there's some real talent off that half-back flank, but the one thing that really stood out to me today was the work rate of all you guys out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's we just feed off each other. Like, I know that once, Tom Barras gets an intercept mark, I can run my patterns early, and vice versa. If Matt gets the ball, then he'll be able to see me on the wing or something like that. So to trust guys like that when they have the ball, you just know where you are and what to do next. You don't have to worry about, do I hold for a bit? So to have guys like that is just, it's outstanding. But it doesn't come off, very easily. Obviously, you got to work throughout the preseason to build a bit of chemistry and stuff like that. So, they've been pretty good, like really good, not pretty good, really good. Tom Barras and Josh Battle as well. They've come into the side and they've added so much joy and so much to the side, and obviously it's paying off obviously right now, and we just want to continue to just continue to build from here. We haven't played our best footy yet, and we're just obviously very excited for the next half of the season and whatever comes premiership season as well.
And I'll have to ask you about a few of these celebrations. I was never one to come up with a celebration. I know you guys get asked this all the time, but is there any pre-planning in any of these celebrations, whether that be someone who takes a big grab or someone who kicks a goal? Because I'll tell you what, there's some interesting ones that keep on coming up week to week.
We used to give them out. We used to rehearse it, not rehearse it, but we used to give it a fair bit.
CJ, best player ever.
But the Jack Gunston one, we knew that he was going to kick 500 today. So a few of us lads were in the locker room. Was while Jack isn't here, all right guys, what do you guys want to do? Should we do this? Should we do that? And I think he kind of knew what was going to happen, but he didn't really know it was going to happen until he actually kicked it. And if you look at the video, he was very embarrassed. It was pretty funny.
CJ, it's Karen Peterson up here. Congratulations on your individual performance and that of the Hawks today. Jack Gunston definitely did enjoy the celebration, so make sure you double down and get around him again later on. I'm interested in what you think, or where you think the improvement for the Hawks come. You just mentioned that you don't think you've played your best footy yet. In your mind, what needs to improve for you guys to play that best footy?
Obviously, last year we were hunting. We weren't really the hunted. It feels like we've been scouted a fair bit this year. And I think to be able to play both a big and an open game and also play a contested, go through the middle game is something that we just want to continue to just build. And I think it's starting to show. We don't want to just be one team that just plays an open game and use on the outside, but we're going to be known as a tough, come through the middle here and there as well. We want to be a double-edged sword. So we just want to continue to build it like that, and I think we'll go a long way.
You certainly were able to do that today, come back through the middle. I think the thing that impressed me the most about the game that you all played as a team was just the tempo control, and we saw you guys controlling possession in that sort of 80 to 90 sort of region out from goal, and then once you're able to go back through the middle of the ground, it really opened up. Is that something that you're going to work on during the week, or something that you spoke about specifically for today's game?
Yeah, we did. We spoke about obviously being patient if they're shutting a certain play. So we just knew that we just got to stay patient and it open up. A little hit up will open up, and then from there, that'll make us, access the whole ground. We just had to be. There's a lot of players on the arc there to just be really patient and hit it.
We're just getting a bit of interference there with the radio mic, so we might let you go, CJ. Congratulations and good luck next week against the Demons. Well, we might have lost him there. The celebrations, that was the highlight, and really coming up with a team plan as to how they were going to embarrass Jack Gunston. Sounds very fitting of the Hawthorn Football Club, doesn't it?
Just shows you the youth has just certainly taken over at that football club, which is terrific, and that's what they're driving. But you could just tell Jack Gunston did not want a bar of any part of that. But it's this young brigade, they just enjoy the moment, don't they? Enjoy stepping into it and embracing it.
And those change rooms did look chock-a-block, so no surprise that we did have a little trouble with our frequency towards the end. So Hawthorn moved to 6 wins and 2 losses. They're up to second on the AFL ladder. The Brisbane Lions can move in front of them with a win, and the Gold Coast Suns also have a better percentage. So if they win tonight, they will jump ahead as well. But when we sort of see the Hawks, they had a couple of losses there to Port Adelaide and Geelong back on the Easter Monday clash. It sort of feels like there was a period where they were really struggling with their ball movement and their transition. Murphy touched on the fact that having featured so well last year in finals, teams will have done a lot more homework on them. And even Sam Mitchell, by his own admission, said they won their first 4 games, but he felt like under the hood the team wasn't flying as well as what the scoreboard and the results were sort of reflecting. So they are a watch at the moment at the early stages of the season to see, are they going to be a top 4 side or where will they feature?
Yeah, I think they will be a top 4 side, but I think they're realising that, they understand that. No doubt Sam Mitchell has discussed that with the playing group, because even CJ then just talked about, well, this year we're a bit more of the hunted, whereas last year we were hunting. So they've still been able to be, quite professional throughout this period, where they are understand the teams are trying to shut them down. They're trying to find new avenues. They're trying to move the ball, and they understand they can't go quick all the time, or they can't go the uncontested mark game all the time. They need to have a balance of both, and understanding when to go to various modes of the game. So they're still working that out. They're still a very young team, Hawthorn, but I just like and I think you talked about it too, Kez, at the end of the game, about the amount of weapons that they've got in their playing list. There's not 1 or 2 blokes that'll cut you up. There's probably 7 or 8 if you let them go, and that's a hard thing too when you're trying to scout them and come up against them, is that, well, do you put a run with someone, or do you try and play defensive forward on one of their key tools, because they do generate a lot of their scoring from the back line on that turnover game. So, how do you try and shut them down, and how do you try and negate some of their strengths, because they've got so many?
Well, they've got players to come back in as well. Mitch Lewis won't be until the second half of the season. Cal Shadir is back running, so he's sort of
played in the
VFL, I think.
Yeah, played in the VFL, I think, last week, and possibly this week as well.
Mitch Lewis is a huge one, I reckon. I reckon having another key target going inside 50 is going to be really important for them in the back half of this year, and the earlier he can get back and try and fit into that mix and give themselves a bit of a different look, because their smalls are electric down there. Mabior Chol's been a bit of a revelation, to be honest, with how well he is actually going. Jack Gunston's playing a really important role for them, but to add another key target up there will be really important.
Just on Cal Shadir, he did play in the VFL yesterday, 1 goal, 3 from 7 disposals, so he won't be too far off Cal Shadir.
He's obviously another one, isn't he? So I think there's pretty sport for choice when they can get all these guys who will be available in the back half of this season. So their talent is enormous, and I just love the way in which they rise and step into it. It's been great.
It's crazy to think that arguably their best player in Will Day isn't playing either. I mean, we don't know whether we'll see him at all this year. Good signs today, Benny, that you were able to see that he had his boot off, so hopefully that is really good signs for him. But it's just crazy to think Scrimshaw, Eamon, Day, Deere, the likes that we've just talked about, they're not even in this team yet. And I mentioned it at one point throughout the call, but they're just not playing their best footy, and CJ backed that up then. It's crazy to think what that might look like in 6 to 8 weeks' time, when they've maybe figured a few more things out and got some consistent play. It's, they're an incredibly exciting team.
We're getting a couple of consistent messages on the SMS 0437774774 asking about the Tigers. I don't think anyone really expected Richmond would be rocketing up the ladder, that this season might be a challenging year for them as they try and reassess which of their senior players, their body allows them to get to the level in which they need to, and the young talent in which they've been able to draft in. How do you assess the Tigers? Unfortunately, they weren't able to score as much as they would like. They had, what was the inside 50s in the end? It was 51 to Hawthorn to 42 to the Tigers. So they got the ball inside 50 enough, but Tom Lynch looked a little way off his best today. He managed his 3 behinds.
Yeah, he did, and if they're going to kick a big score, he needs to kick probably 3 or 4, to be honest with you. So if he's not doing it, where do the other goals come from? But I think with this young side, I think they're going to have weeks where they look a little bit off it. Today they still cracked in, and they fight hard and try to cover off the outlets and play, especially in the first quarter, play the game inside their forward half of the ground. They just couldn't penetrate to actually score. So they were getting a lot of opportunities, but just the method in which they were going in just wasn't going to result in a score against a team that really sweats on you just kicking the ball in long. So they'll get that experience by going, well, they'll understand in games and in years to come that they don't have to go just one mode of playing. And I think at the moment when you're a young side, you can get caught sometimes a bit of deer in the headlights a little bit and not quite change the way in which you're playing and on the hop. So look, they'll take time. They'll have games where they'll play against Carlton and they'll win, which is a bit of an outlier. But they'll have games today where they're just still working themselves out, what their best mode of football is. But I think they still had a crack today, and I think they won't lose any admirers in that fact.
Luke Trainer's probably the one who stood out across half-back at 21 disposals this afternoon. 8 marks, 7 uncontested marks, and going at 93% kicking efficiency. So, I mean, he's a young 19-year-old who looks like he's ready-made for AFL footy. Sam Lawler got involved in a couple of changes throughout the middle of the game, finished with 12 disposals and kicked 1 behind. But they're the young players that Richmond fans are coming along, looking to try and see that improvement instantly.
Yeah, they are. And he was really good today. He's had a few good games to start the year. It's just so easy to forget how young these guys are and the lack of experience that they've had. They're going to take a lot of time to get their bodies and minds right to be able to consistently play at this level. So Richmond supporters, I'm sure the club and the players and everyone involved is just going to preach some patience from their supporters just to allow those players to develop. And don't forget they've got a new coach in, with a new game style and basically a new playing list. So it's going to take some time for them to figure all the pieces out, add layers to their game. I'm sure at the moment they're just trying to keep things really simple, get their one-on-one battles sorted, get some sort of structure and system around stoppages. They're going to have, as Murph keeps saying, they're going to have days where it works for them and days where they come up against competition and opponents like they did today where it's just not going to work for them at all. And they'll have to go to school during the week, come back next week and try again. And they've probably had 2 wins this year, more than what most people probably put them down for and expected from them. So, one of those days where they'll take the lessons, they'll front up during the week and they go again.
They have the West Coast Eagles on Sunday at the MCG. The Eagles, the only winless side through 8 rounds of the AFL season. It's the chance to get a third victory, I should say, to go alongside their 2 so far. Hawthorn by 65 points, 16-13, 109 to the Tigers, 6-8, 44. Still to come, the votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Hawthorn wore a special centenary jersey with the name of 973 players who have represented the club, including the 32 senior coaches in which they've had. It did sort of make me wonder, have you kept any of your previous jumpers, any of your special ones, Murph? What about, Kez, your grand final one? Did you hang on? Probably not when you're in a losing side, but that was the record crowd for an AFLW match at the Adelaide Oval.
I'm a bit of a sentimental person, Clinchy, so I actually still do have that jumper. Certainly wasn't celebrating the result on the day, but I think I've got an appreciation for what that occasion was and the record and things that was broken on the day. So I do hang on to that. I hung on to most of the Indigenous jumpers that we wore throughout the time and some of the different, jumper. I don't know about you, Murph. Are you a bit of a sentimental?
Not so much. I got my first game jumper, my last game jumper. I think there's probably about 7 or 8 stacked in there somewhere
300
else.
game jumper?
Yeah, I've got that one. There's a white one, unfortunately, but it's...
oh, no.
Yeah, so I don't have anything up in my house or anything, I'll put it that way, but it's somewhere in a bag that no doubt the kid's going to have it in some time.
Nothing hanging up outside of the shrine.
Correct. No, I've got nothing hanging up, Benny. Don't worry about that.
And also on the SMS, 0437 774 774. Damien says, Hawks did today's celebration fantastically well. Highlight was having Clarko back with a Hawks scarf draped around his neck. It reminded me of someone else who had a scarf wrapped around their neck on a grand final day, but that's another day.
I'm not sure what you're talking about there, aren't you?
A West Coast Eagles scarf, wasn't it?
Well, it was probably for about 3 minutes. So I'll have to keep on going over this, don't I, Benny? Usually you're the one that brings it up.
Yeah, I know we'll bring it up.
So he's just supporting a few old teammates, Kez and Josh Kennedy, and a bloke who I'm good mates with, and Luke Shuey, who were playing against Collingwood back, obviously, in 2018 it was. Yep. And got snapped, and then I think Eddie Maguire wasn't too happy with
Still hasn't forgotten you, Eddie.
She brings it up out of everyone.
Yeah, I know. It's always the unlikely one. It was just the SMS that sort of probed my thoughts.
It was nice to see Alistair Clarkson back with the Hawks. I think we can, whichever side you come at it from, what's happened at Hawthorn's been pretty unedifying. And I think certainly what I like in my life is... people to sort out their differences and come together and learn and grow. So, yeah, I think it's positive to see him back at the Hawks.
Yeah, it'd be a real shame if he wasn't able to be here for whatever reason and be able to celebrate what was achieved at this mighty club. And I suppose time heals some wounds. Maybe not all wounds, but
most wounds.
Most wounds. Yeah. And it's great, for him and the players that played under him and I'm sure the premiership reunions and things over the next couple of decades will be wonderful events that I'm sure he would absolutely want to be part of, given how, obviously the instrumental role that he played in those as well. So it's great to see him here today, along with all the other legends.
It certainly is one of the biggest challenges for Hawthorn as they celebrate their past. There was no Cyril Real this afternoon. To our knowledge, Lance Franklin wasn't here. As to whether he was invited and just had something else on or chose not to attend, we're none the wiser. But that's a past in which Hawthorn will have to try and bring everyone together. But they did have a 65-point win today, 16-13, 109. The Tigers 6-8-44. We are going to head to the Gabba for the Q Clash. There's no late changes there. Our commentary team, Quentin Hull, Michael Price, alongside Matthew Primus, Jason Ackermanis and Jess Stewart. But the votes for the ABC Footballer of the Year... We got a
we're right. We're doing it on the hop here. We've just been so engrossed in the conversation post game, Clinchy, as we always are. But John Newcombe gets my one vote for tonight. I thought he was terrific around the ball for the majority of the night. Is always getting his hands dirty. He had the 11 contested possessions, had the 5 clearances, and was just instrumental in the ball getting to the outside for the majority of the day. 2 went to a winger, D'Ambrosio. I thought he was terrific, just running the lines all day. Kicked the 2 goals, had the 30 disposals, had the 11 score involvements. So he was terrific. But I thought Josh Battle was best on today. I just really enjoy the way in which he just runs the lines that hard. He opens up space for his teammates, gets involved on the chain of possession play. Had the 33 possessions tonight, 90% kicking effectiveness, and just continues to run and run. The 7 score involvements, 506 metres gained, but just a really important cog of their back line. Kez, there was a few unlucky blokes. Weddle, an honorary mention. I thought Impey was huge as well at various times. CJ had a terrific game. Gunston and the Wizard up front kicking 3 each were terrific as well. But those are my 3 votes for this evening. 3
to Battle, 2 to D'Ambrosio, 1 to Newcombe from Mark Murphy in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Hawthorn winning by 65 points over the Tigers. Earlier, it was Sydney who defeated the Giants by 14 points, 12-15-87 to GWS 10-13-73. The Swans booted the first 5 goals of the match. The Giants had a surge in which they tried to kick 3 consecutive goals, but the Swans prevailed by 14 points, and Chad Warner was the Brett Kirk medalist for best on ground in the Sydney Derby. Takes us to the Q Clash tonight. The Brisbane Lions taking on the Gold Coast Suns. Is this the moment that Damien Hardwick's side surges and takes down a significant side in the premiers from last season?
It would be a huge moment if they do, Clinchy, because to beat the Lions, a former premier, at the Gabba would be huge, just for their confidence going forward. They've been terrific so far, the Suns, albeit for one game, but I still think the Lions get the job done at home tonight, Kez.
Yeah, same for me. I think massive opportunity for Gold Coast, and I'd love it if they could get over the line. I just think that the big brother will flex their muscle and play well. It's a big occasion. I'm sure it'll be sold out up there. They've got a public holiday, I think, tomorrow, Queensland. So packed out Gabba. I think the moment might overawe the Gold Coast, Brisbane for me.
Wow. Righto, bring it on. Thank you to Kez. Thank you to Merv. Thanks to Ben Cameron, to Loz, to Mitch back in the studio, and to Cool Jules at the back of the box. The Hawks in their centenary celebration, 65-point win over the Tigers this afternoon at the MCG. They moved to 6 wins and 2 losses, and now all in readiness for the final match of the round. Just on the SMS, a message coming through. On Buddy's podcast, he'd said he'd love to be here but had a commitment in Perth. So there you go, clarification as to why Lance Franklin wasn't here this afternoon. The Hawks winners by 65 points. Here's a little of how they got the victory. Good night.
The Hawks, it's cake and candles for them. Richmond hoping to play the role of party pooper. Underway on a sunny Sunday at the MCG. D'Ambrosio now running around the boundary line. He kicks inside, attacking 50, and up goes Bruce. He's got it. Hooks around, and Luke Bruce finally finds the major opening for Hawthorn in their centenary celebration game. Now wide to Husway. Had to wait for his go in this Hawks team. Off to the run of Weddle. Weddle kicks up to half forward. Joel marks out the back, gives it off to McGuinness. He runs inside 50, and the third generation Hawk, Finn the finisher from 15 out.
A clearing kick towards half-back. Fall brought it down for the Tigers, but Sicily gets a hand pass away to Hardwick. Through traffic to Jaffe. Laces out a pass to Ginnivan. who marks directly in front, 45 metres out from goal.
Beautiful kick by CJ.
4 goals, 5 for the season for Jack Ginnivan as he comes in from 50. This time it's straight through the middle.
Hardwick goes lateral, down battle. He attacks, runs to the attacking edge of the square, sends it really long to the goal square. Chol juggles and marks against the old mob with the detour via the Gold Coast. Pops it through.
Gets it forward to Ross, inside 50, draws an opponent, hand pass to Campbell, outside of the boot. At last, Richmond have a goal at the 25-minute mark of the second term.
The longest it's taken Richmond in a game to get their first goal in over 20 years. Back to Newcomb. He can look inside 50. Sets it up to full forward. Down there's Watson and Gunston. It falls for Gunston and he whacks it through. Goal 499 for Jack Gunston. 55 out from goal. Veers out to the right. Just chips a kick towards a warmish shorter spot. Parris puts his fist through it. Mansell rows and goals.
Moore can't take the mark. Morrison crumbs it. Hand pass back to Weddle at left half forward. Kicks into the pocket. Gunston's all on his own and he juggles the mark. Jack Gunston with 499 career goals. Is this the moment for goal 500? The 33-year-old opens up the angle, curls it around the body, a finger in the air with goal 500. And they come from everywhere to celebrate for him. In the centenary celebration, it's only fitting that Jack Gunston becomes the 8th Hawk to boot 500 goals or more. And don't the brown and gold army love that. Looks up inside 50, Watson's on a long lead, bounces in front of him in the left forward pocket. He does a dance, gets around, Boston opens up the angle. The Wizard at his absolute best.
And the Hawks celebrate their centenary in style. A 65-point win over Richmond.